One of the main points that Naruto as a series tries to drive home is that Naruto is alone. He has no family. I touch on this topic and make a rather large deal about it quite often. The reason why is because this part of his history is integral to who Naruto is, and is one of the driving forces that allows Naruto to connect with others, and is part of the reason why Sasuke was capable of being brought back to Konoha peacefully, as well as why Naruto was capable of connecting with villains such as Haku, Gaara, Pain, etc., etc. While I still like to think that Naruto could still befriend these people, as his kindness seems to be a holdover from Hashirama Senju and Ashura Otsutsuki, it's also known that the fact that he so powerfully cried for these people was because he recognized and identified with them. Without these struggles, Naruto's success rate in befriending others and saving Sasuke dropped quite a bit. Today I'm going to try and change something. I'm going to give Naruto a new family, but be careful what you wish for, as not all families are great families to be a part of. I'm hesitant about finding a way to go about this, as I don't want to change all of Naruto's history and give him entirely new circumstances. I'm hoping to show an alternate possibility and what his life would have been like with the Hyuga clan, along with his circumstances as a Jinchuriki. Now, the issue with that is that Naruto needs to be born to Minato and Kushina, but he also needs to be a member of the Hyuga clan, and I'm struggling with how to change this. On one hand, I could say that Kushina cheated on Minato, but I really hate that idea, so I'm not going to do it. I could say Kushina was a member of the Hyuga, but that also might not be best because she needs to be an Uzumaki to make use of the chakra chains that allow her to bind tailed beasts. I could make Minato a Hyuga, but I worry that if I do that, it'll change his range of techniques too much. So given that I don't know how best to make Naruto a Hyuga while retaining his past, I'm simply going to leave this up to your imagination instead. So the day Naruto's born, he loses his parents. It wasn't his fault, it was just these circumstances that drove things in that direction. World circumstances, as well as the particular situation in which Kushina, Minato, and Obito found themselves in. At birth, he finds himself exposed to the Nine Tails. His late mother, the former Jinchuriki, the responsibility was passed to him as there were none other nearby who could do the job. Without knowing the consequences, nor about his existence as a whole, he had been forced to make that sacrifice, and now he was alone. As soon as the beast was sealed and the barrier was down, Hiruzen would approach the babe, knowing what happened. Naruto would be taken to the hospital where he'd be nursed for a time. Then, upon the time he could be released, they would identify him as a Hyuga by his Byakugan that he had and send him to the Hyuga clan compound, where the head of the clan, Hiyashi Hyuga, would confirm him to be a member and would delegate the boy's protection to one of the branch houses. Considering his bloodline, which I'm still leaving vague, he'd be sent to live with Hisashi if for no other reason than to honor his deceased parents. He was a year younger than Neji, but slowly the two grew together. Neji was a happy boy, and he was very protective over Naruto, who he had yet to understand was not truly his brother. But then again, is brotherhood really only about blood? Despite Naruto having been the Nine Tails Jinchuriki, most of the Hyuga clan tended to accept him, especially with him being in a branch house, which would require him to take on the curse mark of the caged bird. That, they hoped, would be enough to control him if he ever lost himself to the beast. They respected him also because of the fact that Hiyashi so commanded it. And in the Hyuga clan, whatever the main branch's head says, goes. Naruto's adoption by Hisashi came at a time where Hiyashi himself was preparing to be a father. His first daughter, Hinata, would be born approximately 2 months and 18 days after Naruto. Much changed during this time. The Uchiha were moved to a different part of the village out of spite for their suspected treachery in the Nine Tails attack. The village was still healing, both physically and emotionally, from the attack. That is why Hiyashi had made it an order that Naruto not be allowed out of the Hyuga clan compound, at least not without an escort. Not until it could be certain that he could protect himself. Even still, Hiyashi was not able to focus solely on Naruto. Very few Hyuga could. There was still a war. Kumogakure had been at war with Konoha, remainders of the resentment of the Third Shinobi World War. However, they were finally assenting to peace, sending over a special envoy to Konoha in an effort to have a peace treaty signed. And as the head of one of the great clans of Konoha, Hiyashi was expected to sign. This just so happened to be on Hinata's 3rd birthday. At first it appeared to be no more than coincidence, but the question is, does the concept of coincidence exist in the shinobi world? It was on this day, the same day that Neji and Naruto were to get their curse marks, that Hinata was kidnapped by Kumonin with the intent of taking her Byakugan. Such cruelty. Yet it is the world that they live in. As any good father would, Hiyashi chased after her, and taking it a step further, he killed the shinobi who had kidnapped her. It would spiral into a greater conflict that Hiyashi, in his rage, could not see coming. Kumo played the part of the victim. Was it poor leadership? Was it weakness? All of these things and more were wrapped up in Hiruzen. Regardless, Kumo began to demand the body of Hiyashi Hyuga as recompense, else it would inevitably lead to war. Of course, more than revenge, they had hoped to take the Byakugan from a main house member, as they were the only Hyuga beyond the youngest and the newborns not to possess curse marks. Hiyashi was about to turn himself over, but Hizashi stopped him, deciding to take it himself, not only for his duty to keep them from taking an unsealed Byakugan, but because of his love for his brother. Disguising himself as Hiyashi, Hizashi would allow himself to be executed and his body to be in the possession of Kumo. Of course, Kumo didn't get the Byakugan they so coveted, and they were forced to give in to peace as there was no real reason not to, especially considering that they also were likely as tired of war as Konoha. Neji never truly got over this. He believed his father to have been forced. Naruto would also take this hard. Hizashi was the closest thing to a father that he had ever known, and now he was gone. To a point, Naruto also resented Hiyashi for what he perceived to be coercion. However, unlike Neji, Naruto did not blame the entire house, only Hiyashi for his decision. Naruto did not blame Hinata nor Hanabi for the death of Hizashi, and so he would often come into confrontation with Neji, who would have been treating Hinata horribly. Having been chosen as her instructor due to his sheer might and power, Neji would often spar with her. Such sparring sessions would often leave Hinata bedridden for a time. That was when Naruto would have first witnessed the cursed mark's power against a Hyuga in restraining them. Naruto would witness it with Hanabi, the latter of whom he would hide her eyes from it, hoping not to scar her as the screams were already capable of doing. With that, Naruto grew to resent the heads of the clan more in treating their clan less like family and more like servants. That was not how a family should be. Despite this, Naruto would have a good relationship with Hinata and Hanabi. The former he had saved from bullies. It was his duty to protect her, but more than that, he truly cared about her. She was still important to him. A friend. Family even, though distant it may have been. Hinata would be taken by this. She had always liked Naruto due to his kindness, but this was something that seemed to capture her. He was not truly her direct cousin as Neji was, and she knew that, but he was still special to her, like family. Whenever Neji would beat her senseless in training and sparring, Naruto would be there with Hanabi to clean her wounds and make sure she was comfortable. Naruto, to a point, was the direct opposite of Neji. There was nothing special about him. He was not a genius, and he hadn't mastered the gentle fist style as Neji had. He was just a boy who cared about her. And on days that Hinata could not play with Hanabi, Naruto would step in. Hanabi was close to Naruto as well, having already dubbed him Oni-chan, essentially calling him Big Brother Naruto. Naruto also seems to fall behind in the academy, though this doesn't last long, as Neji believes it would be a disgrace to be a Hyuga and not graduate. So he begins teaching Naruto the same way as he taught Hinata. During their spars, Naruto would often speak of their father with Neji, but sometimes it would be about other members of the clan. Naruto tends to ask about Hinata often, asking why Neji takes it all out on her. Neji states that it's due to how she is a main house member. It isn't that Neji has anything against her personally, it's the main house he has a grudge against, and she just happens to be a part of that house. Naruto would tell Neji that he needs to go easier on her instead of trying to kill her every time they spar. Neji would tell Naruto to butt out of it. Naruto would remind him that she is his cousin, and Neji would tell him that it doesn't matter. He is her teacher, and he may teach her in any way he desires. Such a conflict would eventually come to blows, with Naruto ending up bedridden as Hinata once had been. Despite the pain and hell he went through to train, he manages to pass the academy exam and is placed on Team 7 with the rest of the usual suspects. When asked what his dream is, Naruto says that it's to change the way the Hyuga clan works and to set free his family from their lives of indenturement. Something that Kakashi tells Naruto will be hard, especially as a branch house member. Naruto accepts the difficulty of that, considering it all the more reason why it's worthy to be his life's dream. As dangerous as it could be, Kakashi commends Naruto on his attitude towards hard work. As the bell test comes around, not too much actually changes. Naruto is still Naruto after all, and regardless of his Byakugan, not much is going to change the distance between Naruto and Kakashi's powers, and that's going to result in a set of fingers right in the place where the sun don't shine, setting Naruto off like a bottle rocket. Sasuke also continues to try in his own way, though he is even more determined now due to Naruto being a Hyuga, a clan that would be seen as the longtime rival of the Uchiha clan due to similar dojutsu, each with its own particular strengths and weaknesses. The results are the same though, as Sasuke doesn't have the capacity at this time to take on Kakashi. Naruto would lose hope, but he wouldn't attempt to eat the lunchboxes this time around. Naruto isn't the same as he was back then. He has some form of discipline due to his home life as a Hyuga, something he lacked before. This results in him being far more respectful. Of course, they still pass the test. The reason isn't because Sasuke or Sakura feed Naruto, but because in that time in the original timeline, Sasuke was the first to realize that if they had any hope of beating Kakashi, then they would need to work as a team. And if he saw that then, he would see the same now, especially considering that Sasuke would respect a Hyuga clan member more than a normal Naruto. So it seems likely that Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura would work together to get the bells. Even if they don't get it, which they likely won't, it's still a good thing because all they really need to do is prove that they have the capacity for teamwork. Now, moving forward, I ironically don't think that the Land of Waves arc would happen. The reason being that Naruto at this time is far more respectful than before and far less likely to show his ass in front of the Hokage. This could also mean that they might skip the Chunin exams, but considering that this would be a boring outcome since nothing really happens, we're going to say that they still end up going on the Land of Waves mission. This is, after all, the introduction arc. It's gotta happen, or it just wouldn't feel right. Not to mention that I want to see how Naruto would react in the arc as a Hyuga. But before that, this video is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends is a free-to-play downloadable game for Android and iOS. Whether you're into competitive play, cooperative play, or perhaps the hermit's lifestyle, this game has exactly what you need. With rich lore and deep world building, Raid tells a fantastic story based in the land of Teleria, a land that is now under threat by the vicious Lord Cyroth. As one of the many resurrected champions, it is your job to stop him. To do so, you'll need champions, allies, and equipment. You can grind EXP and farm new equipment that you use to get yourself off the ground, and if you enjoy playing with the crowd, Raid offers PvP and cooperative play that each possess their own unique rewards. One of my personal favorite champions is Sir Nicholas. He's basically the in-universe Santa Claus who busts the skulls of the naughty through his Boreal Blade ability, which gives him a 50-50 chance of freezing any enemy he strikes. As said before, Raid is free to play and offers new content and events on a regular basis, and if you use my link in the description below, you can earn even more awesome in-game swag. If you're looking for a really awesome champion, Raid has recently introduced a new one. Bust skulls as the legendary Ronda Rousey by logging into Raid for 7 days to get her for free in this new promotion lasting until February 20th. She's a legendary attack magic champion with godlike strength. Check the link provided below to download Raid Shadow Legends today and start making a name for yourself and your clan with unique bonuses and champions. And now, back to the video. So Naruto and the rest of Team 7 are going on said mission, taking Tazuna to the Land of Waves, unsuspecting of the action that awaits. The Demon Brothers would appear from hiding. Normally Naruto would freeze up. I don't exactly expect him to here, as the Hyuga are one of, if not the most formidable clans in all of Konoha, and for good reason too. Not just because of their eyes, but because of their dedication and discipline, which means they train hard enough to be worthy of the Byakugan they possess. So Naruto likely wouldn't freeze, having seen it coming with his near 360-degree field of vision. He would have gotten out of the way in time. Sasuke would take one of them, and Naruto would likely attempt his imperfect gentle fist techniques, likely trying the 8 trigrams 64 palms, something that, while managing to paralyze parts of his opponent's body, leaves enough open to cause Naruto to be in danger. He would be saved though by Kakashi, who warns him that while it is important to be innovative on the battlefield, combat against a deadly opponent is no place to try new tricks. Continuing on, they're caught by Zabuza, who stands in their way. After a short battle with Kakashi, Naruto and Sasuke are forced into the action due to their mentor having been caught in a water prison. Naruto and Sasuke must be called upon to fight Zabuza, and they must act fast because Kakashi is slowly drowning in this bubble made of water. Now, all things considered, Naruto's Hyuga heritage here does not offer him enough new abilities to assume that he beats Zabuza in some new and exciting way. His reserved and disciplined nature would keep him open to ideas, and when Sasuke declares his plan to Naruto, Naruto would agree to it as the best course of action that they could take on such short notice. Transforming himself into a Demon Wind Shuriken, Naruto allows himself to be thrown by Sasuke in the shadow of a second Demon Wind Shuriken. This is a double feint though, as they expect Zabuza to see through their first trick, but not their second. Once Zabuza dodges these, Naruto will launch the true attack with his kunai that he would throw with incredible accuracy due to his Byakugan. Zabuza dodges it just in time not to be harmed by the weapon, but his dodging forces him to release Kakashi, which ultimately leads to his faked demise. Making it to Tezuna's house, we are witness to Kakashi training his students to control their chakra, particularly at the bottom of their feet, which will allow them to climb vertical surfaces, stand on inverted surfaces, and even run across the surface of a body of water. Sakura would explain it to them before demonstrating that she herself is proficient. Sasuke would have his standard issues with it. However, when it comes down to Naruto, one of two possibilities play out. The first is possible that due to his training as a Hyuga, he would already know this technique. The second possibility is that he doesn't know this technique, but picks it up immediately. The reason why he'd be able to do this is that the Hyuga have two abilities, not one. They have the dojutsu called the Byakugan, yes, but that is only one of their special abilities. They possess a second, which people tend to forget. It's required to be proficient in the gentle fist style. They possess the rare ability to be able to properly control the chakra out of any of their 361 tenketsu. This ability is what allows them to use the ability Gentle Fist Palm Rotation, the technique reputed to be an absolute defense by the Hyuga. And Naruto would possess the natural ability to do so, meaning that his chakra control is naturally phenomenal. He would probably be able to do this more quickly and with less difficulty than Sakura, something that earns him respect in Sasuke's eyes. However, it also earns him resentment as Naruto's growth rate is quickly catching up with and threatening to surpass Sasuke's. Then, back at the house, we would see another change when Inari begins to criticize the team over their heroics. Normally, Naruto would just snap and jump down the small bean's throat, but not Naruto Hyuga. Naruto Hyuga is disciplined. He will not be baited by a 4-year-old. So basically, Inari just cries himself to sleep in his room, and Naruto never really spurs him to change. Inari never changes, meaning he never spurs on anyone else to change either, and that will end up very bad moving forward. Especially considering that Naruto already completed his training, meaning he'll never meet Haku, nor will he be around when they come to take Inari. Naruto would be on the bridge when Haku attacks and likely end up in the demonic mirroring ice crystals technique. Now here, much like Sasuke, Naruto can dodge the incoming Senbon due to his Byakugan. In fact, he can dodge it better than Sasuke due to possessing a 360-degree field of vision, and if they stand back to back, they can better keep up with Haku and the Senbon. On top of that, Naruto has palm rotation, which is an absolute defense. It takes up a lot of chakra to use in succession or for an extended period of time, but with all of these things, Naruto and Sasuke can buy some time. Time that Kakashi will be able to use to defeat Zabuza, and if we all know Haku, and we do, he will prioritize Zabuza's safety over anything, resulting in him breaking off his attack to sacrifice himself for his mentor. That would result in Sasuke and Naruto breaking from the Mirror Dome. Yet they are tired and weakened, and there are a few Senbon sticking out of them. Zabuza would have been defeated, though he would still try to attack. This is when Gato and his men appear to end it all, holding Inari and Tsunami hostage. Team 7 immediately backs off when their lives are threatened. Zabuza, on the other hand, does not. He goes about killing them all, killing Gato, then moving to his men. He decimates them, but they would end up killing him. This results in the deaths of Inari and Tsunami as revenge for the death of Gato. This deeply affects Tezuna, who is never quite the same. Team 7 would return to Konoha. The bridge would eventually be completed, but Tezuna's life would be ruined, coming to an end in a drunken stupor somewhere in the streets, having lost everyone close to him, believing that it would have just been better to have been killed on the way home by the Demon Brothers. The team would be in a funk from the way their mission ended, with Kakashi telling them that sometimes there were times when missions just weren't satisfying, times when the cost of victory made you question that very victory. He said that it was only human, but that they couldn't let it dissuade them from continuing their work. They couldn't let it get in their heads. He comforted them in reminding them that while they failed to save 2 people, they saved an entire village from a greedy mafioso, and that should be something to focus on instead. And with that, Naruto and Team 7 would continue their work, with Naruto returning home to the Hyuga compound where he continues to train with Neji and play with Hanabi while Hinata couldn't. Through this, Naruto grew stronger and closer to finishing the 8 trigrams 64 palms technique, one that he, like Hinata, was struggling to learn. He could see what he needed to strike, and he could control his tenketsu, but making his body move the way he wanted it at such speeds was a bit harder. And that was why Neji tended to defeat Naruto. After that, Naruto and his team would be informed that the Chunin exams were coming to the village and that they were allowed to enter. The team would celebrate and together would leave to join in. They would then be stopped by Lee, who had hoped to face Sasuke in battle, and though their battle is interrupted, it becomes clear to Sasuke that Lee would have won and that he needs to focus on his taijutsu more. They sign up for the exams and begin with the first test, that being the written test. Originally, Naruto struggled quite a bit, while Sasuke and Sakura effortlessly breezed through it. This time though, Naruto is ready, due to possessing the Byakugan, which allows him to find the one genin with all the right answers and copy him. Is it cheating? Yes. Does it matter? No, because the faux goal of the test is to see who can gather intelligence without being detected, and Naruto is doing that. So technically he is doing this correctly. However, the real goal of the test is revealed in the end when they're told that the entire test to that point didn't really matter and that only the final question does. However, if they fail, they would never again get the chance to become Chunin. Naruto has nothing to lose as he plans to do something else with his life that he can technically do without being a Chunin. All students who take the question are allowed to pass, and this includes the entirety of Team 7. The second test is the Forest of Death. The teams are either given a Heaven Scroll or an Earth Scroll. The goal is to guard your scroll while taking from another team their scroll that is the opposite of the one that you have, and then take both to the building in the center of the forest. In lesser terms, it's a fancy game of capture the flag. During this mission, Naruto ends up eaten by a snake. In the original timeline, he would explode out of it with his many shadow clones, but in this, he merely uses palm rotation to ensure he can't fully go down its throat, forcing the snake to regurgitate him. Sasuke would engage Orochimaru in battle and would freeze. He would take out a kunai and begin to stab himself in the leg in an attempt to free himself from the grip of fear. They battle for a while until Naruto catches back up with them. Still, Sasuke decides to cut his losses and offer the scroll in exchange for their life, something Naruto doesn't agree with. He would take the scroll back. He wouldn't punch Sasuke, but he would chastise him for being a coward, saying that he's dragging the name of the Uchiha through the mud. Naruto would attempt to fight Orochimaru because that's all he can do. When Orochimaru summons a snake and knocks Naruto away, it seems as though Naruto might die, but that is when he suddenly taps into something deeper and awakens the chakra of the Nine Tails within. He doesn't know what it is or how he's using it. All he knows is that he suddenly has a huge chakra boost. With it, he manages to push back the snake and spurs Sasuke into action. However, this battle ends with Naruto's power being sealed and Sasuke getting branded with the Cursed Seal of Heaven. Both end up passing out for the time being. This leaves Sakura to defend them, and most of this stays the same. She struggles, but holds her own until Rock Lee appears to save her. From there, the rest of the Rookie 9 show up to protect them from Team Dosu. That is when Sasuke wakes up and obliterates Team Dosu. He's stopped short of killing them by Sakura, who calms him down and brings him back to his senses. Together with Naruto, Team 7 would find their second scroll and make it to the center of the forest to the arena. There, they'd be greeted by Iruka. Now, the preliminaries actually don't change at all, save for Naruto being more effective in his battle against Kiba and Akamaru. After this, they receive their month off. However, given that Naruto is a Hyuga, it's likely that he trains with his clan. Likely not with Neji due to the conflicting interests of both having to fight in the next rounds. Naruto probably doesn't come into contact with Jiraiya at all, and that means that he doesn't learn how to summon Gamabunta. Instead, he begins to train with Hinata instead, who had previously been eliminated by Neji. She begins to help Naruto train and perfect his skills. Naruto does so for over a month, which results in Naruto's skill increase. Then when the month is over, the time comes for the two who had been raised like brothers to have their match. Naruto stands across from Neji. Naruto takes off his forehead protector and attaches it to his arm to expose his curse mark to Neji, something that Neji sneers about. Neji would mention that Naruto has been serving Hinata like a slave and begging for training like a dog at the table of the master. Naruto responds that Hinata isn't his master, nor is he her slave. He tells Neji that she is his friend. The two battle, and Neji has the obvious lead in skills, capable of protecting himself from anything that Naruto can throw at him. But Naruto isn't done yet. He knows Neji's strength, but he also knows his weaknesses. He knows that the Hyuga have chinks in their armor, ways to break through their absolute defenses. The issue is getting close enough to Neji to do so. He rushes into attack, but is suddenly struck by Neji's 8 trigrams, 64 palms. The technique knocks Naruto back and closes many of his tenketsu, leaving him paralyzed on the ground. Neji believes that he's won, but Naruto's pure determination awakens his Nine Tails chakra, allowing him to stand. Once on his feet, he begins his next line of assault, coming in from Neji's blind spot and showing off his own 8 trigrams, 64 palms, which he has finally perfected. Neji is struck, paralyzed, and defeated by Naruto, and he's left to wonder how. How did Naruto shake off the effects of this attack? How did Naruto master the gentle fist? How could Neji be defeated by the talentless Naruto? After this, Naruto visits Neji in the infirmary where they talk about these things. Naruto mentions he's not really sure how he did any of it. It's then that Hyuga comes in. Having been moved by Neji and Naruto's struggle, as well as the trauma they've experienced and the hardships, he feels he owes it to them to tell them. For so long, Neji and Naruto have believed that the main house had forced Hisashi to kill himself. That belief is what had driven Naruto to resent Hisashi, and what had driven Neji to resent the entire main house, on top of his beliefs that he was nothing more than a servant who could never decide his own future. With tears in his eyes, Hisashi explains the truth to them both and begs for their forgiveness. Neji is stunned by this information, and while Naruto is certainly surprised, it can't be said that he didn't see it coming. Hisashi held the same beliefs that Naruto did. During the battle between Sasuke and Gaara, Sasuke manages to wound Gaara. However, before Sasuke can finish it, the battle is interrupted as the Konoha Crush begins. Kabuto puts everyone to sleep. During this time, Kumo-nin decide to take advantage of the chaos and once more attempt to take Hinata. Naruto is awakened, and though Sasuke and Sakura are fighting Gaara, Naruto has his own mission to carry out, joining Neji, Tenten, and Kiba and Akamaru on their own mission to save Hinata. They chase down the Kumo-nin and defeat them, rescuing her and returning home. Once they're home, they realize that the Hokage has been killed and that Sasuke and Sakura are in the hospital in critical condition, just barely surviving their battle. This saddens Naruto, and a few days later he's there with Hinata at the Hokage's funeral. Now, Naruto does not go with Jiraiya to recruit Tsunade specifically because he doesn't even know Jiraiya. Jiraiya goes by himself, which results in a failure to recruit Tsunade, and she is killed by Orochimaru. This results further in Danzo being chosen to be the 5th Hokage. During this time, Itachi and Kisame come to the village searching for the Ninetales. They're brought to the Hyuga compound where they search for their quarry. However, with the combined help of Naruto, Neji, as well as Hyuga, they push them back. It's then revealed to Naruto by Hisashi the truth of what he is and why they're after him. Naruto is shocked by this information, but then things begin to make sense. Hisashi tells Naruto that a time may come where he needs that tailed beast's power, and that he needs to train for it. To that end, he would introduce Naruto to Jiraiya for training. But before this, Naruto is informed that Sasuke has left the village to join Orochimaru and would go along with Neji to bring back his friend. During the course of this, Naruto would end up facing Sasuke at the Valley of the End where the two duke it out. In the end, Sasuke proves to be stronger than Naruto, and Naruto is defeated. Sasuke defects to Otogakure, and Naruto is left to train with Jiraiya, and from here, the 2.5-year time skip occurs. During this time, Jiraiya would teach Naruto summoning, Rasengan, as well as how to control his tailed beast. Of course, Naruto fails to master his version 2 during this time, but he at least manages to master his version 1 cloak to the highest degree, even finally having his first encounter with Kurama, an experience probably a lot worse than Naruto was expecting. Upon returning to the village, he's told that Gaara, the new Kazekage, has been kidnapped by a group known as the Akatsuki, and he's sent out with his team alongside Team Guy, where he gets to team up with Neji once more. Together they manage to make it to the Akatsuki hideout, but Gaara has already died. Naruto and Kakashi would manage to retrieve the body from Deidara, while Sakura and Chio manage to defeat and kill Sasori. They lament the death of Gaara, with Naruto claiming that his life was hell because of his tailed beast, which is why he ended up the way he was. Chio makes the fateful decision to sacrifice her life to save Gaara's. This is celebrated by Naruto and Sakura, who both have already forgiven Gaara. Naruto tells him that he no longer needs to worry about Shukaku. Gaara is pleased to finally be able to sleep without worry. He would be touched by Chio, Naruto, and Sakura's kindness and would begin upon a new path. One of peace, one that would begin to lead Tsunagakure in that direction. Naruto and the others would begin to return to Konoha when Sakura reveals that Sasori told her about a secret meeting between himself and a spy in Orochimaru's ranks. Once they return to Konoha, a mission is put together to get Sasuke back and kill Orochimaru. A mission that's orchestrated by Danzo and thus doesn't include Team 7. The mission becomes a root matter, and so they send various members of the Anbu, including Sai, to eliminate Orochimaru and Sasuke. However, word would return that the entire team was killed and that Orochimaru and Sasuke escaped. Danzo would then turn his attention to the Akatsuki, where he'd send various shinobi into the field to hunt them down. Team Asuma end up making contact with Hidan, which does result in Asuma's death. Naruto, during this time, is taking time to form a new ninjutsu, one that upon creation he plans to test out in the field, the Rasen Shuriken. Along with the rest of Team 7, they encounter Kakuzu. Kakashi attempts to kill him with his Chidori, but it's revealed that Kakuzu has multiple hearts. Naruto would use his Rasen Shuriken on him, managing to kill him. Shikamaru managed to get vengeance on Hidan, severing his head and burying it alive in a hole on Nara clan land, leaving him an eternity to suffer in darkness and claustrophobic earth. Naruto would take some time to heal, dealing with frustration as his new ninjutsu is named a Kinjutsu due to the injuries it causes. Word then reaches that Sasuke has killed Orochimaru and is now on his way to kill Itachi. Danzo hopes to stop this by killing both first. He especially hopes to kill Itachi as he knows that he may spill their secrets at his death. However, this team fails to return as well as Tobi engages them in combat and destroys them. Word then reaches that Jiraiya has been killed and Naruto is asked to help decipher his final message. Naruto is heartbroken though. He really enjoyed spending time with Jiraiya, and to think that he's gone now really upsets him. He'd return to the Hyuga compound where he'd find comfort from Hiyashi, Hinata, Hanabi, and Neji, 4 people he considers to be family. After this, he would go to Mount Myoboku to train with the Toad Sages to learn Sage Mode. He would successfully learn it just in time as Pain attacks the village. He'd quickly return to find the village decimated. Facing Pain, honestly, nothing really changes about this. Even Hinata's claim of love. In fact, I'm surprised it took her this long. She's been exposed to Naruto long enough that I'm sure she's grown more comfortable with him. Naruto manages to defeat the 6 paths of pain. He would then find Nagato, and together the two would talk about their differing ideologies. Naruto would convince Nagato of the errors of his ways, which would result in Nagato deciding to revive the dead he had killed in Konoha with the Samsara of Heavenly Life technique. Naruto is hailed as a hero of both the Leaf and the Hyuga, with the latter throwing a huge party for him. After this, though, comes the 5 Kage Summit, which Danzo attends. However, Sasuke crashes the party. He had killed Itachi, and after passing out, he would have been notified by Tobi about the truth of the Uchiha and what had happened. Since then, Sasuke's search for vengeance had transformed from hatred of his brother to hatred of the village, and he's since set out on the warpath to destroy the village. That warpath leads him to the 5 Kage Summit where he plans to kill the Hokage, Danzo. After the 4th Shinobi World War has been declared, all Kage scatter back to safety after the alliance is formed. Danzo is cornered by Sasuke. At first, Danzo has the edge due to his usage of Izanagi. However, Sasuke manages to survive the finite time limit with Karin's help. And finally, in the ultimate act of betrayal, he stabs through Karin to kill Danzo. Sasuke is then encountered by Sakura, Kakashi, and Naruto. This results in a short battle between Naruto and Sasuke, which results in Sasuke fleeing due to going blind from overusing his Mangekyo Sharingan. Naruto is also accidentally poisoned by Sakura, who had attempted and failed to kill Sasuke. They return to the village and Kakashi would be elected to be the new leader of Konoha, acting as its 6th Hokage. First order of business, put Naruto in a safe place. If he is the ultimate goal of the Akatsuki, he needs to be hidden so that the Akatsuki can never finish their plans. Naruto would be sent to train with Killer Bee, who would be helping him learn how to master his tailed beast's power. First though, he's required to corner the darkness in his heart, but once he's conquered that, he can move on to conquering the darkness in Kurama's heart. He battles Kurama in this headspace, but is aided by Kushina, who helps hold it down while Naruto removes the tailed beast's chakra. This allows him to enter Ninetales chakra mode and sense the war. However, unlike in the original timeline, Naruto stays put. He knows his importance to the war and that if he's captured, the Ten Tails will awaken. If anything, he needs to stay behind and guard Killer Bee to ensure that nobody gets the 8 Tails. However, Kisame Hoshigaki appears to take the 8 and 9 Tails from them. After overpowering him, Naruto would inform him that he can't take their tailed beasts. Kisame would state that he doesn't need to. All he needs to do is take some of their chakra. That is all that's required to awaken the Ten Tails. Kisame then flees, and though he's caught and killed, his blade Samehada is nowhere to be found. Naruto and Killer Bee know that there is no reason to remain behind, and they rush to the front lines. They would be stopped by the Raikage, who would tell them to return to safety, but Naruto would explain that the Akatsuki don't need the whole beast, just a little bit of the chakra, and that now the Akatsuki have their chakra due to their attack on the Turtle Island. The Raikage decides to let them join in to give them a chance at victory. They would have to fight through various different Edo Tensei and seal them, including Itachi. Naruto would not have got the chance to be gifted Konohama Tsukami by Itachi due to Danzo attempting to send a kill squad after him instead of Team 7. And trust me, this changes a lot. This makes their battle harder as they need to seal or give peace to the Edo Tensei they face, and due to Sasuke never meeting Itachi, he never gets that change of heart nor the desire to stop, and this results in him abandoning the war effort simply in hopes of destroying Konoha. Naruto would then make it to the final battle where he would manage to defeat Obito with the help of Kakashi's Mangekyo Sharingan. However, this does not stop the reawakening of the Ten Tails, nor its absorption by Obito. For a while, Obito rages, but so does the Ten Tails. Naruto is too busy focusing on Obito to realize he's about to die. Hinata jumps in the way to save him, but before she's killed, Neji jumps in to save her. Naruto is stunned. Neji looks back upon the road they've come down and finds it ironic that, in the end, despite having been given a choice, he still chose to serve the main house and die for the heiress. Naruto begs him not to go, but Neji can't hold on. He entrusts the future to Naruto, telling him that Naruto's dream to free the branch house is worth chasing, and he needs to accomplish it. He then dies, his curse mark kicking in, sealing his Byakugan. Naruto doesn't know how to respond, but Hinata tells Naruto that Neji and so many others have died just to get Naruto this far and are entrusting the future to him. She snaps him out of it, and Naruto begins to fight against Obito. Naruto, however, cannot beat him alone and is seemingly killed. Hinata and Sakura desperately try to wake him, but he seems to be gone. In his own head, he laments his death and how he failed everyone. He's then met by the Sage of Six Paths, who wakes him and tells him that the threat of the Ten Tails must be quelled. He then tells Naruto the story of the Ten Tails, Kaguya, and the infinite Tsukiyomi. He leaves it to Naruto to stop the events from transpiring. To this end, he gives Naruto some of his Six Paths chakra, and awakens him. Naruto awakens. Sakura and Hinata ask him if he's okay. Naruto says that he is, and that he knows what he must do. He rushes to the battlefield to face Obito. Obito asks him if he's back for more. Naruto opens his eyes, revealing them to be Tenseigan, and tells him that he is. Obito mentions that something about Naruto has changed, and Naruto notes that it has, and that he won't lose again. He activates his Tenseigan chakra mode, his body flaring to life with blue chakra as truth-seeking balls appear behind him. Naruto attacks Obito and manages to beat him back, removing the Ten Tails from him. After having a heart-to-heart, Naruto convinces Obito of his wrongdoings the same as he had with Pain, causing Obito to desire to bring back the life of all those he had killed in the war. However, he fails as Black Zetsu forces him to revive Madara. Madara is revived and absorbs the Ten Tails himself, becoming its Jinchuriki. Naruto saves Obito from death using his yin-yang release and then proceeds to fight Madara, but he cannot beat him within the time limit and the moon rises overhead. Madara is ready to cast the infinite Tsukiyomi, but Black Zetsu betrays him, transforming him into Kaguya Otsutsuki. Naruto would then engage her in battle along with Sakura, Kakashi, and Obito. Obito is killed by Kaguya's all-killing Ash Bones. However, before he passes on to the afterlife, he allows Kakashi to use his double Mangekyo Sharingan. Now, believe it or not, Naruto has two ways to defeat Kaguya. He has seals, yes. I assume that if Hagoromo gives him both halves of his chakra instead of just one, then Naruto will get both seals. However, there's also the other way, which ironically is the same thing. Naruto right now has the Tenseigan, and the Tenseigan, much like the Rinnegan, has control over the attracting and repulsing forces of gravity, but on a far greater scale, as the Tenseigan's feats in the Naruto movie put its Chibaku Tensei powers on par with Six Paths Chibaku Tensei, which was capable of imprisoning Kaguya in the moon. So if we assume that Naruto can manage to pull off such a feat, he could defeat her in that way too. That is the reason why I'll end this battle as such. Naruto claps his hands together, touching the two seals as he uses the power of his Tenseigan to create a massive Chibaku Tensei the size of the moon, and manages to lock Kaguya away in it. The Sage of Six Paths then brings everyone back from that alternate dimension. Due to this, peace resumes, however, not all is well. After the war, Naruto must find and face Sasuke. Naruto would manage to catch Sasuke and the two would fight, but Naruto would manage to beat Sasuke and Sasuke would be imprisoned. Unable to get over his hatred, he rots in prison. Time would pass and Naruto and Hinata are officially dating each other. However, Toneri has his own plans. He beats the crap out of Hiashi, which Naruto takes personally. Going even more personal, Toneri kidnaps Hanabi and removes her Byakugan to put into his own head. Even more personal than that, he kidnaps his girlfriend to force into a marriage before he ends the world. I'ma tell ya, Toneri just pooped in his Easter basket. Naruto goes to the moon and the two Tenseigan users do battle. Naruto shows greater power, training, skill, and overall ability, which results in Toneri's defeat. Naruto would then show his kind side by not killing Toneri, instead simply showing him the truth that it was not Hamura's will to destroy the Earth. And because of that, Toneri repents his decision to destroy Earth and remains a recluse on the moon, despite an offer to come to Konoha. He vows to protect Earth from his place on the moon, just as Hamura did all those years ago. After this, a lot of time passes and Naruto marries Hinata and the two begin to have children. First is Boruto, his name of the same convention as Naruto and Minato's, but also a slight reference to Uncle Neji. Then, not long after that, Himawari is born. Hinata would take her place as the heir of the Hyuga clan with Hanabi's blessing, and Naruto would end up thrust into the Hokage's spot since there is literally nobody else who can. Not exactly the dream he hoped for. However, Hinata decides to change things herself and discontinues the ritual of branding all secondary branch members, just as Naruto had hoped. Naruto would then lead the village. Eventually Momoshiki and Kinshiki would appear. The issue here is that I don't know if they can find Naruto. Sasuke is not here to teleport them. If not, the series ends there and Momoshiki harvests all the chakra on Earth. But if we BS a way for Naruto to be rescued, he might just be able to beat them on his own. When it comes down to fighting against Ishiki, Naruto might need to use Baryon mode, which would definitely kill Kurama, but we'd get to see an awesome version of Baryon mode in which Naruto's cloak and tails are blue. And that's pretty much it before the Code arc, and beyond that, I wish to answer a question I'm sure you're all asking. How did Naruto get the Tenseigan? Well, the Tenseigan is essentially the Byakugan's version of the Rinnegan. Some might not consider it the same thing, but I have reason to believe that it is a six paths technique. Specifically because Hamada is said to have had a Tenseigan and possessed six paths chakra. But beyond this, if you look at Toneri in his chakra mode, he actually possesses these little black orbs. See him? That's what you call truth-seeking balls. And in the entirety of Naruto, nobody has ever had truth-seeking balls unless they possessed six-path senjutsu. This technically means that the chakra mode is actually a form of six-path sage mode that Toneri is using. This is further hinted to be true when Toneri is gathering the Byakugan to him to continue destroying the earth and accidentally flies into direct sunlight, causing his body to warp due to going beyond his natural limits for chakra. He was pushed beyond those natural limits by sunlight. Natural energy. This suggests that Toneri possessed six-path senjutsu when he awakened Tenseigan, so I assume that if Naruto possessed Byakugan and got six-paths chakra, he'd do the exact same thing, including getting six-path sage mode and Tenseigan, but that's just me. A metal sheet, brittle and weak like glass, reflecting back the image it saw to the one who looked into it. Naruto couldn't have been more than 6 or 7 years old. As he stood there, looking into the mirror that stood before him, he couldn't help but notice that his eyes were now large silver orbs, like pearls. They were very pretty, but highly disorienting. Naruto just woke up one day and they were like this. What was it? And why was it that now everything looked so weird? It was like looking through a fisheye lens. Frankly, Naruto was standing in front of the mirror because he was about to brush his teeth. Why? Well, it wasn't because he hadn't brushed his teeth today already, it was because of the disorienting nature of his new vision that made him sick to his stomach. He felt like a fly on the wall, seeing everything at once. His mind couldn't make sense of everything and had grown dizzy, which resulted in him losing his lunch. That being said, he wasn't focusing on that. Instead, he was too preoccupied with this new development in his physiology. He wasn't scared like most probably would be. He thought he had seen something like this before in school, but he wasn't sure when. That being said though, he called the only adult on his speed dial, Hiruzen, and asked him to come make sure he was okay. Said he got sick and something seemed strange about his body. Hiruzen, of course, probably began to think that the Ninetales was getting out, so he dropped everything and rushed to Naruto's apartment as fast as he could, ready to perform a new sealing ritual on him if need be. Knocking on the door, Hiruzen called in. "Naruto, if you can hear me, please open the door." "It's already unlocked, Oji-san," Naruto's voice called out. Hiruzen twisted the handle and pushed the door open. He walked through the apartment. "Where are you, Naruto?" "I'm in the bathroom." Hiruzen stopped by the door. "Are you okay? Can I come in?" "Yes." Hiruzen began to slowly push the door open, seeing Naruto brushing his teeth. Hiruzen stepped in and looked around. "You said you were sick," he said, peeking into the toilet only to see nothing. "Yeah, it's not that bad. I'm just really dizzy." "What's changed?" Hiruzen asked. "This," Naruto said and pointed to his eyes. At first, Hiruzen didn't know what he was looking at. He wondered if they could be cataracts. At such a young age though. As he looked into them, he spoke. "Can you see well?" "I can see everything actually. I can even see the back of my own head." Hiruzen pulled back questioningly. "You can?" Naruto nodded. He put his hand behind Naruto's head and lifted his index, middle, and ring finger. "How many fingers am I holding up?" 3. "And also, you might want to trim your fingernails. They're getting pointy like a witch." Hiruzen pulled his hand back around and looked. He actually could use a trimming, he thought. It began to occur to Hiruzen that Naruto might actually be in possession of Byakugan. But how did he get it? Something was very strange here. It shouldn't be possible. "Are you almost finished brushing your teeth?" Hiruzen asked. Naruto nodded. "Okay, then spit and rinse. I think I'm going to take you to a doctor to make sure you're healthy." Naruto almost seemed to panic. Do you think I'm dying?" Hiruzen smiled and shook his head. "No, I don't, Naruto. I just find it very strange. It seems like you've formed Byakugan, and I don't think you're a Hyuga. You're not in any physical danger by any means. I just want to know what happened and why, okay?" Naruto nodded. Hiruzen smiled. "Good boy. Now go, get your shoes on." Naruto ran toward his room, running into the corner of the doorframe as he did so. Shaking his head, he ran off again. Be careful," Hiruzen called out. Getting his shoes on, he came back. "Something feels weird." Hiruzen looked down and saw that Naruto had put his shoes on the wrong feet. He must not be used to his Byakugan yet. Dyslexia and inaccuracy are actually quite common in Hyuga children who have only just awakened their Byakugan. Hiruzen lifted him up. "Do you think it would be better if I carry you?" Naruto said yes to that with a smile. It quickly became a no when Naruto realized that the bouncing in elevation from the ground would make him even dizzier. Let's just say Hiruzen had to stop by the laundromat first. "Sorry, Oji-san," Naruto said with a hint of shame in his voice. "It's okay, Naruto. This time, why don't I just let you walk and you hold my hand? And if you start feeling queasy, let me know and we'll stop for a rest." Getting to the doctor, Hiruzen sent in a call to Hiyashi Hyuga about this, who was shocked to hear that a new set of Byakugan awakened randomly, and promised to meet Hiruzen before too long. The doctor went over his eyes. "Yup, looks like Byakugan. Some internal structure." "How did he awaken them? Is he Hyuga?" Hiruzen asked. The doctor shrugged. "Only one way to find out." Pulling out a syringe, he drew closer. Naruto froze in place, his original inquisitive nature now suddenly like an antelope, aware of a lion's presence. "Now just hold still and I'll..." Naruto suddenly jumped onto the wall, onto the ceiling, and back to the ground behind the doctor. Making it for the door, he ran into the frame again, being put upon his rear. Hiruzen tried to catch him, but before he could, Naruto was up and gone. He raced through the office, trying to make for his escape. As soon as he got around the corner, he ran into a pair of robed knees. Looking up, he saw the judgmental stare of Hiyashi, whose arms were crossed. Grabbing the boy by the collar of his shirt, he carried him back to the examination room like a naughty cub. "Don't make me paralyze you," Hiyashi said as he sat him on the bench. "Thank you, Lord Hiyashi." He drew some blood, much to Naruto's chagrin. Naruto, Hiyashi, and Hiruzen would wait outside as the doctor ran tests. Coming around, the doctor spoke. "Results are in. Hiyashi Hyuga, you are not the father." "What's that supposed to mean?" Hiyashi asked. "It's my way of saying that Naruto is not a Hyuga. No genetic markers placing him anywhere near being a member of your family." Hiyashi was confused. "Run the tests again. Something doesn't make sense." "I did, sir. I ran his blood against yours and against all other Hyuga on record. He matches none of them. There's a 0% chance that he has Hyuga blood." "That just doesn't make sense," Hiyashi said. "Well, you see, it's possible that he and you share a common ancestor, but other than that, there's nothing linking you two together. Where his Byakugan came from, I have no clue whatsoever, but I know for certain there is no genetic connection." Hiyashi couldn't believe that and decided he wanted a second opinion, then a third opinion. By the end of it, he had asked every doctor in Konoha, military and private, to examine Naruto's blood sample. All of it came back the same. No connection. As Hiruzen sat in his office, Hiyashi paced back and forth, unable to wrap his mind around it. "The Uzumaki clan has never been known to awaken the Byakugan. Something isn't right. We need to check and see if maybe they're transplant." "They're not," Hiruzen said. "We had him get an x-ray to check, remember? There were no incision scars on the nerves. Furthermore, Naruto has displayed the ability to turn them off from time to time, which is not something a transplanted Byakugan can do. You just have to face the facts. Naruto has Byakugan now." Hiyashi stopped for a moment and stood still, thinking. He needs the curse mark. Hiruzen cut his eyes over to Hiyashi as the long-haired man began cooking in his head. He needs the mark. "No, he does not. He's not a Hyuga and should not be put under Hyuga control. He possesses our Kekkei Genkai. We are custodians of the Byakugan. He needs to receive the mark or he can't have our Kekkei Genkai." Hiruzen stopped. "What does that mean?" Hiyashi stood there. "What it sounds like." Hiruzen stared into Hiyashi for a moment before shaking his head. "No, I will not allow you to claim the Byakugan Naruto awakened. He has no genetic proof that he belongs to your clan. He's an Uzumaki through and through.
I knew both of his parents, and so did you. You will not put a mark on him, nor will you remove the eyes from his head. If you try to do either, there will be consequences, Hiyashi. Drastic consequences. And what's that supposed to mean? Hiyashi asked. Are you planning to do the same thing to us that you did to the Uchiha? You wouldn't dare. Hiruzen stood. That was not my decision to make, Hiyashi. Hiyashi then spoke. Wasn't it? What do you believe yourself to be, Lord Sarutobi? You're the Hokage. Everything is your decision to make. If you didn't make that decision, then someone went behind your back and did it for you. They have been dealt with. No, they haven't, Hiyashi said. Face it, Hiruzen, you will sit there and talk of consequences, but you've never once imposed such a thing on anyone. The Third Shinobi World War? You traded so many lives and so much honor just to get peace 3 days early. The Uchiha, I know what happened there. I know about the uprising, but did that require the innocent to die along with the guilty? 4 out of every 5 Uchiha that were killed had nothing to do with the uprising. That was a cultural cleansing, and you dare talk to me and my clan about consequences. For all I know, you would let us be destroyed. But you know what? I don't think you will, because you need us. The Uchiha were a large part of Konoha's military might, and now that they're gone, the Hyuga are pulling that weight. For you, and you dare threaten us. Without us, this village would be nothing. It would be consumed by every other nation around it, and you know that. You won't do jack shit. You never have, you never will. Hiyashi left the room. Hiruzen stood there for a few moments before sinking back down into his seat. Propping his head up on the table by his hands, he took a deep breath and sighed. Pulling his fingers down so his eyes may be exposed, he looked over at the wall of all the Hokage to ever hold office. Hashirama, Tobirama, Minato. He spoke straight into the second Hokage's image. Tobirama-sensei, what am I supposed to do? He could feel Tobirama's glare. Tobirama had never smiled. It was such a rare thing to see as his expression. He was so analytical, not too unlike Orochimaru, though the latter was more expressive. The only expression Tobirama ever seemed to display was a cold, calculating disappointment with everything, as if he were judging everyone and everything he looked at. And now, as Hiruzen sat there, he felt the eyes of Tobirama directed straight at him, as if saying, you failed us. You failed me. You were not worthy of the title. I should have given it to another. Maybe you should have, Hiruzen said, holding a mock conversation with the second Hokage in his mind. His eyes turned to Minato. He heard in his head the promise he had made Minato, that he would protect Naruto. And as he thought about what Hiyashi had said, he began to fear that Hiyashi might do something. Picking up his phone, he dialed a number. Yes, get me Team Ro. I have something for them to do. Inu sat outside of the building, looking upon a house. To his side was Tenzo. The two of them were pretty much all that was left of their small team ever since Itachi had flown the coop. A story still burning in their hearts. The deaths of hundreds, all of them at the hands of their former ally. The same ally who had been so passive. He had seemed to be a pacifist, but all the while he spoke of how much he hated war and killing, Itachi was Anbu, sitting at the very center of war, at the dirtiest point of killing. Kakashi had always seen it as weird, but now he knew it was all an act. Considering what he had done, how he didn't need to actually do it, and the supposed reason given by the only survivor. Itachi was a liar, a scam artist, and this had left a bad taste in Inu's mouth. Hey, Kakashi, Tenzo said. Yamato, you can't use my real name when you're on task, Inu said. Well, you just used mine. Kakashi rolled his eyes. What is it, Yamato? The way that Lord Sarutobi spoke. Do you think the Hyuga will also turn on us? And need to be... Kakashi looked over. Whether they do or don't is not our decision to make. It's Lord Third's. We're just doing our job. I don't think I can do it, Yamato said. Our team was responsible for the deaths of all of those Uchiha, those children. For a moment, Yamato flashed back to his time under Orochimaru's care. How he had been taken from his home and experimented on, along with countless other children. How he had been the only survivor. Survivor's guilt, and the guilt of being connected to Itachi, who had done something so evil. And now the fear that he might be ordered to do the same to the Hyuga. He wasn't sure his heart was strong enough to do it. Kakashi wanted to reprimand his subordinate for questioning orders, but at the same time, Kakashi felt the same. He had seen enough death to fill multiple lifetimes. He didn't want to see more. We just have to hold out hope that nothing will happen. You know Lord Third doesn't want anything bad to happen to the Hyuga either. What comes next will be the Hyuga's decision, not ours. All because one little boy gained a Byakugan. I wonder what's so special about him that he can upset the balance in Konoha. The balance in Konoha has been this way since the Uchiha clan downfall. The Uchiha were seen as threats to the village since that night 7 years back, but most agreed that the response was too far. Some blame Hiruzen for that reaction, for a lack of strength, saying it's his fault that so many innocent people died. Perhaps Lord Hiyashi is simply angry about that, angry and worried. There may not be any threat to our village right now, so don't worry about it. We're just here on guard duty. If we're lucky, we won't have to see anything happen to anyone. Kakashi continued to look through his monocular. He saw Naruto in his kitchen eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. He sat there and proceeded to chow down. Who even is this kid anyway? Yamato asked. As Kakashi watched, he spoke. Someone very dear to a couple I cared about. Yamato looked up. You know the kid's parents? Kakashi remained quiet. I won't pry if it's too painful, but if possible, I'd like to know if there's a reason that he awakened the Byakugan, and if it's because of them. You're not paid to ask questions, Kakashi said. Technically I am. Anbu investigate as well. Yes, but you're not paid to investigate this, so sit back and be quiet. Yamato let out a sigh. Fine. Some time passed and nothing seemed to be happening. It was the dead of night. Naruto had long since gone to bed, and Yamato was beginning to fall asleep where he was sitting. Kakashi was remaining ever vigilant. As Yamato's Z count began to rise to a couple of units, he was startled back to consciousness by Kakashi's foot. Nani? He sat forward. What's up? Kakashi put a finger to his mouth as to say, hush. Yamato rose up to his knees and began to look at what Kakashi was pointing at. From this vantage point, they could see Naruto laying in bed asleep. But what was disturbing is that there were flashes of light in the living room outside of his door. Beams of light sweeping the floor and everything else. Someone's in his apartment, Kakashi said. Then we need to do something about it, Yamato replied. The two of them began to jump from rooftop to rooftop. Getting closer, they saw a shadow in Naruto's room as a hand holding a cloth covered his mouth. For a moment, Naruto was startled awake before passing out again. Whoever did this loaded Naruto up onto his shoulder. Kakashi and Yamato both pulled their tantos and a couple of shuriken. Be careful not to hit the kid, Kakashi said. Yamato nodded. Kakashi led the charge, jumping from the roof through the window. Landing over Naruto's bed, he rolled to a stop. Yamato was close behind. Seeing one of the shadows peeking at him, Kakashi threw his shuriken, only for the guy to dodge. There was much scrambling and the sound of voices giving orders. They were leaving the apartment. Kakashi and Yamato rushed into the living room and saw the group exit. Chasing after, they saw them jump over a railing to a rooftop below. They began escaping in that direction. Yamato and Kakashi followed after closely. As they chased, Yamato spoke. Kakashi, I'm nervous. What if it's the Hyuga? Who cares? If they're defying the Hokage's orders, then we have to kill them. But what if this leads to the destruction of the Hyuga clan? What if the loss of the Hyuga leads to the destruction of Konoha in general? We can't think about that now, Yamato. Get a grip. We have a job to do. Yamato nodded. They passed over the wall to the outside of Konoha. As they ran through the forest, Kakashi tried to throw kunai out at the shinobi escaping with their prize, but he missed. Tenzo, Kakashi called. On it. Yamato began weaving hand signs. It was a good thing they were in a forest. They were in Yamato's element. Wood release, nativity of a world of trees. Suddenly, the entire forest around them began to warp and twist. The best thing about this was he didn't have to waste more chakra forming the wood required to do this. He was nowhere near Hashirama Senju's level of expertise. It was best that he had trees around, as he could make use of his techniques without wasting more chakra than needed. The forest seemed to come alive as the shinobi bobbed and weaved through every branch and limb. Suddenly, they passed by a certain tree with many vines. The vines reached out and grabbed the shinobi's legs, dragging them back. The shinobi attempted to cut themselves out. Suddenly, a vine wrapped around Naruto and pulled him free. The strange shinobi pulled their weapons, foregoing the surrender Kakashi and Yamato called for. The group scuffled with Kakashi and Yamato until every last one of them were dead. As they stood there looking down on the bodies, Yamato couldn't help but feel fear. Reaching down, they pulled off the masks. They weren't Hyuga. Yamato let out a sigh. Though they had hidden it, they possessed the marks of Kumogakure on their forehead protectors. Kakashi stood there, looking at them for a moment before shifting his attention to Naruto. Jumping up into the trees, he cut the boy free and cradled him in his arms. Looking down as the child slept, he felt a bittersweet pain echo through his heart. The friends he had lost, the family, everything. Yet now there was a chance to share a connection he had felt long since was severed. We need to return him to Konoha. Kakashi and Yamato were in the office of the Hokage, explaining everything that had happened. We killed the offending shinobi. They appear to be from Kumo. Hiruzen thought about it. Remembering the Hyuga affair, he recalled how desperate Kumo was to get their hands on the Byakugan. They would even attempt to capture a 3-year-old girl just to take her eyes. It was no surprise that something similar would happen to Naruto. Hiruzen would mention this to the Raikage in a meeting, and of course the Raikage denied it, saying that he had no shinobi in the area, but the Raikage wasn't above lying, as Hiruzen knew all too well. It wasn't long after that Hiyashi showed up in the Hokage's office. "I heard what happened. Kumo has their dirty hands back in our business." Hiruzen nodded. "Indeed." Hiyashi stood there for a moment before rolling his eyes and sighing. "Look, Hiruzen, I'm sorry about what I said last time we met. I said a lot of disrespectful things that were out of line." Hiruzen waved his hand. "No, what hurt most was the realization that you were right all along. I'm not the strongest Hokage to exist. I cannot ward off other nations. I can't even protect one child, let alone a whole village." It was then that Hiyashi spoke. "I know you want to protect Naruto, but so long as his Byakugan are not protected by a curse mark of some sort, he will always be in danger." Hiruzen listened. "I know, but I just..." Hiyashi pushed a scroll forward. "What's this?" Hiruzen asked as he lifted the scroll up. "This is a formula. It's the same type we Hyuga use, but with a good few alterations to it to protect our own seal. You can put this on him, and the control of the seal will be completely and utterly yours. The Hyuga won't have control over it. His Byakugan will be sealed, and nobody will be able to take them from him again." Hiruzen looked at the scroll and thought about it. "I don't know. I know it seems cruel, but it's better to err on the side of caution, as opposed to letting things continue and risk Kumo trying the same thing again." Hiruzen nodded. Hiruzen would knock on Naruto's door that very same day. Naruto would slowly open the door. It seemed he was still a bit traumatized and was distrustful of strangers. Hiruzen offered a smile. "Hello, Naruto. How are you today?" Naruto was silent. Hiruzen would speak. "I take it you're still bothered by what happened last night?" Naruto nodded. "Well, I actually wanted to talk to you about that, and a possible way that we might be able to better protect you. Would you like to hear about it?" Naruto nodded again and let him in. As Hiruzen stepped in, he spoke. "After what happened last night, Hiyashi Hyuga offered me some advice, but I don't wish to do anything without your approval first." Hiruzen sat down and sat Naruto upon his lap. "Lord Hiyashi gave me something called a curse mark. And no, before you ask, it's not going to do anything bad to you. It's just a seal I can put on you that makes sure that nobody can ever again try to take your pretty little eyes. If you wish, I can plant it on you. But the question remains, do you even want me to do this?" Naruto thought for a moment. "Will it hurt?" Hiruzen shook his head. "No, you'll probably even forget it's there eventually. It'll protect you so that what happened last night won't happen again." Naruto then thought about it. "If it'll keep the people who want to take my eyeballs from me away, then do it, Oji-san." And so, after getting Naruto's approval, Hiruzen would plant the curse mark on Naruto, telling him that he was proud of Naruto for protecting himself like this. Hiruzen even offered a little extra to the seal in that it could be disguised by the skin the same as the 8 trigrams that Naruto possessed on his abdomen. After the seal was added, Naruto was allowed to remain by himself. He was sure to let word get out that Naruto now had a curse mark placed on his Byakugan, same as the Hyuga, in hopes of deterring any more attempts on the boy's life. Hiyashi would get home from the Hokage's office and would return to his own. There, he'd be met by a Hyuga in disguise. The disguise dissipated as the Hyuga dropped a briefcase full of money on his desk. "I emptied the faux bank account. Now our involvement in hiring those mercenaries to pose as Kumonin can't be traced back to us." Hiyashi counted the money. "Nobody followed you?" The Hyuga shook his head. "Good," Hiyashi said. "I know it was a drastic move we made, but Hiruzen needed to understand just how much danger Naruto was in. We can't leave a Byakugan like that unprotected. Enemies of the state will try to take it." Hiyashi then opened a hidden compartment and proceeded to take a secret ledger out of it. He would then go about burning the ledger to ash in his trash can, erasing all evidence that he had anything to do with that fake bank account. And now that the money was back in his possession, he could finally go back to solidifying assets to clean the money. "Nobody will ever know," he said. For the next while, Naruto would attend the academy, where he'd proceed to be picked on for having a Byakugan as he did. But it would catch the eye of another student, one Hinata Hyuga, a sweet girl and the daughter of Hiyashi Hyuga. She had overheard her father mention a boy with the Byakugan who wasn't a Hyuga, and now she understood who it was. It just so happened to be that this boy was her biggest crush. And though he seemed self-conscious about his Byakugan, he wouldn't deactivate them. When Hinata asked him about it, Naruto stated that he didn't want to. The reason being that he wanted to get used to them and understand how they worked better. Hinata began to move, continuing to prod Naruto every so often, seeing what else they had in common. Naruto not only possessed the Byakugan of her clan, but he also possessed a particular facet of their Kekkei Genkai that allowed him to expel chakra from any and all Tenketsu on his body, not too unlike a Hyuga. Despite the fact that she knew that Naruto was not a Hyuga and that it was forbidden to teach the techniques of the gentle fist to non-main branch families, especially if they weren't Hyuga, she did so anyway because Naruto was special. Not only did he possess everything that the Hyuga possess, but he was also just very cute and she quite liked him. Hinata herself was by no means a master of these arts, but what she did learn she quickly taught Naruto. She helped him get a hold of these techniques and told him who to watch to learn more. She told him to pay attention to Neji, as Neji was a master despite not being main branch. And so anytime Neji was sparring or training by himself, Naruto would watch from a distance. Neji always knew that Naruto was there but continued to train anyway. Almost every time Neji did anything, Naruto was there watching from the distance. It got to the point where Neji was annoyed and asked Naruto why he continued to watch him. Naruto stated that he just wanted to learn the gentle fist techniques as well. Neji understood his meaning. Naruto did have the Byakugan, and so maybe he deserved the tools that let him make full use of it. Was he supposed to do that? No. Did he care what anyone in his clan thought about it? No. Neji himself wasn't even supposed to know this technique, and yet he did. He mastered it faster than Hinata ever thought about mastering it, and he wasn't afraid to let the main branch know he did it. After all, he blamed them for everything they had done to his father, Hisashi. He hated what they did to him. He hated what they had done to Neji himself. He hated the way they carried themselves, their strict nature, and the fact that they basically enslaved their own family to the rules that prohibited them from ever having a dream. Neji couldn't do much to rebel against the Hyuga and their useless, overly self-protected demeanor. If he could shake up their snow globe by giving Naruto everything that made the Hyuga who they were, then he would do it in a heartbeat. Maybe if he stripped the identity of the Hyuga would fall apart from the inside out, and then maybe Neji could be free. That was his hope, and that was the exact reason he began to carefully instruct Naruto in the ways of the gentle fist, even going so far as to teach him the 8 trigrams techniques. Naruto was not a quick learner, and Neji hated that, but Naruto did have determination, so anytime Neji showed him something, Naruto would practice until eventually he would get it, even if it took him quite some time. Eventually, by the time he was 12, Naruto had long since completed his training with Neji. His chakra control was impeccable, as Neji had trained him to do, and when it came time to graduate from the academy, Naruto quickly passed and was assigned to a team. But what team was he assigned to? None other than a team led by Kakashi himself. Both Kakashi and Yamato had been removed from the Anbu by Hiruzen after Naruto had been captured. It was too obvious that they were too great in their heart to be able to do what was needed to be done as Anbu. They were sensitive, even if they wouldn't admit it, and Hiruzen knew that the best thing they could do for them was to let them be free to make their own choices. And so that's exactly what he did. He set them free, and when the time for the next generation to take on a sensei opened up, Kakashi was quick to choose Naruto as his student. He also chose Sasuke out of guilt for not being able to stop Itachi from destroying his clan. Sakura, well, she had no personal connection to Kakashi as the other two did, but Hiruzen had promised that she had high potential as well, and so Kakashi was happy to take her on too. And so the day finally came that he should introduce himself to his new students. Kakashi slowly walked down the hall toward the classroom where his students were sent. He stood outside of the door for a moment and let out a sigh. He wasn't used to the idea of being a mentor yet. He had always been more of a loner. But to be honest, he sought a reason to make use of the lessons that both Obito and Minato sensei had taught him. And so, having got his bearings, he opened the door to peek his head through, only for a chalkboard eraser to fall upon him. Sasuke sat there with Sakura, both of their eyes in shock that such a prank would actually work. Naruto was laughing like a maniac. Kakashi sighed. I already hate you guys. Naruto stood there, huffing and puffing. Neji, still in a defensive position, offered a bit of a smile as his stance softened. Your Byakugan are unlike any I've ever witnessed. Skill with the Byakugan is something some are born with and others must strive for. I've always had to strive to grow my Byakugan's potency. My maximum range currently is 50 meters, but I refuse to let it stay there. All the while, Lady Hinata's Byakugan can see 1,000 meters. Yours can see an effective range of 20,000 meters. That's nearly 12.5 miles. How does one with no Hyuga blood develop a Byakugan stronger than those of the purest of the main branch? And this is without any training whatsoever. I don't know, Naruto said, trying to catch his breath. Your guess is as good as mine. I just woke up one day and my eyes were like this. Neji returned to his full height. You know what I can see through my own Byakugan? What? Naruto asked. I can see that your eyes have the potential to see deeper than just distance. You possess a very rare ability that very few gain, and even fewer master. You can gaze into the very heart with your Byakugan. Almost nothing is hidden from your gaze. If it's within your sight, you can see it. Neji walked over and grabbed a water bottle. He downed half of it in one go. You have a future in the intelligence community. The likes of Ino Yamanaka are constantly looking for any other shinobi with the ability to look inside of the very mind. Maybe you should consider that. Naruto nodded. Maybe I will. That being said, you've gotten very proficient with these techniques, Neji said. You have more potential than most give you credit for. There's always room for improvement, but if you continue to train like this, you will come as close to perfection as any mortal man can. Naruto took these words to heart and would continue to study, train, and work with his Byakugan and the gentle fist techniques he'd been shown, all the while working with his team. His abilities made it easier for him to do the things he was asked, but not every mission is as easy as picking up groceries for an old lady. On one particular escort mission, the name of which I'm sure you remember, Naruto and his team discovered true danger. Having met with an elderly man who needed help getting home, Team 7 was chosen with the intent of helping them learn how to deal with missions outside of the village. A safe way for them to get used to the things that Chunin had to do every day. Team 7 were ecstatic. The idea of an adventure brought them joy and excitement, but as Tazuna looked upon the innocent faces of these inexperienced brats, the only thing he could feel was guilt. I'm gonna get these poor children killed, was all he thought. Naruto's smile disappeared. For a moment, it was as if Tazuna and Naruto were the only people in the world. Naruto looked deeply into Tazuna's eyes with the most concerned look. Tazuna was feeling so uncomfortable at this moment, the same feeling you would get upon realizing your phone wire had been tapped, or if a hacker had hijacked your facecam in secret. He felt his privacy were violated somehow, but he wasn't sure why. There's no chance that this boy, right? Tazuna thought. As the others smiled and laughed, or as much as Sasuke normally could, Kakashi noticed that Naruto's demeanor had changed. Naruto, is everything all right? Naruto looked at Kakashi. Kakashi suddenly began to grow nervous. Something's wrong. What is it, Naruto? Naruto cleared his expression and returned it to normal. Sorry, I was just trying to remember if I turned off my stove this morning. Kakashi's expression softened. Oh, that's a big thing to forget. We're gonna be out of town for quite a few days. I suggest you go back to make sure, just in case. Naruto shook his head. Nah, that's the benefit of the Byakugan. I can see my stove from here, Naruto said with a smile and a giggle. Kakashi smiled as well. Turning around, Kakashi would lead them out of the village. Despite this, Naruto kept his guard up near Tazuna. Every so often, he would try to probe the man's mind, which Tazuna would notice. Why do you keep staring at me, boy? Tazuna asked. You look familiar to me. Do we know each other? Naruto asked, knowing the answer was no. Of course not. Now turn those creepy papers away from me. Naruto obliged, but this didn't mean that Naruto wasn't still looking into the man's very soul. The longer he hung around him, the more Naruto dove into Tazuna's mind, realizing that they weren't just expecting highway robbers and other malcontents. As they slept one night, Naruto slipped over to Sasuke and nudged him awake. Ugh, Naruto, what the hell, man? Sasuke said, still in a point between awake and asleep. Naruto whispered, I need to talk to you about something. Can't it wait until tomorrow? Naruto shook his head. No, I gotta mention it now. We could all be dead before I get the chance to tell you again. This caught Sasuke's attention. What is it? Naruto then began to explain to Sasuke everything he had learned from reading Tazuna's mind. How do you know all this? Naruto wanted to keep it a secret, but felt like if he should tell anyone, it should be Sasuke. My Byakugan can't just see long distances and through objects. It can see directly into a person's heart, into their psyche. With it, I can read minds as easily as reading a book. And when I looked into Tazuna's heart, it was filled with guilt. He said he was gonna get us killed. I looked deeper for a bit longer, and I discovered that he lied about what the mission is about. We're not protecting him from thieves and muggers. He's got a hit placed on him. Mercenaries, assassins, bounty hunters, they could be coming for him. And if we stand in their way, they won't hesitate to kill us. Sasuke laid there for a moment before sitting up. Wait, you can just jump into anyone's mind at any time without permission? Naruto pulled back a bit. Well, yeah, but that's not the most pressing issue. It seems like a pressing issue to me, Sasuke said. Sasuke, we're about to be attacked by trained assassins who make a living off of killing people like you and me. Sasuke looked at Naruto with a glare. Every time I feel like I'm being watched. Be honest with me. Is that you? Naruto looked away. That's not important. Is that you? Naruto sighed. Yes, Sasuke, it's me. Sometimes it's easier to just look inside of your mind rather than ask. That oversteps, Naruto, Sasuke said. My mind is mine, and you shouldn't snoop there. I'm sorry, okay? I'll try not to do it anymore. But now we've got bigger problems. I don't think we should all be sleeping right now. Sasuke looked over. Should we tell Kakashi? Naruto nodded. So they went to wake up Kakashi, only to realize that he was already awake, feigning sleep but remaining vigilant. He had overheard the whole conversation.
Kakashi and the team spoke a bit more about it. He asked if they should abort the mission, but Naruto looked back at Tazuna.
I don't think so.
And why is that? Kakashi asked.
Because he's dreaming. They're not good dreams, and he's having them for a reason. If we're not here to help people, then what is a shinobi really good for?
Kakashi and Sasuke listened to what Naruto was saying, and because of that, they decided to stay on mission. They kept their guards up, being ready for anything. Naruto was point man due to his Byakugan, all while the more experienced Kakashi took up the rear. Sasuke was toward the middle, actually breaking out his Sharingan to be more aware of his surroundings. Kakashi and Sakura were both surprised about his Sharingan, with Sakura even asking about them. Sasuke told her it was a story he didn't like to think about. When Sakura pressed, Kakashi stepped in and told her it's best to let sleeping dogs lie. Naruto would stop them. What do you see, Naruto? Kakashi asked.
That puddle there, he pointed. It's out of place, and I sense thoughts, emotions.
What kinds of thoughts and emotions? Kakashi asked.
Murderous ones.
As if hearing his words, the two shinobi sprang from the water. Sasuke was the first to move. He jumped into the air to intercept them, heading straight for the chain they used to connect to each other. He grabbed it and used it to smash them into the ground. Naruto came running up from the outside and quickly, precisely began tapping their tenketsu. Before they had a chance to get up, they were already paralyzed. Naruto would then use his Byakugan to search their minds for who hired them and if there were any others on their way. He discovered that they had been hired by a man named Gato, and that they were only one of two teams, another one ahead being led by someone very close to them, a man named Zabuza and his partner Haku. The moment Kakashi heard these things, he began to wonder if it was such a good idea to continue the mission. After all, this was a former member of the 7 Ninja Swordsmen. Kakashi would say that they should turn around, but Tazuna would fall on his hands and knees, begging for mercy.
Please, he would cry, I beg you, don't turn back now. We're so close to my home. If we turn back now, my journey to Konoha would have been for nothing. I know I lied, but my people are in need. I have no more money to pay for a higher ranked shinobi. Without someone guarding our people, they will be killed and enslaved to the whims of a greedy man. Please, I beg you.
Naruto continued to read his mind.
He's not lying, Kakashi-sensei, he said. I can sense the tragedies he's seen. If we do nothing, more people will die.
But if I take you into a situation like this knowingly, and you or anyone else gets killed, I could face severe punishment.
I can take all the responsibility on myself, Kakashi-sensei. I'm going to help this man, even if it means going against your orders.
That would be a court-martial, Naruto.
I know what it would be, he said. But I can't let this man or his people suffer. I'm going, even if you don't. And if you want me to be safe, you'll have to follow and protect me, he said.
I second what Naruto's saying, Sasuke said. We started this mission and we should finish it. Sakura quickly came to their defense, stating that she would also follow them. This left Kakashi with no choice, and so they continued the mission. They would eventually find Zabuza. Kakashi demanded that they stay behind while he did the fighting, but when Kakashi was captured in the water prison, it was up to Naruto and Sasuke to free him. Sasuke's eyes blazed to life as the Sharingan they were, while Naruto's cool, pure eyes of white saw through everything Zabuza was.
What else can you do with those eyes? Sasuke asked. I can sort of predict what people will do if I can see their intent to attack. I know when an attack will come, and unless he has the foresight to do something against his own mind, I should have a higher dodge rate.
Good. We'll take him together. I'll flank him and come up the rear with Shuriken. You get close and personal with that gentle fist stuff. Remember, we only need to stop the technique.
Naruto agreed. We can either get him to move his hand or somehow disrupt his chakra flow, Naruto said. If we can do either of those things, he'll have to let Kakashi go.
Sasuke agreed with the plan, and so they began to set it into motion. Sasuke split off, creating a shadow clone, one to run to the left side while he ran to the right. Naruto came up the middle and drew close. Zabuza raised his blade. He was quick, even if he was swinging that massive blade with one hand. The good news about this was that because he could only use one hand, his movements were slower than usual, and Naruto found himself capable of dodging said things. As he got within swinging range, Zabuza dropped the blade to cut Naruto, but Naruto stepped to the side, dodging the blow entirely. Naruto came closer as Zabuza used his foot to kick Naruto away. This worked, but now that he was off balance, Sasuke threw a shuriken at him. Zabuza saw it coming and jumped over the bubble holding Kakashi, getting to the other side without removing his hand. On the other side though, a Sasuke clone threw another kunai, which Zabuza blocked with his blade. From above, Naruto came jumping in, hoping to strike Zabuza. Zabuza saw it at the last moment and swung his blade, catching Naruto in the shoulder. But where Zabuza had hoped to cleave Naruto in two, he was surprised to find that the Naruto he struck was false. It poofed away to nothingness. From behind though, Naruto was in position. He had Zabuza in range. He moved and began to perform the 8 trigrams 64 palms. The speed of the attacks increased with every strike he sent out. Upon reaching the 64th, he put his hands right into the small of Zabuza's back, sending him flying. Zabuza rolled away, crumpled. The water prison failed. As Zabuza laid there, he knew that not only had Naruto closed many of his tenketsu, but he was certain that he had broken his spine. He had caught Zabuza off guard, and because of that, Zabuza was paralyzed. The scariest thought, though, was that he might never regain function in the lower half of his legs. Suddenly, from the trees, Haku landed. He walked up to Zabuza to check on him, seeing the unnatural position he was laying. Haku looked back in sorrow and anger. Naruto immediately knew. "You care for him quite a lot." "You ruined him," Haku said, ready to attack. "I saved his life," Naruto said. "He's lucky it was me and not someone stronger. If it had been anyone else, like my friend Neji, he would have shut down all tenketsu going to his brain. I know I could have. Neji would have. He may have a broken back, but that doesn't mean he'll never walk again. The spinal cord is still connected. But let this be a wake-up call. It's time to consider a new career choice, because eventually this is going to lead you to death if you don't." Haku did his best to stabilize his master. Team 7 would head to the village from which Gato came. Kakashi was surprised with how well his team handled a threat as powerful as Zabuza, and began to wonder if he had been underestimating them. Kakashi and his team guarded the bridge. Gato sent forces against them, but they were easily repelled. Eventually, the bridge reached completion. Naruto and the others would be thanked for their help, with Tazuna promising to properly reimburse them later when the village is back on its feet. With that, they returned to Konoha, where Kakashi was quick to tell Hiruzen about the amazing feats they accomplished. Hiruzen smiled, knowing that Naruto and the others had the potential all along. It was because of this that they were allowed to enter the Chunin exams. The exams consisted of 3 different parts. One was a written test, the second was a team test via a form of capture the flag, and the last was exhibition matches. Due to his Byakugan, the written test was a breeze, as he could see every answer in the room, including the secret answer sheet that Ibiki Marino was keeping hidden in another room. And in the Forest of Death, they managed to quickly find the scroll opposite theirs. Naruto could see a distance of 12 miles and possessed X-ray vision as well, so it wasn't impossible to find. Despite this, they were still attacked by Orochimaru in disguise, and it was here that Naruto's ability to read minds truly backfired on him. Not only did Naruto feel Orochimaru's killing intent, the same that was enough to make Sakura pass out, but Naruto could also read Orochimaru's mind. He saw the depravity within, the people he had killed, and the fate he had set up for his team. This was debilitating. Sasuke was left alone to face him, which resulted in Sasuke being branded with the curse mark of heaven. For some time, Sasuke is out like a light, and it's up to Naruto and Sakura to protect him. As an enemy team from Otogakure appears, led by Dosu, Naruto tells Sakura to stay behind as he himself goes off to face them. Naruto, his Byakugan already active, his veins bulging, speaks. "You best move along now before I leave you a prisoner in your own body for the next 2 weeks. Dosu smiles. "A lot of bluster from 1 measly genin. "A lot of pride from 3 measly genin," Naruto shoots back. "I'm only outnumbered, friend, not outranked." "Only technically," Dosu said. "Not just technically. Whether you think you're Chunin or not, you're still not outranking me." "Then perhaps we should let our abilities do the talking," he said. Naruto stretched. "You came all this way for our scroll, and now you're gonna leave here on a stretcher. Sad way to end the Chunin exams." "No, we didn't come here for a scroll. We came here to kill you," Dosu said. Naruto's brow furrowed. "Oh, how unfortunate for you, because now I don't feel obliged to hold back." Within a moment, all 3 were moving. Naruto had formed 2 shadow clones to help even the odds. Considering how his taijutsu worked, having 2 others to keep the other shinobi in line while he focused on Dosu should help. Zaku and Kin both faced their own shadow clones, and considering that each of them fought with the same proficiency in the gentle fist style as Naruto, he had them on the defensive. The prime Naruto focused on Dosu, who appeared to be the most skilled and charismatic of the 3. The others deferred to him, so if Naruto defeated Dosu, he knew that he might be able to scare them off. Doing this, however, was far more difficult than anticipated. Dosu was no slouch, and he seemed to be very proficient in taijutsu as well, being able to redirect Naruto's attacks. Naruto and Dosu traded blows for quite some time. Naruto stepped back. Dosu seemed a bit winded, but Naruto felt like he was only just now getting started. "What's the matter? Is that all that's in the tank?" Naruto asked as he stepped forward. Suddenly, he was overcome with a sense of vertigo. Dizziness overtook him, which didn't help the fact that he had fisheye vision via his Byakugan. He ended up falling back on his rear. "What in the world what did you do to me?" he asked. Dosu smiled. "I simply did to you what I do to anyone who stands against me. I forced you to experience the wrath of the hidden sound." Naruto could hardly stand now, and could barely see. There was no way he was going to be able to utilize his gentle fist now. He began to crawl away as the enemies drew closer. "Stay back," Naruto shouted.
Where's all that confidence from earlier? You were filled with so much self-assurance and pride, and now, here you are, on the ground, begging for your life. Can't you at least die in a cool way? This is pathetic." It was then that a battle cry of rage could be heard. A purple chakra aura exploded out of the cave, drawing everyone's attention. Suddenly, out from within shot a shadow so quickly that the eye could hardly see it. For a second, Naruto couldn't tell what it was. All he sensed in his mind was a wrathful instinct, like a rabid wolf attacking anything indiscriminately. Naruto knew he was in as much danger as these three. As he looked closer, he noticed that it was Sasuke, and covering his body was an unusual set of markings. Sasuke quickly made short work of them. He stepped in, ready to kill, but Sakura came running toward him. Naruto reached out as if to stop her. "No, wait, Sakura! He's gonna kill you!" She latched onto him from behind. For a moment, Sasuke tried to shake her off like an angry bull, but she held tight, begging him to stop. And as she did, Naruto saw Sasuke's emotions change. He began to calm, recognizing her and opting to no longer pursue his rage. This gave Team Dosu enough time to escape. Sasuke calmed down and the marks receded back to their core at the nape of his neck. Naruto tried to draw a bit closer, his senses slowly returning. After this, they finished their journey to the center of the forest, where they would pass the second test of the exam. The third was exhibition matches, and these Naruto had very little issue with, though Sasuke had a bit more due to his inability to utilize ninjutsu after Kakashi could seal the curse mark. After getting a month off to train, Naruto would discover Jiraiya for the first time outside of a women's bathhouse. Upon seeing Naruto's eyes, Jiraiya got the worst idea ever.
"Can you use those things to peer into the bathhouse?"
he asked. I can, but why?" He gave Naruto a piece of paper.
"Draw what you see."
Ebisu would not stand for such a thing. Not only was it bad for Jiraiya to be doing what he was doing, but to include Naruto sponsoring his delinquency was not something Ebisu would stand for. Jiraiya laid off, but all the same, the secret was, Jiraiya had been called here by Hiruzen, who wanted him to meet Naruto. And now that he had, Jiraiya understood why Hiruzen had called him here. This boy was the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Naruto would be trained by Jiraiya to the point that he could make use of his version 1 cloak. He taught Naruto much during that month, and Naruto's strength due to these new techniques was heavily raising his effectiveness to the point that Naruto began to wonder if he should be in the Jonin exams.
"I don't think that there is such a thing,"
Jiraiya told him. Returning back to the Chunin exams for the second round of the exhibition matches, Naruto discovered that he'd be facing off against Neji. This truly excited Naruto, as he was now going to get to measure himself against his former mentor. As they stood there, Naruto offered a bow, which Neji returned. "It's been quite some time since we've seen each other, Naruto," Neji said. "Indeed. I've heard of the things you've accomplished. You brought down a rogue shinobi and a former member of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist." "That's not a lie, though it may be exaggerated. Sasuke was there helping as well. If it hadn't been for him, that feat wouldn't have been possible. That and Zabuza heavily underestimated us." "Even still, such a feat is impressive," Neji said. "You should feel proud." As they got into their fighting positions, Neji spoke. "I hope you've been training hard. You haven't been slacking, have you?" Naruto smiled. "Trust me, I've been keeping it up to snuff. And I've learned many other things as well. I'm excited to get the chance to give you my all." "I'm excited to give you my all. Are you ready?" Naruto nodded.
"I am."
The match then began. Naruto and Neji rushed at each other. Due to both being users of the Byakugan and the Gentle Fist style, it was expected that this was going to be a taijutsu-intensive fight. Naruto and Neji did not disappoint. Just as they had so many times before, they engaged in taijutsu. Their fists clashing, it was obvious that Naruto was still not as proficient as Neji, but where Naruto failed, his tailed beast picked up the slack. Naruto would be struck in the Tenketsu, but the Nine-Tails would send a rush of chakra through to pop the Tenketsu back open. As soon as Naruto realized that he was practically immune to the effects of the Gentle Fist, he knew he had it sewed up. The Gentle Fist was Neji's greatest strength, and now Naruto had the perfect defense against it. Naruto would rush in headlong. Neji would be surprised at the stupidity of Naruto to do this, but would not show mercy. If Naruto was going to throw himself into danger, then Neji would dish it out. "You disappoint me," Neji said as he struck out at Naruto. Naruto fell to his knees, many of his Tenketsu closed. Naruto smiled.
"That's okay, because all I really needed to do was to get you into my range."
Suddenly, through his version 1 cloak, he popped open all of the Tenketsu and stood.
8 trigrams, 64 palms, Naruto shouted.
He began to strike out at Neji, each round getting 2 times faster per repetition.
2 palms, 4 palms, 8 palms, Naruto shouted.
As each strike hit, Neji couldn't help but wonder how he negated the Gentle Fist.
16 palms, 32 palms, 64 palms.
Neji was sent flying back and left to drool in the dirt, his entire body unable to move. Barely able to talk, he spoke. "You cheated." Naruto smiled. "I told you, I wasn't gonna hold back, and I have techniques beyond just the gentle fist. I'll give it to you, your gentle fist is better, but I simply have a strong defense against it that I'd be stupid not to use." And with that, the battle was over. The following match would see Sasuke facing off against Gaara. Gaara's sand shield was strong, near impossible to get through, but due to learning the Chidori from Kakashi, Sasuke managed to pierce the shell. Drawing blood, Gaara couldn't help but panic. This had never happened to him before. Having a mental breakdown right then and there, he attempted to escape. It was then that Kabuto cast a genjutsu on everyone save Sasuke and Sakura, both of which managed to avoid it. Naruto, however, fell under, and when he woke up, Sakura was beside him. "Naruto! Naruto! Sasuke left to chase after Gaara. You need to go help him. I know he's strong, but I can't help but feel that he won't survive against all three of them." "Three?" Naruto asked. "Gaara and his siblings. You have to go help him." Naruto nodded. Standing up, he realized that the entire village was under attack. Gaara must have done something. What, Naruto needed to understand. So he chased after them. It seemed that Gaara's siblings were currently facing off against other shinobi, but all the same, Sasuke had been defeated. Naruto looked deeply into Gaara's eyes and saw nothing but pure insanity there. Destructive. Hateful. Naruto had no idea what to call it. Activating his own version 1 cloak, he faced off against Gaara, realizing that he and the boy were far more similar than they appeared. As Gaara's frustration at being matched by Naruto grew, he decided to cast himself under genjutsu to allow the beast within to escape. Naruto couldn't let his out because he knew that if he did, it might destroy the village and leave him dead. So he did the next best thing and summoned a great toad sage to fight alongside him, just as Jiraiya had taught. Gamabunta appeared, cigar in his mouth, blade in hand. He gave off Yakuza Oyabun. "Get me close," Naruto said. "If I can wake up Gaara again, maybe I can stop the beast." Gamabunta drew closer to the sand-formed tanuki. When close enough, Naruto leapt to the other side. He reared his hand back, but as he did, he stopped. Now that Gaara was asleep and the beast was on the outside, Naruto could see inside the boy's heart. He witnessed his childhood, his friends, his family, and the loss he had suffered. The death of the only ones he loved, the fear of the last people he hoped would care about him, and the assassination attempts brought on by the man he called his father. "You're hated too," Naruto said, realizing how similar they were. Naruto began to look back on his own life, realizing that while he was mistreated, he was never treated anywhere nearly as bad as Gaara had been. And because of that, Naruto knew that he was lucky. Had things been worse, maybe it could have been Naruto who was the monster right now. As Naruto was lost in his thoughts, a struggling Gamabunta called out to him. "What are you waiting for, kid? Clean his clock." Naruto was pulled back to the present. He then socked Gaara as hard as he could, waking him up. The sand collapsed below them, causing them to fall. As they did, Naruto looked at Gaara, who looked halfway ready to lose himself again. Naruto called out to him. "Hey!" Gaara looked at Naruto. Naruto then spoke. "You're okay. It's just a little blood. Everyone bleeds sometimes." Gaara continued to look at him as Naruto displayed a form of kindness in his eyes that Gaara hadn't seen in a long time. "I take it you've been bleeding for a long time. In here." Naruto pointed to his own heart. "You're different, and people don't like you because of it." Tears started to flow from Naruto's eyes. "I'm different too, and like you, people hate me, but I have friends, and because of that I can look past it. I have love, and the people you're threatening are the people I love. Just because the village hates me doesn't mean I hate them. You can't just do that, but I sense also that you're taking your frustrations out on others because you have nobody. Gaara, that's tragic. If you have nobody to call a friend, nobody who isn't scared of you, nobody who will listen to you, then I'll be that person. But do know that I won't tolerate you harming my friends anymore. Got it?" Gaara looked at him with the most clear confusion on his face. It was at about this time that Temari and Kankuro rushed through, lifted him up, and began to carry him away. Gaara thought deeply on these things. Naruto was asked by Sasuke, "Why did you let him get away?" And Naruto simply replied, "I didn't." The aftermath of the Konoha crush saw the village in disarray. The infrastructure was ruined and the Hokage was dead. This resulted in Naruto having to help Jiraiya bring back a suitable candidate, which the Konoha Council had decided was Tsunade. But as Naruto did this, Sasuke would have another encounter with Itachi, which would leave him hospitalized. When Tsunade returned to the village to be Hokage, she helped Sasuke recover more quickly, but the trauma was fresh. The Sound Four knew that Sasuke was in a vulnerable position, so they came to him at night and attempted to convince him to leave with them, something Sasuke eventually did.
Sakura would inform everyone, and a team would be put together to go rescue him. Naruto would head this mission, alongside Kiba and Akamaru, Shikamaru, Choji, and Neji. As they gave chase, Naruto's Byakugan helped them discover the direction the Sound 4 had gone, and they managed to catch up. Each member of the Sound 4 would peel off to slow the recovery party down, but in an effort to keep Naruto close, the various members of the recovery group would stay behind to deal with members of the Sound 4. In the end, they did catch up and found Sasuke, but instead of joining up with them, he fled again. Naruto was confused. He went to give chase again, but standing in his way was Kimimaro, the former leader of the Sound 4. Naruto was sure he was going to have to fight him until Rock Lee showed up. Naruto was surprised, given the wounds Lee had sustained facing Gaara, but Lee declared himself 100% recovered and ready for combat. Naruto trusted Lee and went on ahead. Naruto would catch up with Sasuke at the Valley of the End. Sasuke said he refused to come back to the village. "Why?" Naruto demanded. "Because I'll never grow strong enough there, but in a few moments, with nothing but these samples. Orochimaru has done more for me than all of my years of training," Sasuke said. "I have to get stronger, Naruto, and I have to do it quickly." Naruto stepped in closer. "Why, Sasuke? For Itachi? Your entire future is based on killing him. That's not healthy. You live for no other purpose than hatred." "You'll never understand," Sasuke said as he turned back to look at Naruto. "Help me understand." Naruto looked into Sasuke's eyes and witnessed everything. In his last encounter with Itachi, Sasuke had been cast under Tsukiyomi. Itachi had forced Sasuke to live through the killing of his parents again. He left that pain on loop for what felt like years until he awakened again. Sasuke was freshly traumatized. He grabbed his head. "Ugh, get out! Get out!" he said as he tackled Naruto to the ground. "I never gave you permission to go in there. I told you I hate it!" Naruto tried to defend himself as Sasuke punched him. He raised his arms to protect his head, but he couldn't protect his kidneys as Sasuke got them a good punch. His defenses broken, Naruto was pummeled by Sasuke. Sasuke only stopped punching when he saw Naruto's face. Naruto smiled with compassion. "He hurt you so much. You have no idea," Sasuke whispered, his emotions highly strung, tense as a guitar string a half twist away from snapping. "I do understand," Naruto said. "You have no idea," Sasuke said as he punched Naruto in the face. "You have no idea what it's like to lose a family. You never had one. I did, and I had to struggle with that loss every day." Sasuke punched him again. Naruto spoke, blood pouring from his lip and nose. "I do." "How can you know?" Sasuke demanded. Naruto ripped his forehead protector off to show his curse mark, now visible. "Because I had hoped to have a family myself, but they didn't want me. All they wanted was to make sure that I didn't lose their precious dojutsu," he said. "I have no family. When my Byakugan appeared and I figured out that it was the same as they had, I had hoped and prayed that it meant that I was a Hyuga, that maybe I'd fit, I'd belong. I began to think that I would, but apparently that wasn't true. And despite that, despite the fact that I was ready to be accepted by Hiyashi like a new son, despite the fact that I wanted someone to love me, he cast me aside. I didn't matter. I didn't understand it. I had a chance at a family, and they tossed me aside." Sasuke sat there, his fist pulled back, his face displaying the horror of realization upon it. Tears began to run from Naruto's eyes. "So trust me, I know what you're feeling right now, because I've been feeling it too. To be cast aside by people you look up to and care for. I know exactly what you're going through. You're the closest thing I have to a brother, Sasuke. If you leave, I'll be cast aside again, just like you were." Sasuke's fist slowly lowered. "Naruto, what am I supposed to do? Itachi still lives out there. He can't be allowed to live a happy life, not after what he's done." "Do you really think he's happy?" Naruto asked. "He's hated, cast out, forever a pariah with nowhere to belong. He's not happy, he's miserable. And I say the worst thing you can do to him is force him to experience every moment of that. But he's gonna come back for me. He'll kill me if I don't get stronger," Sasuke said. Naruto smiled. "Then he'll have to go through me, and Sakura too, and through Kakashi." "He can and will," Sasuke said. "Then we'll all get stronger. If it's possible for Itachi to grow as strong as he did in Konoha, then it's possible for us as well." Sasuke looked back, looking at the other side of the river. He would be so close to Oto by now. If he crossed that river, he'd be granted all the power mad science could offer. But if he did, would there be any going back? Could he ever return to Konoha again? He looked down at Naruto. "Let go, Sasuke. Let go of your hatred. You've been betrayed in the past, and that's left a scar. I have been too. Because I know how bad betrayal hurts, I won't betray you." And it was then that Sasuke gave in. "I'll come back then," Sasuke said. He couldn't deny the love that Naruto and the others held for him. Naruto could see right through Sasuke and could understand better than anyone everything Sasuke felt. Sasuke didn't know if he would ever be ready if Itachi came for them, but he did know that he'd feel better fighting him together than doing it alone. And so, Naruto and Sasuke began their trek home. The Sound Four had been defeated, not by the recovery team though, not entirely at least. Many would have died had it not been for Gaara, whose change of heart had inspired him to help when he didn't need to. Returning to the village, Naruto would tell everyone that it wasn't Sasuke's fault, and that he was kidnapped. This conflicted with Sakura's story, but Sakura admitted there was a possibility that he'd been under genjutsu the whole time. Of course, she knew this wasn't true, but there was no need to ruin Sasuke's life over a mistake such as this. And so the matter was settled. But the matter of Itachi's possible return, as well as the matter of the hunt for Orochimaru, continued. And as the time came that they would face these things, they'd be approached by Jiraiya, who would offer to help them prepare. Sasuke stood there, having left the hospital after a checkup. The curse mark on his shoulder was still active, but it seemed that Sasuke was in control of it. He seemed to have the willpower to use it without losing himself. Sasuke had asked to leave the mark alone, and so they had. A part of Sasuke was still holding onto Orochimaru's power. He needed it. Even if it wasn't a good thing, it brought him peace, knowing that at any moment he could awaken what he needed should Itachi appear again to destroy him. Naruto would appear not long after. He would pull Sasuke into a hug, as would Sakura. As he laid his head between their shoulders, he could hardly stop the tears of regret and shame from flowing. "I'm sorry," he said. "I lost faith in the village. I lost faith in you guys. I don't ever want to lose you," he said. In the distance, Jiraiya stood. He had come to train Naruto, but had decided to take on Sasuke and Sakura as well. He saw much of his own team in them. Kakashi had asked Jiraiya personally to train his team in hopes that they could learn from him the things that would make them strong enough to face Itachi should he ever return. Right now, Jiraiya was waiting for them. Naruto and Sakura had already packed their things. They were simply waiting for Sasuke to do the same. Sasuke would be led home by Naruto and Sakura and would walk in and look around. Sakura, of course, was in 7th heaven, seeing the apartment where her crush lived. "It smells so good," she said in silence. "It smells so... Sasuke." Naruto couldn't help but give her a look of utter cringe. "Maybe I made a mistake recommending you to Pervy Sage," Naruto said, questioning the wisdom of bringing Sasuke's own personal stand with them, but it was far too late to change his mind now. Sasuke grabbed the essentials, some extra changes of clothes, and a couple of books to help him pass the time. After this, they began to make their way downstairs to Jiraiya, who was waiting for them. "Are we ready to go?" he asked. They all nodded with a big smile on their faces. Even Sasuke was feeling excited. If he left Konoha, he might find respite. It would be far harder for Itachi to find him if he was nowhere near the village. But as Sasuke thought about this, he wasn't yet aware that there was a crow possessing a Sharingan watching him. It was relaying this information back to another Sharingan right now, sharing senses with its master. After leaving the village, they traveled for some days. They eventually got back to the home of the legendary Sannin. It was so humble, and there was a serenity to it. Naruto felt as though this would be the perfect summer home, as it was away from the hustle and bustle of the village, was open, had some protection against sunlight due to the trees, and was very close to a gentle river. There was so much fun to be had here. Indeed, they were here to train, but the prospect of spending a day off swimming in the cool, fresh water of the lake also made Naruto excited. Sasuke was skeptical to say the least, but he knew the stories about Jiraiya, as did Sakura. They had heard of the legendary things that Jiraiya had done in his time serving Konoha, the many battles he faced in the war, and how he, Tsunade, and Orochimaru had gained the name Sannin. They would take the remainder of the day to get used to their new living situation, but the day after is when Jiraiya began to question the best way to train his students. He knew what he wanted to do with Naruto. As the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, having inherited it after the tragic escape that had killed his mother during childbirth, Naruto had a secret power in him that could destroy entire villages. But it was useless unless he learned how to properly control it. And so, that was where they would focus for Naruto, the training of his tailed beast, and learning to control the version 1 state better, even tapping into version 2. But then the question became how he would train Sasuke and Sakura. Upon learning more about the two, Jiraiya discovered that Sasuke was one of the last remaining users of the Sharingan, a dojutsu distantly related to the Rinnegan. "You know, in the past, I trained a group not too dissimilar from you three," he said. "One was a happy-go-lucky boy with dreams. Another was a bit of a sensitive fellow who had a melancholic disposition and was a user of the Rinnegan. And lastly, I trained a girl just like Sakura, who despite her outer personality had a very rich imagination. What I taught them was that everything from your skills to your passions was a possible path for their shinobi way. Since Konan loved origami, I taught her how to use it in ninjutsu. Creativity is key. I can see that the three of you have a rich creativity,
and look forward to helping you out. Since Naruto will mostly be training how to control his tailed beast, I need to determine what I'll help you two train with.
As he looked Sasuke over further, he noticed a 3 Magatama pattern on his shoulder.
What's that?
He asked, pulling Sasuke's collar down to get a better look. It's the curse mark Orochimaru gave me.
Oh? What does it do?
Jiraiya asked. I can show you if you want. Sasuke stepped over to the side and began to utilize it. Black markings began to cover every inch of his skin as his chakra took on new properties. He could further transform by digging deeper into the well of power he had. Jiraiya was amazed.
Wow, that chakra. It feels like sage chakra.
What's that? Sasuke asked. Jiraiya began to explain that in the ancient past, there was a long-lost art that many believe to be the originator of modern-day ninjutsu, called senjutsu.
When a shinobi becomes one with nature, they can take it into themselves and gain the power granted to them by nature itself. Not only does it increase your strength, but it increases your stamina, Jiraiya said. This appears to be very similar to the snake sage mode taught in Ryuchi Cave, though it seems to be using a different medium.
I'd be careful with it, Jiraiya said.
I sense within it some of Orochimaru's own chakra, and if that's there, then he must have a purpose for it. But other than this, I think it can help you grow if you use it correctly. That being said, focusing on that and upon your Sharingan's deployment could be very well the path you take.
What about me? Sakura asked. Jiraiya stopped by her.
Well, what can you do? I know about Sasuke and Naruto, but what about you?
Sakura spoke. Well, I've been told that my strongest points were chakra control and my intelligence. I also have some greater experience with genjutsu. Jiraiya was taken aback by these things. These were the same traits as Tsunade. He smiled and then spoke.
Those are very powerful traits, he said. With them, I could see you gaining control over many techniques. I would offer to teach you some of what Tsunade knew, but I'd be remiss if I were to say I know everything to the extent that she does. I don't really know the strength of a 100 seal, nor do I know the deepest parts of medical ninjutsu, but I can train you in other things.
He went back inside for a moment and eventually returned and laid down on the table a set of various medical books.
These were gifted to me by Tsunade. Some even contain notes that she took that work as well, if not better, than the techniques described. I was always self-destructive, and she thought that if I learned what was in here, I'd be able to heal myself.
Did you ever use them? Sakura asked. Jiraiya smiled.
Not for anything more than to keep my coffee table level. I can also give you various genjutsu-based abilities that I've come across, but beyond that, I'd like to give you the crown jewel of abilities that I have. To be able to keep up with Naruto's tailed beast cloaks and Sasuke's curse mark stages, I'd like to give you access to the same sage mode that I utilize. If you can master these things, you'll become a shinobi of renown, one so powerful that you could surpass even us legendary Sannin.
Sakura was intrigued. The idea of becoming strong enough that she could surpass the most legendary shinobi in the village outside of the Hokage, even greater than the current Hokage who was a member of the Sannin. As amazing as this sounded though, Sakura couldn't keep her mind off the idea that she might impress Sasuke. Jiraiya couldn't help but stare at Sakura as she spaced out. He looked to Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto spoke.
Don't worry about her, she does this a lot.
A lot? Jiraiya questioned. A bit of an awkward silence passed before Sasuke's eyes rolled up into his head as he nodded. Yeah, a lot.
I see, Jiraiya said as he stepped back. Well, it's time for us to actually get started on training. So, you need to come back to us, Sakura.
She continued to daydream. Naruto spoke.
Don't bother, she's gonna be there for a while.
So, for the training, he taught them all how to make use of the Rasengan. When he saw the Chidori that Sasuke used, Jiraiya couldn't help but notice how similar they were. Upon hearing that it was the brainchild of Kakashi, Jiraiya understood.
Chances are he tried to add a chakra nature to the shape manipulation, Jiraiya said. That was the next logical step in the Rasengan, but from the looks of it, it failed. It became an impressive technique, yes, but seems to take a lot of chakra to use. Mastery of the Rasengan could offer similar results for less chakra. And then, if you can manage to apply a nature transformation to it, then you might be going somewhere. Can you apply a nature transformation to it? Naruto asked.
Jiraiya thought about it.
Kinda? It was something Minato and I had worked on for a while, but could never truly complete. I managed something, although it's not exactly what we had envisioned.
Jiraiya began to show them. He formed a Rasengan in his hand before spewing fire release onto it.
This is my fire release Great Flame Rasengan. It's hard to do, and I fear this may be the closest I ever come to adding a nature transformation to the Rasengan, but it's not bad if I do say so myself. That being said, with proper control, you might add your own nature transformations to it, and maybe one day you'll reach the completed form of what Kakashi had always envisioned the Chidori to be.
So they began to practice. First step was rotation, so he gave them water balloons. Sakura possessed the skill required to master this step before anyone else did. This was quickly followed by Naruto, and lastly by Sasuke, who always had issues controlling his chakra due to his emotional states. Sakura had a good leg up on them, but was bogged down in the second stage, that being power, in that she needed to have the chakra volume to pop a rubber ball that she was given. Here, she got stuck, with Naruto and eventually even Sasuke catching up with her. Naruto would surpass her due to his increased chakra reserves, followed by Sasuke, who would surpass her again. After this came containment, where they had to do it all at the same time, increasing their chakra while controlling it, keeping it in the sphere and keeping it rotating. This was something that Sasuke eventually completed first. You see, he had mastered the first 2 steps, even though he was slow on the uptake. But due to his prodigious nature, he managed to put them both together at the same time more quickly than Naruto and more quickly than Sakura, who was still struggling with step 2. By the end of it, Sasuke had beaten them. He formed his own Rasengan by himself, with Naruto quickly behind him. Sakura would feel upset that she was left in the dust. This would spark a flame in her of determination that would allow her to pop the ball. When she had popped it, she moved on to the next stage and began working on applying both previous steps into a final technique. She would then also manage to complete the Rasengan. They would move on to learning to control their powered-up states, with Sasuke training his curse mark to properly control it. This wasn't hard for him as he had previous experience with it. He wasn't required to sit still and gather chakra like Sakura was, nor was he required to barter with a malevolent being for more power like Naruto. So he used that extra time to continue working on his nature transformation Rasengan. He was attempting to add lightning release to it. Naruto was hitting walls in his usage of the version 2 cloak and eventually switched over to the same training Sasuke was doing. Sakura was trucking along with Sage Mode. Considering how well she controlled her chakra, Jiraiya knew that she was the perfect candidate for this technique, as Sage Mode required incredible chakra control to use. And for Sakura, whose whole thing was chakra control, it meant that she was quick to pick it up, completing it to a point that even Jiraiya couldn't keep up with her. Jiraiya began to wonder if Sakura secretly had more potential than all of them. Once Sakura understood the dangers of Sage Mode and how to mitigate them, she practically mastered it. He was amazed by her. After this though, she proceeded to join Naruto and Sasuke in completing their nature transformation Rasengan, working on something herself. Naruto was the first to complete his via the usage of shadow clones, though his version of the technique damaged his arms to use. Sakura knew that whatever she didn't want it to end up as useless as Naruto's. At least useless currently, until he could figure out a way to not accidentally maim himself while using it. Sasuke, on the other hand, took a bit longer, but what he created was far more useful. He created Rasengan Ikazuchi. It functions similarly to Chidori, but instead of boosting his speed in any one direction, it just boosted his speed in general before striking a user and sending a jolt of electricity through them on top of everything else. Sasuke likened it to holding a ball of pure lightning in his hand, and it sounded like it. The moment he struck something with it, there was a loud crack of thunder, hence where it got its name. Whatever he struck appeared like it had been hit by lightning. It was a technique Naruto was kind of jealous of, but it had one major drawback. Unlike Naruto's, which could be thrown, Sasuke's could not be, which meant that when he hit something with it, he had to be extra careful not to electrocute himself, which meant he had to add more lightning release to his hand to properly protect him from the arcs the ball put off. To that end, while it did save more chakra than Chidori, it still consumed more chakra than Naruto's Rasen Shuriken. But Sakura had a better idea. You see, she wasn't very good with other nature transformation, but was instead gifted in the usage of yin release, and so she had hoped to add that. Some had said it would be impossible, as mixing yin and yang release would also create yin-yang release, which only the Sage of Six Paths had. But this wasn't so, at least not in the way that she was going to use it. You see, there were some that utilized a technique very similar to this who did not create yin-yang release. The Uchiha did something similar and used it to create a sort of pseudo yin-yang release. But another group that used this were the Tailed Beasts. They used positive black chakra, which Sakura knew must be yin nature, and they mixed it with negative white chakra, which she guessed must be yang release. Considering that the Rasengan was already yang release, it meant that all she needed to do was add yin. But as she kept doing it, she found it hard to do, as every time she tried, it exploded in her face. She wasn't exactly sure what she was doing wrong. That was until she began to read some of the papers published by some of the most successful Jinchuriki of all time. That's when she came across the formula of adding an 8:2 ratio of black negative with white positive. Doing the math in her head, she realized that she needed to add 4 times as much yin chakra as she did yang to create the Rasengan. But the part she found extra hard was that she needed to do all of this at the formation of the Rasengan. She couldn't add it after. This took her quite some time to learn. But one night, as Naruto and Sasuke sat at the table after supper, they heard her scream. Running to her room to make sure she was okay, they saw it. She had completed it, a perfect recreation of a tailed beast ball. She named it Rasengan Chakra Bomb. Understanding what it was, she decided that the best way she could use it was by throwing it. By doing so, she found it detonated spectacularly and was subject to destroying anything it touched. Her completion of this technique was seen by Jiraiya as a feat of true ingenuity and proof of her intelligence and potential. The group continued to train for quite some time when suddenly one morning they heard a knock at the door. Naruto was sitting at the table as Jiraiya went to answer. Jiraiya would come back a moment later. "Naruto, you've got a visitor." Naruto was sitting in the living room listening to what their guest had to say. It was none other than Hinata Hyuga. She had come as an emergency. "Naruto, we need you." "What is it?" he asked. "It's Hanabi," she said. "Orochimaru's agents took her in the night. We chased after them, but we lost them. We've got a general area where they might be, but it's large, so we're having a hard time finding them. If we don't hurry, there's no telling what could happen," she said. "I would love to help, but I just don't know how. What is it that you need from me? I'm nothing special. I'm not even a Hyuga." Hinata understood his skepticism, but he was more special than he knew. "Naruto, you possess some of the most powerful Byakugan in existence. Even members of my clan don't have as much range as you do. I at most can see 1,000 meters. That's only half a mile. But you, Neji told me that you can see up to 20,000 meters. That's 12.5 miles, Naruto. If you helped us, you could cover large swaths of land at once and possibly find his base. Will you please help us? If you don't, I fear what might happen to my sister. If Orochimaru took my sister, there's only one thing he wants." "Her Byakugan," Naruto said. Hinata nodded. "Will you help us?" Her eyes sparkled a bit as it seemed her desperation was driving her close to tears. "Please." Naruto's heart melted. How could he say no to the girl who had helped him acclimate to his dojutsu when nobody else was there? He was grateful to her for that, and because of his gratitude, he would elect to help. Jiraiya offered to help Orochimaru as well, believing it was his place to bring Orochimaru down, due to having a personal connection with him. And so, they left to help the Hyuga find Orochimaru's hidden base. Naruto would keep his eyes open. They would try to use his X-ray to see through the woods and the jungle floor. They searched for hours, and it seemed as though they might never find him. They began to give up hope. That was until Naruto discovered a certain hatch that the others had missed. It led down into a shielded facility that the Byakugan could not see into. It was protected by some sort of tag, which explained why it could not be seen. They would tell the Hyuga about it and proceed to enter. Once inside, they would search about for Hanabi and Orochimaru. Hinata stayed close to them, needing to be the first to find her little sister. Seeing the dark inside of the base, they were filled with fear, especially Hinata, who worried what Orochimaru might have done to her. As they searched the base though, they found it to be largely deserted. Entering a particular room, they saw what looked like an operating table, and laying upon it was Hanabi, unconscious. Hinata rushed over to her. "Hanabi!" she cried out. She began checking her sister over for any surgical marks, but saw none. "Hanabi," she asked, "are you okay?" She tried to get her to stir, but she couldn't. Jiraiya stopped her. "It may be best for you not to wake her," he said. "Why not?" Hinata asked. Jiraiya pointed to her face. "Her lids are more depressed than they should be. I fear Orochimaru has already taken out her Byakugan." Hinata's face turned pale as she understood what had happened. Jiraiya took a blindfold and tied it around Hanabi's eyes as to give her some sort of peace should she wake up. To feel like she isn't blind, but simply having her eyes covered. "We need to find Orochimaru. There's no doubt that he has them. You stay here, Hinata. Should your sister wake, she'll need you to comfort her. Trust us to deal with this, okay?" Hinata nodded. "Oh, okay." The poor girl looked sick to her stomach, like she might puke. Naruto was so angry about this. "I'll get those eyes back, Hinata. I swear it." They left to search the rest of the facility. Entering a particular room, they found Orochimaru standing there, his eyes still wrapped up from the surgery. "Jiraiya," he said with a smile. "I should have guessed you'd be here. And what's that I sense? 3 children. Students. One feels familiar. One feels like me," he said with a smile. "I sense the Sharingan have come home. It's sad, I had to settle for the Byakugan. But even still, the Byakugan are very impressive, and I look forward to using them." Pulling the bandages from his eyes and finishing the healing with his mystic palm technique, he opened them up to display their white color. "I've never been able to see so well," he said with a smile. It was slightly disorienting to take in all of this new information at once, but he would slowly begin to acclimate. Knowing that he was at the disadvantage with Jiraiya here, Orochimaru needed to maximize his advantages, so he threw a shuriken, destroying the only light in the room, putting them all into pitch black darkness. Orochimaru could see perfectly fine in the dark, but the others, save Naruto, were not so lucky. Jiraiya, however, would activate his Sage Mode to increase his ability to sense chakra. This would be mimicked by Sakura and Sasuke, the latter of which would use his curse mark to enter stage 2. Orochimaru still had the advantage though, as despite the fact that they could sense Orochimaru's location, their chakra sense wasn't refined enough to be able to pinpoint exactly how and where he would strike. Taking from the combat doctrine of the Hyuga, Orochimaru would begin to use his chakra scalpel. Generally, such a technique wasn't viable in combat, with only Kabuto really displaying any effectiveness with it, but the Byakugan had changed everything. Orochimaru could see it all, from muscles to chakra points. And with these scalpels designed for precision, he was going to use them to deadly effect. Orochimaru grew closer to them to attack. Jiraiya entered a defensive position, attempting to avoid the chakra attack that Jiraiya could only assume was the chakra scalpel. Due to his inability to see properly, Jiraiya did receive wounds. Naruto, able to properly see, would approach Orochimaru and would fend him off Jiraiya. Sasuke, in return, would utilize his flame release, not only to attack, but to light up the room a little. They could now see Orochimaru. Jiraiya would take the idea Sasuke presented and add it to his own strategy, forming a Rasengan that he then bathed in Sasuke's fire release. Using it as a light source, he attacked Orochimaru, but Orochimaru still managed to find shadows to hide in. Naruto would point out Orochimaru's location, but it was too late. Orochimaru snuck up behind Sasuke and used his scalpels to cut Sasuke's tendons, putting him on the ground. Sakura attempted to help, but she was knocked back. She formed a Rasengan chakra bomb in her hand and sensed where Orochimaru was going. She would throw it against the wall, causing a flash of light and an explosion. The flash blinded both Orochimaru and Naruto, who couldn't avoid looking at it. It further knocked Orochimaru back, but in return, Orochimaru threw his shuriken at Sakura. She managed to deflect a few, but was struck. She hit the ground. Jiraiya once more came at Orochimaru with his flaming Rasengan. Sakura drew closer to Sasuke. "Where does it hurt?" she asked. "My right ankle. I think it's my Achilles," he said. Sakura immediately began using the Mystic Palm technique to heal any damage. Jiraiya saw Orochimaru trying to keep to the shadows and would use his hair like Senbon to try and cut Orochimaru off. He then tried to push the orb into Orochimaru's chest, only to find a substitution jutsu. It was now dark again. Orochimaru used this to great effect to get in front of Jiraiya and use his scalpel to take Jiraiya down, leaving him unconscious. Sasuke, by this time, was up and had already formed a Rasengan Ikazuchi. He rushed forward with great speed. Orochimaru mistook it for a Chidori and stepped to the side, only to be surprised at the control Sasuke had over his direction. Orochimaru was sent flying back by the attack as a thunderous sound roared across the room. Sasuke smiled, thinking he had beaten him, but Orochimaru was already up and on him in a second. For a moment, Orochimaru's chakra control had been disrupted, but that didn't make him any less dangerous. Orochimaru gripped Sasuke by one of the wings and threw him into a wall. It was now total darkness. It was between Naruto and Orochimaru. Naruto began considering his options. That's when he came up with an idea. He would run at Orochimaru and then stop just before entering the range of his target. He would form multiple shadow clones, each one running in a different direction, trying to split his attention. Orochimaru scoffed. "With my Byakugan, I can see everything at once. There's no point in trying to confuse me." "I know," Naruto said with a smile. Distracting Orochimaru wasn't the point. He was trying to make Orochimaru look at everything at the same time. You see, Naruto recalled what it was like awakening his Byakugan for the first time. How disorienting it was, his mind having to take in so much new information all at once. He could tell Orochimaru was starting to get overwhelmed. That's when one of the shadow clones came in, grabbing Orochimaru and attempting to spin him. Orochimaru was starting to lose his balance. One of the clones jumped up and slapped Orochimaru's ears, busting his eardrums and discombobulating him. Orochimaru could hardly stand at this point. It was then that Naruto formed his own Rasen Shuriken. And though he knew it would hurt his arm to use, he knew this was the best chance he had at defeating Orochimaru. "Those eyes belong to a friend of mine," he shouted as he threw the Rasen Shuriken. Orochimaru couldn't dodge. He was severed in two by the attack. Naruto walked over to Orochimaru and reached down, removing the Byakugan from his sockets. It was at about this time that the Hyuga caught up with him. Hiyashi was covered in battle armor, ready to murder Orochimaru. Only Orochimaru was already dead. Naruto approached Hiyashi and gave over the Byakugan. Thanks to Naruto's actions, they were able to re-implant the Byakugan into Hanabi's head before she even woke up. Hinata was grateful too, as it meant that she likely would suffer far less trauma. They used the Mystic Palm technique to heal the wounds as quickly as possible, and elected not to tell her that her Byakugan had been removed. Instead, they said that she'd been rescued before it could even happen. It was a lie, yes, but it was one that would ensure Hanabi wouldn't be haunted forever by the fear of the experience she had. As they all began to return home, the sun had set. They stumbled into Jiraiya's house, but they weren't alone. Within, a figure holding a crow was waiting. Sasuke froze in place, his blood running cold. "Hello, Sasuke. have you managed to finally awaken my Mangekyou Sharingan? Itachi, how did you find me? Sasuke wondered. A little birdie told me where you were, he said, looking at his crow with the Sharingan. Naruto jumped between the two. Itachi stood and backhanded Naruto, sending him flying. None of them were in any condition to fight, and Sasuke planned to use that to their advantage. Wait, Sasuke demanded. Itachi stopped. Don't tell me you're going to beg for your life. Sasuke looked around and shook his head. No, I'm not. You aren't going to rest until you get a good fight from me, but you can't have it now. And why's that? Itachi asked. Because we just got through fighting Orochimaru. We're tired and wounded. You'll never get a worthy fight from me if I'm not in peak condition. Is this really the kind of final battle you want from me? Itachi waited for a moment. Naruto looked at Itachi when suddenly he saw something that surprised him. No, that's not the kind of final battle I want. Itachi headed to the door. I will be back in 2 days. Be ready for the final battle. Itachi left. Sasuke fell to the floor in terror. He had just bought 48 hours of life. All the while, Naruto was confused by what he had just saw. As they settled and healed from their battle, Naruto would approach Sasuke and talk to him about it. Sasuke, you know how I can kind of read minds with my Byakugan? How I can peer deeply into the hearts of those I see? Sasuke nodded. Yeah, what about it? Naruto continued. I looked into Itachi's heart when he was here. I don't understand what I saw. What did you see? Sasuke asked. He doesn't want to kill you. He doesn't want to take your eyes either. That's preposterous, Sasuke said. Why wouldn't he? Naruto shook his head. When I looked in, I saw guilt, pain, a desire to die. Sasuke was confused by this. Why would he feel like that? I don't know, but all I do know is that you can't confront Itachi alone. Those 48 hours passed in a heartbeat. Eventually, Itachi returned and Sasuke walked outside to meet him. Are you finally prepared for that final battle you promised me? Itachi asked. It was then that Naruto came out. And what is the outcome you hope for such a battle? Naruto asked. That I may kill the last of the Uchiha and take his eyes for myself, Itachi said. Sasuke shivered at the sound of it. Naruto smiled skeptically. No, you don't. Itachi's eyes narrowed. What makes you so sure? Naruto drew closer. Because my Byakugan aren't like others. I can see through people. I can see into them, read their heart as easy as reading the funny papers. I'm doing that to you right now. Itachi's eyes widened for a moment before returning to their confident glare. You bluff. Naruto shook his head. There's guilt inside of you. Pain. You don't wish to win. You want to die. Punishment. You crave to be punished. Itachi scoffed and smiled. I thought Byakugan users supposedly had the best vision in the world. Never thought I'd see a blind user. I'm not blind, Naruto said. I see Makoto, Fugaku, Sasuke. He weighs heavy on your heart. Guilt for making him what he is, but the desire to weaponize that hatred against you. Turn him into a hero for killing you. I see Izumi. Itachi's expression dropped to fear and sorrow the moment Naruto mentioned that. Where did you hear that name? Sasuke surely told you of her. No, I actually didn't, Sasuke said. I've known Naruto. I know he can see into hearts. He's seen into mine, said Sasuke. I know he's speaking the truth. What's going on, Itachi? Itachi began to think about it. That's when Naruto spoke. Wow. Itachi looked over at Naruto, suddenly trying to shut his thoughts and feelings down to keep Naruto out. But by this time, it was too late. You were coerced. You better tell Sasuke before I do, Naruto said. Tell me what? Sasuke asked. At this point, Itachi's cover was blown. And maybe it was better that way. It was such a heavy burden, and though he wanted to die, a part of him wanted reconciliation with his brother. Against his orders, against his better judgment, he began to explain. He explained what had happened and why he did what he did. Naruto verified it as true. Sasuke was shocked. How could it be? How could Konoha have decided to do such a thing? They have to pay for what they've done, Sasuke said. No, Itachi said. The village didn't orchestrate that attack. It wasn't meant to be like that. It was Danzo who decided to completely eradicate the clan. But even then, perhaps that was for the best. What do you mean? Sasuke asked. What I mean is, the clan was going to start a rebellion to depose Hiruzen and take control of the village. Uchiha are notoriously unforgiving, and even if they had been foiled, the families left behind by the brothers and fathers who were killed would have turned on Konoha too. At the time this was happening, we could not afford such a schism. It would have led to another world war and the annihilation of our village. The Uchiha were at fault. They forced Konoha's hand. There's no excuse for the murder of women and children, Jiraiya said. Even Konoha's leadership knows what it sounds like. But it was that scummy Danzo who thought it would be a good idea to destroy the whole clan. That's horrible. Itachi nodded. I've hated Danzo for as long as I've known him, and I still hate him. We can't blame the whole village for his mistake. Itachi looked to Sasuke. Far be it from me to say so, Sasuke, but it's best to let sleeping dogs lie. We want to protect the village I fought and sacrificed so much for, that our parents sacrificed for. What do you mean, Sasuke asked. For a moment, Itachi cast the Tsukiyomi on Sasuke to show him the truth. Hamakoto and Fugaku had a short conversation with him, consenting to his killing of them. Father knew it would come to this, and he knew why I was doing it. He accepted his fate and told me that he loved me. I had never hurt like that before, nor ever since, Itachi said. Coming back to reality, Sasuke fell to his knees, his eyes overrun with tears. Itachi turned around. I came here for you to kill me. I wanted to face justice for what I did, but just as I was unable to save my clan, I was unable to avenge them myself as well. Itachi returned to the forest he had emerged from. Sasuke, are you okay? Sakura asked. Jiraiya spoke. I don't know about that. Naruto looked back. What do you mean? You think Itachi lied? He didn't. I saw, Naruto said. I'm not saying he lied. He told the truth. That's exactly something Danzo would do, but letting sleeping dogs lie? Nah. Danzo's the worst thing about the village. If this is true, he needs to be dealt with. He's as much a threat to the peace in Konoha as the Uchiha were. And so Jiraiya began to investigate Danzo. He would discover everything there was to know about him from Kakashi, though Kakashi never knew that Danzo had ordered Itachi to do that to the Uchiha. Together they investigated further, but upon gathering enough evidence, they presented it to Tsunade, who had not known of this. She decided that Danzo was a traitor to the village based on the information she had. Attempted assassination of 3rd Hokage Hiruzen, the genocide of the Uchiha clan. All of this together made Danzo a dangerous fellow. They had even discovered ties Danzo had to Orochimaru after Orochimaru had been exiled. She sent a strike force to take Danzo, removing him from power and imprisoning him. But this didn't heal what Sasuke had gone through. Naruto had no idea what Sasuke was truly feeling, but he came to Sasuke's side and promised to help him through it. Sakura did as well. Sasuke wasn't sure what to do with himself now. He had spent so much time worrying about Itachi that he didn't really give himself time to plan for any dreams. But that was okay, Naruto said. Sakura and Naruto would promise to help Sasuke find his dreams together.
Before I begin, I need to say something. I'm going to change a few things to help the story work better. First off, I'm going to make Neji the same age as the canonical Itachi to help better maintain the timeline. But I'm not pulling these years out of thin air. I plan to, in return, kidify Itachi so that he would be about the age canonical Neji was. Basically, they're switching birthdays. In this way, I plan to make Itachi and Sasuke twins because that's just flat out adorable. And now, without further ado, let's get into the story. The night was silent. The crickets had stopped their song. No lanterns or candles could be seen, no lights in the buildings. Despite this, the dead silent night was illuminated by the full moon, the eye of Hamada gazing down upon this, seeing all, a halo of ice crystals encircling it in the sky like frozen tears drifting in the empty void. Neji looked up at the moon and took a breath. Was this relief? A sigh of dull emotion? Or perhaps he was merely attempting to catch his breath? What was it? Why was he out of breath? He thought back. In his mind's eye, he replayed the events leading up to this moment. The Hyuga affair, or so it was called, was what happened when a filthy Kumonin under the guise of an olive branch attempted to kidnap Hinata and take from her the Byakugan. Hiashi had done what any father could have and should have done. He killed the bastard. To that, Neji gave Hiashi credit. There was not anything wrong with what Hiashi had done in defending his daughter, and if he had been so caring of all of his family, Neji would not have felt as he did now. But what happened next? That was unforgivable. Hiashi, having killed the shinobi, was now the target of Kumo's ire. Kumo and Konoha were at war, and this was their last chance at peace. But it was a peace that should be built on trust, and Kumo had broken that trust first. It was Neji's opinion that Konoha bring all the power they had to bear and drop it on the accursed village hidden in the clouds. But no. Konoha and the Hyuga didn't desire that. In their spineless natures, they decided it was best to appease Kumo. They knew what Kumo had done and what they wanted, and they were nearly ready to give it to them. But the issue with this was that Hiashi refused to take responsibility for his actions. Kumo wanted Hiashi dead, but Hiashi didn't wish to die, so what's a rotten clan head to do? Perhaps he should pass it off on someone else. It just so happened that Hiashi had a brother, a twin, one who was merely seconds younger than him. The man's name was Hisashi, and he was Neji's father.
It was decided by Hiyashi, as well as the Elder, the man who just so happened to be Hiyashi and Hizashi's father, that it would be best to kill Hisashi and send him to the village hidden in the clouds. And that's exactly what they did. Neji's father had taken the rap for his brother and was killed against his will for the sake of the village and clan. 10 lousy damn seconds. That was all that stood in the way of Neji and his father being main branch members. And if such a thing had been so, no doubt this would not have happened. But it was now too late to cry over spilt milk. Neji boiled over this. More than once, his anger overtook him, and he would say something snide, or even nearly come to blows with his uncle and grandfather, and every time they would resort to the seal on his forehead to pacify him. Such a helpless feeling, so crushing. To be stuck, feeling a hatred that refuses to abate until paid for in blood, yet unable to satisfy it because of a cruel mark that bound you forever as a slave to the people who murdered your own father. People who were supposed to be your family. How many times had he drawn blood from his lip, biting it so hard as he saw the main branch family walk by? They'd caused so much suffering. In a world where he already lacked his freedom, they pushed more suffering upon him to simply make their lives even easier than they already were. Caught in despair, Neji had for a time considered ending his own life, throwing himself into the Naka River. After all, in his eyes, it was better to die free than to live a slave. It was there, however, that he met a man with a swirling mask. Who was he? Neji did not know. All he knew him as was Ghost. The man spoke to Neji and told him that he also had a grudge against the Hyuga. The main branch flaunted its power over the secondary branch, and the secondary branch remained silent. Perhaps there was nothing they could do, but to so easily resign themselves to such a life was pitiful. This Ghost told Neji that they needed to scrape away any connection to the past. They needed to rebuild the clan from the ground up, and further needed to rework the way the world worked if they wanted to ensure that nobody ever had to suffer the same way ever again. Despite this, Neji didn't feel as if he could agree to this. He told the masked man that he was branded with the cursed seal of the caged bird, and because of this, he was unable to do anything against his clan. The masked man would scoff at this and tell him it was trivial. Reaching his hand up, he released the seal on Neji's head. Neji wondered how this man could so easily remove the curse mark placed by the elders of the Hyuga. The man stood there silent for a moment as Neji's mind tried to understand what just happened. How does it feel, Neji? To be truly free. The cage opened, the bird allowed to soar. Neji was almost moved to tears by this. I'm free. Ghost's single visible eye narrowed. And what do you want with this freedom? Neji looked up. I want to expunge the main branch from existence. I want them to suffer. Then, maybe, they can feel a hint of pain, even a single iota of what I felt. Ghost would clap his hands. Then we are in agreement. Blood for blood, lives for lives. We will end the tyrannical reign of the main branch. And then we will offer the freedom of death to the blinded secondary branch members. And so, Neji and the Ghost made their way back to the Hyuga clan compound. There, Neji wasted no time making his way toward the main branch's home, his eyes full of bloodlust, his heart beating to the sound of the drums of war. Ghost split off from Neji and made his way to the main living area of the secondary branch, leaving Hiyashi and the others to Neji, knowing in his prodigious nature Neji could handle them just fine. Neji made his way into the building. There he was met by Natsu Hyuga, who was surprised to see him arrive so late. He looked to her, his veins bulging in his temples. Natsu was filled with a sudden sense of dread and horror. Before she could say a word, a blade was dragged across his stomach, carving through flesh and organ alike. Startled, she fell back, blood beginning to trickle from her lips. He walked on, leaving her to her fate. His blade dripping as he walked deeper, he opened the door to the main living quarters where both Hiyashi and the elders stood. They turned to look at him, surprised at his appearance so late in the night.
Neji, why have you intruded upon our private conversation?
The elder asked, crossing his arms, waiting for what he hoped would be a damn good explanation.
Why are you carrying a blade, and why is it bloody?
Neji closed the door behind him as he stepped into the light. Lowering his hood, he let up a smile. How many years have I waited for this? How many years have I dreamt of this? Now the moment is here, and I don't know which of my fantasies to live through. He took a step forward, his steps increasing in speed into nearly a sprint. The elder was shocked. Neji stepped into the swing like a batter aiming for a home run. However, instead of holding a bat, it was a katana, and instead of a baseball, it was one grouchy old man's worthless head. His blade made contact with the elder's neck, cleaving it from his body. Hiyashi was in total shock. He was so startled by this that he nearly forgot what to do. He raised his fingers to activate the curse mark in hopes of completely frying the nerve endings in Neji's brain. Neji laughed at this, removing his forehead protector to show that there was no curse mark. Hiyashi was startled by this. Neji touched the tip of the blade to Hiyashi's chest. "Do me a favor, and I may spare your youngest daughter. Say his name." Hiyashi was confused. "What?" Neji's smile turned into a furious snarl as he kicked Hiyashi in the face. "My father! The man you had murdered in your place! Say his name! I want it to be the last thing on your lips before I send you to hell!" Hiyashi was wiping the blood from his nose. "Hisashi!" Neji would press the blade through his heart. Twisting it a little, he pulled the blade back and walked on, finding Hinata's room where she lay in bed sleeping. At the other end of the room was a crib containing Hanabi. Neji stepped up to Hinata as she awakened to see him. She screamed out as if he were a monster, seeing him covered in blood. He spoke. "I should have been you." He raised his blade to strike her down, respectful of her youth and innocence subverting his just vengeance. He wanted it to be over quickly for her so she wouldn't suffer. His blade still dripping, he looked down on her and found himself taken out of his own head for but a moment, realizing what he had just done to the girl he had sworn to give his life for. What had he done? He shook his head to snap out of it. Justice. It was justice. I shouldn't have even been forced into her service to start with. Coming back to himself, he heard crying. Walking to the crib, he looked in at the child, Hanabi. Merely 2 years old, barely old enough to talk, barely old enough to remember anything. If the Hyuga's innocence could be condensed and personified, Hanabi was currently that. Despite his contempt for her family, he was still shaken by the murder of Hinata. He couldn't have killed her if he wanted to, but that being said, he had also given his word that he would spare her if Hiyashi had said the name of his father as he died, and Hiyashi had. Neji flicked his blade through the air, splattering blood onto the tatami carpet below. He then returned it to its saya, looking at the crying baby as it looked up to him in terror as if seeing the monster under its bed manifest under the light of the moon. He placed his hand over Hanabi's mouth and raised a finger to his own. Hanabi, in terror, would begin to hiccup, yet somehow managing to hold back from wailing. Neji turned and left. He left the building back into the night, where blood ran from every door like a river. From one of the homes came the ghost, his body littered with at least 5 different katanas, yet he strode about as if they meant nothing, like he were a porcupine paying no mind to its quills. He approached Neji as he slowly started pulling the blades and tossing them to the ground, regenerating nearly immediately afterward. "You sure took long enough," the man said, looking at the blood and the half-cocked smile. "Seems you enjoyed yourself. A bit too much, perhaps." Neji grit his teeth. "The fools got what they deserved. My only regret was that I didn't make them suffer more." The ghost stared silently at him. It was hard to gauge what this masked man was thinking, though it likely ranged from anywhere between disgust to pride in this boy's statement. The masked man, having removed every sword from his body, turned to leave. Neji called out to him, "Where are you going?" The man looked back. "Can't stay here, can we? We just committed an act of genocide. Konoha's gonna come through here eventually, and when they do, they're gonna be pissed. I don't think either of us should be here when that happens, wouldn't you agree?" Neji did agree. His life in Konoha was over. Wherever he set down roots, wherever he recreated the Hyuga clan, it wouldn't be here. He was about to have the highest bounty in Konoha's bingo book. The single most influential clan besides the Uchiha had just been massacred, and it was Neji who had done it. And so he left the village with this masked man. But to his surprise, when it came time, or so Neji had expected, for the two to part, the masked man instead invited him to join his plan. "Plan?" Neji asked. "What plan?" The masked man raised a finger to his cheekbone, mocking a pondering face. "The step to our revenge. Total destruction of Kumogakure. Wouldn't you like to see that village that killed your father burn?" Neji scoffed a laugh and looked away as if assuming this were a joke, but something in him knew that this man was serious, and even worse, his mind began to wonder if he could do it. He looked back at the man. "It would be a dream, but like most of the fantasies I have as I go to sleep, it's impossible." The man smiled with his eyes. "Wasn't the destruction of the Hyuga clan an impossible dream?" Neji considered it and decided to take the bait. "All right, I'll bite. How do you plan to do this?" The man found a place to rest. He needed to focus on what he was going to say, how best to articulate his plan to Neji, and he needed Neji to focus on his words. He then began to explain. "The moon." Neji stood there and looked up at it. "The moon." The man nodded. "We're going to drop it on Kumo and every other hidden village. We're going to wipe out the entire Shinobi world at once, alongside its darkness." Neji laughed. "The moon! We're gonna drop the moon." He laughed harder and then wiped the tears from his eyes, but then he grew more serious. And how do you expect to drop the moon on the shinobi villages? The man did not seem pleased that he was being joked about, but he swallowed his pride. After all, who wouldn't laugh at a plan that sounded so crazy? This was why he had to stop in the first place, knowing that his plan would require him to explain how one could control the moon. He began to speak. Neji, do you know about the origins of the Byakugan? Do you know where your eye comes from? Neji thought about it for a moment. Mutation? Likely a similar case to all dojutsu. You're both right and wrong. Wrong in saying that it's merely a mutation, and right in saying that its origins tie into all dojutsu. The Sharingan, the Ketsuryugan, the Byakugan. These are but a few of the possibilities that exist, and among humans, the Sharingan and Byakugan are the most plentiful. But they were not a symbol of mutation or adaptation. No, they're all inherited from a distant clan of celestial beings from which the Sage of Six Paths is descended. Neji was starting to stutter and stumble in disbelief. And then it kicked in. Another smile. He didn't believe him. How could he? Talk of celestial beings? The Sage of Six Paths? The Sage was a myth. He did not exist and was created by shinobi to embody the will of fire and what it meant to be enlightened. You plan to destroy the shinobi world with a bedtime story. The man shook his head. No, it is real, and I can prove it. Neji once more took the bait. He stood and followed the man who led him deeper. Through here, he said as they passed into a cave. The man spoke. There are many such caves as this, doorways through space and time. And if one knows where they are, one may travel anywhere at any time. And they all share a single nexus. One place where all roads meet, a singularity point. He led him in and the two slowly found themselves falling. Rushing down through what felt like water, they eventually found themselves ascending. Coming up through another cave, they found themselves in an ancient city. A city that contained the lore of the occurrence of chakra, the origin of modern society descended from ancient times. But this was not what the man wanted to show him. No, he led him out of the city and up toward the surface. There, stepping out onto the white ground, Neji witnessed it for the first time. The hovering earth in the ethereal darkness. Where are we? He asked with a hint of frantic disbelief in his voice. The man held his arms out wide and turned in a circle. This is the moon. Neji looked around. How did you find this place? The man began walking again, leading him toward a lone structure on the white dusted rock. It was by chance that I found this place. But then again, karma must be equaled, and this is my due return. He led Neji inside. The Uchiha believed that they were the only ones with a stone monument. Not so. He showed them a stone slab within the structure, a castle dusty and in disrepair. This stone can only be read by one possessing the blood of Hamura strongly, those of the Hyuga who possess a Byakugan. This speaks of a forgotten dojutsu from which all Byakugan were descended, the legendary and mythical Tensaon, a dojutsu whose abilities surpass even that of the Rinnegan. With it, gravitational forces, the will of the universe, fate itself will be ours to command. Life and death, rebirth, and that is what I hope to bring to the world, rebirth. Let the former world pass away, euthanize the sick dog so it may be reborn anew. A world without war, without pain, without shinobi. A world where all are truly free to follow their own path. Neji stood there and looked at it. Why did you approach me? The man looked back. I sought a partner, someone who shared my ideals, and you were the perfect choice. Neji continued to stare at him, his eyes remaining doubtful. You could have taken any of the Hyuga. Why did you choose me specifically? Or let me rephrase, what were you doing at the Naka River that day when I was about to throw myself off the cliff? The man stood there silently. Neji followed this up with one final, very important question. Who are you? The man blinked silently for a moment. Finally, he took a breath in the form of a sigh, as if he were attempting to decide whether or not to speak. Neji then decided for him. If you really want me to help you, then you need me to trust you. And you're never going to get me to trust you so long as you hide your identity. Who are you? The man looked up at him with a click of his tongue. Slowly, he undid the strap holding his mask on. He removed the mask from his face to show none other than the face of Hisashi Hyuga himself. Neji was startled by this. Father, no, impossible. He was killed. Neji pulled a blade. I don't know who you are, but if you're using the face of my father as some twisted joke, I'll kill you just as I did the others. Hisashi smiled. It truly is me, my son. Do you remember the day you were branded with the cursed seal? Do you remember what happened? Neji nodded. Hisashi continued. I maintained my composure before going home with you, where I locked myself away in my room and cried. My contempt for the clan solidified that day, and the day my life was taken from me, I remembered only you. Your face was the last on my mind as I perished. It is indeed me. Neji's grip on his katana intensified, though his stance slightly relaxed. How? Hisashi stood there and looked around as if deep in thought himself. Rebirth, my son. Neji took a step forward, his stance growing a bit more combat-oriented. No more riddles. You owe me an answer. Hisashi sighed once more. I suppose I do. He sat down. The day I was killed, I saw my life flash before my eyes. From what I surmise, my body truly was delivered to Kumo. But at that time, my Byakugan were already sealed, so they were of no use to Kumo. Whatever happened after that is a mystery to me. I was in the land of the dead. I saw old friends, allies from my time in the Third Shinobi World War. I thought I had found some sort of peace. But as I was starting to get settled, a chain from the lower world wrapped around me and began to pull me back. Unable to resist, I awakened. The state of my body was not what it had been. I felt dirty, sinful, like an abomination, an affront to nature. And that's exactly what I am. An impure reincarnation, closer to a half-resurrection. How did you come back? Neji asked. Hisashi raised his hand to explain that he was getting to that. I awakened and saw a snake. Neji grimaced. Orochimaru. Hisashi further explained his story. I awakened, that snake of a man standing over me. He stated that he had rediscovered the second Hokage's crown jewel, his biggest achievement in ninjutsu, a forbidden technique to which none were allowed to use after its development. The impure world reincarnation jutsu. You see, with special commands achieved through sealing formulas and one's own chakra, they can take a living soul and overwrite their genetic structure, as well as their spirit with one of the deceased, so long as the catcher possesses some direct DNA from the one they wish to reincarnate. With this method, Orochimaru gave me new life. But this life was not one without cost. Once again, I was a slave. Orochimaru's grip over me was tight, and I found myself only holding on because of my compliance. You see, he had the ability to suppress my consciousness the moment I stepped out of line. And so my only options were to follow his orders or have my mind reduced to a mere shell. Neji by this time had taken a seat. Then how did you get away? Hisashi smiled. Karma. Good karma. Having suffered in life as much as I had, I was due for good things to happen to me. It just so happened that I discovered the hand signs Orochimaru used to control me. A situation that should have been impossible when considering how conscientious Orochimaru is. But I managed to free myself from his grasp. The chains were broken, but I didn't run away. Not yet. I played my part further, getting information on current world events, information on various projects, and anything else I could get my hands on. And when I no longer needed Orochimaru, I simply snuck up behind him and killed him. He never expected it. He never saw it coming. From there, I snuck out and went into hiding. Nobody could know that I was still alive, not if I planned to get my revenge. It was by chance that the cave I decided to hide in possessed a secret portal that led here. And it was from here that I learned of the Hyuga's origins, the origins of our Byakugan, and the primal reversion that allows us to gain more power by returning to the root of our dojutsu. The moment I learned these things, a plan began to form, and it was you that I needed for that plan. It was good that I kept my eyes on you. If I had not, you would not be here today. Neji stood there and clicked his katana back into place, locking it down. So, does this mean you're alive or dead? The wounds you shrugged off would kill any normal person. Hisashi looked at his hands, cracks running through them, through his face and body. His sclera were dark as midnight, causing his Byakugan to come across as simply a pair of white orbs floating in a void set within his head. I don't know the answer to that question, but considering what I feel deep within my soul, I believe I'm neither. I'm neither living nor dead. I'm undead, tethered to this existence simply by my grudge against the shinobi world. My reason for living is to see this unfair, unjust world burn, and from those ashes, a new world will be reborn. A world where my son sits upon a throne, his unending potential laid bare for all to see. The Tensaon, Neji said. Hisashi smiled. Yes, the Tensaon. Your Tensaon. Neji smirked. What do we need to accomplish this? Hisashi stood once more. We need but two things. Chakra from a set of reincarnations. The reincarnations of Indra and Ashura Otsutsuki. Neji stood there silent for a moment before speaking. Fair. Now tell me, who are these reincarnations? Naruto and Sasuke were racing through the forest together. The two boys had been close since birth, and that was mostly because Fugaku and Makoto Uchiha had basically adopted him. Their house was full, as was their hearts. 3 boys, all about the same age. As rough as that seemed, knowing how rowdy boys can be, it wasn't really that bad. These boys were mostly low maintenance because they had the others to play with, and therefore they left Fugaku alone to do his work. But on occasions, every so often, Fugaku would leave his office for the nearby forests, where he would round the boys up for a rousing game of tag. But the kind of tag they played was closer to a shinobi sparring session. This meant cheating to a point was allowed. The only rule that Fugaku expected them to follow was, if you're tagged, you're out. And right now, Fugaku was on their tails. His Sharingan active. He had an unfair advantage of size, strength, and ability over them in a way that seemed nearly hopeless for them. But this was exactly what they needed. You didn't grow if all you did was succeed. Sometimes they would play survival tag, and the winner wasn't decided by who didn't get tagged, but by the one who was the last to get tagged. But it wasn't only the kids who needed training, but Fugaku himself. So sometimes he would add an extra stipulation. If you make it to the door of the Naka Shrine, you will have beaten me. And right now, every boy was running like their life depended on it toward the Naka Shrine. And in the sense of imagination, their life did depend on it. Because in each of their minds, they believed themselves to be in the Third Shinobi World War. Rushing back to base with hidden intel on enemy encampments or some super weapon that would turn the tide. Fugaku kept chasing them, moving from tree to tree. Sasuke looked over his shoulder and saw Fugaku. "He's coming," he shouted. To his right was Naruto, who was younger than Sasuke by just a few months, and to his left was his twin brother Itachi, who was older by 4 minutes. Sasuke then spoke to them. "Peel off, we have the number advantage. He can't chase all 3 of us at once." Naruto nodded and Itachi did as well. The 2 boys went in completely separate directions. Sasuke, however, continued to run straight. Without so much as slowing down, Fugaku kept up the chase, his eyes already set on Sasuke. He continued to jump through the tree limbs. Fugaku was catching up. Sasuke knew he couldn't outrun his father like this. He may have been lighter, but his legs were smaller, which meant the gait of his stride was much smaller. He only had one chance to get away. As Fugaku got close, Sasuke leapt lightly and instead gripped the next limb loosely with his fingers and swung from it into another tree's trunk, where he pushed off of it and hit the ground rolling before he suddenly rose to his feet and began rushing in the direct opposite direction. He knew that it would take far longer for his father to turn around and catch up, and this decision caught Fugaku by surprise. Damn, he's getting good. But the issue with this was that Sasuke forgot that his father knew the multi-shadow clone jutsu. He realized too late that the Fugaku who had been chasing him was a clone. Suddenly, a set of kunai flew from a bush. Sasuke saw them, but it was too late, and he was pinned to the nearest tree trunk by the kunai in his own sleeves. Opening his eyes, he saw Fugaku approach. "You're too late," Sasuke shouted with a sly smile. "We're gonna get away." Fugaku smiled at his son. "Are you so sure?" Fugaku approached his son. "Time to see if you have the true shinobi metal to keep your base's location secret after a little advanced interrogation." Sasuke gulped as Fugaku raised his sleeves. Fingers going straight to the ribs, he tickled Sasuke as hard as he could. Naruto was running when he suddenly heard Sasuke's voice from the forest behind him rising over the treetops, scaring away the birds. He sighed and made the sign of the cross. "My poor brother in arms, rest in spaghetti, never forgetty. I'll remember your sacrifice." He then made his way to a secret treehouse that was created for just such an occasion. There he met up with Itachi. "Sasuke has fallen. The mission rests on us now," Naruto said. Itachi pulled out a map, obviously taking this game way too seriously. He pointed to a red X. "This is us." He then pointed to a red circle on the map. "And this is the Naka Shrine. If we take this path right here, we should be able to sneak by without being seen." Naruto looked at the map and shook his head. "No, that's too roundabout. It'll take forever to get there, and time is of the essence. I think we should take this path. It's straighter." Itachi shook his head. "No, we can't take that one. It goes straight through an open field. It's the most obvious choice for us to take." Fugaku then pointed to a place on the map. "You should take this path here. It's a ravine and has plenty of cover." Naruto nodded. "Yeah, that's perfect." He gave Fugaku a high five. Suddenly, Naruto realized what had happened. "Damn it, I've been tagged." Fugaku ruffled Naruto's hair a bit. "You did a lot better this time, Naruto. You'll have me one of these days, I just know it." Fugaku then took off after Itachi, who had left the moment Fugaku entered the room. Itachi was by far the fastest of the bunch, and keeping up with him was a real chore. "How do those tiny legs move so fast?" Fugaku asked as he watched Itachi move. Itachi jumped from one limb to the next, and as he did, he spun in a circle and threw off a set of shuriken. "360 no-scope!" he shouted as his shuriken hit the tree limb, snapping as soon as Fugaku stepped on it, causing him to fall. Fugaku hit the ground hard. He sat up and rubbed the back of his neck. Alright, shit's on now, Fugaku said as he activated his Mangekyo Sharingan. He began chasing after Itachi again. Itachi kept running. He saw it. It was right there. All he had to do was get to it. He hit the clearing and began running across the stone toward the Naka Shrine's door. Suddenly, a kunai struck the ground in front of him and he tripped on it. Hitting the ground, he looked back and saw it, and just then made eye contact with Fugaku. Itachi frantically started crawling toward the door. I just gotta touch it. He reached out as far as he could, and at that moment, the game was over. Fugaku knelt there, gripping Itachi's ankles as Itachi's hand was 6 inches short of the door. Fugaku smiled. Tag, you're it. Itachi's heart shattered. I would have won. I would have made it. Fugaku stood and clicked his tongue with a smile. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. On the battlefield, a hair's width is the difference between life and death, and you just died, buddy boy. Fugaku grinned. He opened his right eye to peek at Itachi, who was still laying there. There was the sound of light sobbing. Suddenly, Fugaku's sweet victory turned a little bitter as he realized that he had got a little too competitive with his 7-year-old son. He pulled Itachi up to his feet and sat him on his rear, noticing that he had scraped up his knees when he tripped. Suddenly, Fugaku felt like his #1 dad mug was smashed. He pulled Itachi's hair from his face and spoke. You know, this is the furthest you've ever made it. And honestly, this is the first time I've ever had to resort to my Mangekyo just to beat you. Honestly, if I were even 1 second shorter, then I would have been beaten by you. That's impressive. Itachi still seemed a little upset. Fugaku put his hand on his shoulder. Itachi. The boy looked up, his large eyes overflowing with tears. Fugaku smiled. I am proud of you. So much. You're far stronger than I would have ever expected. And that 360 no-scope thing you did? Style points. I couldn't have ever asked for better kids. Honestly, I see so much of myself in you, but I see so much more potential than I have. One of these days, I'll be the one who can't make it to the Naka Shrine while you chase me. And when that day comes, I'll let you rub it in my face as much as you want, okay? Now come on, let's get home. He helped Itachi stand. Together, the two of them walked back home, meeting up with Sasuke and Naruto. They saw Fugaku and Itachi coming and they ran over to him. Itachi, did you do it? Did you get away? Itachi smiled to hide his disappointment. No, I didn't. I was caught a half foot from the door. Naruto's eyes lit up. Cool, that's a new record. Sasuke was impressed too. A half foot, that's basically a victory. Fugaku smiled. It would have been if I hadn't used my Mangekyo. Naruto and Sasuke both looked even more awestruck. Your secret jutsu? Naruto shouted. That says a lot if you had to break that out with just us, Sasuke said. Fugaku laughed. Yep, it means you boys are really getting strong. Probably in the next year, you'll all beat me to the Naka Shrine. It was then that Fugaku looked up and saw Hiruzen standing by the door to his home. His face displayed a darkness on it that Fugaku hadn't seen since the Nine Tails escaped. He patted the boys on the head. Why don't you go inside and play? I'm going to talk to Lord Hiruzen. The boys then ran off to play some more. Fugaku walked up to Hiruzen. I know that look. Something really bad has happened. What is it? Hiruzen took a deep breath as if trying to decide how he was going to say this. It's about the Hyuga clan. Itachi was in the house with Makoto. She was cleaning up his skinned knees and wrapping them up to stave off infection and help them heal. Itachi winced as the alcohol was applied. Makoto had a soft smile on her face as she focused on the task. Despite her attention to his knees, she still managed to ask how it went. Itachi told her the honest truth, that he was disappointed because he was so close, merely a half a foot away from victory before he was caught by his father. But he did take pride in the fact that it forced his father to make use of his Mangekyo Sharingan to win. Makoto's face did not betray her thoughts on this, as she maintained the same expression and level of attentiveness as before. Deep down, she believed that Fugaku had done that on purpose. Fugaku was a very competitive man, and this included the games he played. Fugaku was not a man to let anyone win, and he would go to any lengths to beat you, even so far as forgetting that he was playing a simple game with a 12-year-old. You forced him to use his Mangekyo. That means he had to use his full power just to stop you, and you still almost won. I wouldn't be disappointed with that. In the next few months, as you continue to grow stronger, you'll overtake him. And that promise is a prize worth more than a moment of victory. Itachi smiled. That's what Dad said. He said we could beat him in about a month. I suppose I'm just a little let down. I was certain I'd beaten him. She gently wrapped the bandages around his knees. I know you are, but keep your eyes on the positives and find a silver lining in every bad thing. If you do this, and you always look for the good, she looked up and smiled, putting her hands on his cheek. That's all you'll ever see. Itachi's eyes sparkled as he considered her logic. She hadn't said it, and she didn't need to. There would always be bad, and this outlook she was recommending didn't stop pain from entering your life, but it could help alleviate it and help keep you happy. Suddenly, Itachi coughed. Not once or twice, but a whole fit. Makoto began to pat his back. "Are you okay, Itachi?" He nodded. I just got a little strangled. My bad." Makoto put her hand to his head. "Itachi, you have a fever. Are you sure you're okay?" She pushed his hair from his face, and for the first time, his expression changed. Now it displayed a bit of anxiousness. "I'll be fine, Mom," he said. "It's just that time of year again. You know I get fevers when allergy season rolls around." She seemed to smile a bit. She kissed his head and helped him stand. She pat his back. "Go off and play with the others." Itachi nodded and ran off. Makoto turned back to watch him go for a moment and felt as if her heart had stopped for just a moment. She took a breath and ignored whatever feeling this was and went about her daily duties as mother. All the while, Fugaku was in his office with Hiruzen. Fugaku slumped in his chair, his elbow on the armrest, hand raised over his face as he tried to process this new information. "The Hyuga clan?" "I checked it out myself," Hiruzen said as he sat in the most comfortable chair Fugaku could provide. "Hiyashi Hyuga was murdered, as was his father the Elder and his daughter Hinata. The whole clan was found slaughtered except for one, Hanabi. She was the only one spared." Fugaku didn't know what to say or do about this. What is it that the Uchiha clan can do to help in this situation? Hiruzen thought for a moment. "Whatever slack left behind by the Hyuga will have to be evenly distributed among the rest of Konoha's 3 noble clans. I've already spoken to the Aburame clan about this and need to speak with the Akamichi clan next. Whatever there is that you can do to aid the others will be most welcome." Fugaku stood from his seat and helped up Hiruzen. "Of course, I will be glad to." He walked Hiruzen to the door. "One final thing. How's the investigation come? Do you have any idea of who may be behind this?" Hiruzen stroked his chin. "We have no suspect yet. However, we're interviewing Hanabi right now." Fugaku seemed a little concerned. Is she really a reliable witness? She's probably no older than 2, correct? Hiruzen took a breath and released it as a sigh. "She's the only lead we have. We'll have to make do. We'll attempt to corroborate her statements with any evidence we can find to make sure that what she's saying is correct. In the meantime, I actually came to offer a mission to your children. If you would, have them meet me sometime tomorrow. Then we can discuss their mission objectives." Fugaku nodded. "I'll let them know." Hiruzen smiled and bid him good day before leaving to continue making his rounds, notifying the rest of the noble clans. Fugaku returned to the interior of his house and made his way to the room where his children were. There he found Sasuke and Naruto playing a video game, and Itachi in the corner, snuggled up in a blanket, resting on a pile of stuffed animals. He looked like he was sleeping really hard. Fugaku laughed a little. Play hard, rest hard. He turned to Sasuke and Naruto and began to talk to them about it. He told them that Hiruzen was hoping to meet with them sometime in the morning to discuss a mission and to inform Itachi when he woke up. Naruto and Sasuke acknowledged this and returned to their game. The day thereafter, Itachi, Sasuke, and Naruto set out at the brink of dawn for the Hokage's residence. There they waited for Hiruzen to speak. Itachi was the head of their little group and would be the one in charge of the mission as per usual. Sasuke and Naruto never contested this, as Itachi was by far the strongest of the 3, as well as the wisest and most intelligent. Itachi was one of those who came once in a lifetime that you knew had no fate other than becoming Hokage. That was the honest truth of it. Following Itachi's example, they stood with honor and pride, not speaking and maintaining their patience so as to let Hiruzen prepare in peace. This politeness was something that always caught Hiruzen's eye. If only all generations of shinobi could be like this one. He smiled and pushed a piece of paper toward their side of the desk. Itachi reached out and took the slip. Hiruzen began to explain that there was a certain bridge worker who needed an escort to the Land of Waves, and that Itachi's team was chosen to perform the mission due to their display of skill in prior missions. Itachi and his team were excited about this and their ability to help Konoha once again. The trio would then return to their home for an hour to pack properly and inform their family of the mission and the time frame that they were expected to be gone from the village. Fugaku, proud of his 3 sons, would bid them all farewell while Makoto helped them pack. Makoto eventually made her way to Itachi, who by this time had already managed to finish packing. She smiled and pulled him into her embrace. "Are you sure you feel okay to go on this mission, Itachi? If you're still feeling sick, we can tell Mr. Hiruzen and he'll understand." Itachi smiled. "I feel fine, Mom. You worry too much. A little time out of the village will do me good." Makoto would kiss his cheek, embarrassing the boy a little. Okay, but don't push yourself too hard, and be sure to stay safe and have fun. She then saw the trio off. Itachi, Sasuke, and Naruto would eventually find Tazuna, who was waiting for them by the gate. The old man seemed tired and ready to go home. He looked like he'd been standing there for hours, and his expression was that of someone who was beginning to lose patience. His expression shifted to confusion when he saw 3 children approach him.
Wait, they're sending me out with kids? I thought I paid for Joni, not juniors.
Itachi offered him a smile. With all due respect, sir, we're considered elite shinobi by comparison with the rest in our age range. We'll do in a pinch. Tazuna sighed.
You better be exactly what I paid for.
And so the group of 4 set out. As they did, what you would normally expect occurred. The demon brothers pop out to ambush them, but they're completely fodderized by Itachi, Sasuke, and Naruto, all of which have been training their rears off for as long as they could walk and do hand signs. And with the skills these 3 possess, it becomes very clear to Tazuna why he was sent these kids. In fact, he begins to wonder if he didn't quite pay enough for this. They're that good in his eyes. But just because the demon brothers were practically nothing to them, it doesn't mean the same will be true of Zabuza. Now, Zabuza is one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist, and you don't just become one of those because you like to talk about swords. No, he is one of the better shinobi that all of Kiri has to offer, or technically, had to offer. I say this because he's not really with Kiri anymore. He's rogue and working as a mercenary, and right now he was hired to have Tazuna killed, and the only thing standing in his way are these 3 children, so a battle takes place. However, he comes to realize really late that he's dealing with some of the better shinobi this generation has to offer. Itachi himself has the capabilities and know-how to really give Zabuza a run for his money, particularly because the boy already has a set of 3 Tomoe Sharingan. Sasuke has an eye with 2 and an eye with 1, but regardless of that, he's still a threat. Sasuke would team up with Itachi to push forward when he sees Itachi starting to struggle. By this time, the battle is a dead even match, but here comes Naruto to tip the balances. If Sasuke and Itachi were spearheads, Naruto is a hammer. He may not be as accurate or graceful, but he has the strength and force behind him to shatter defenses like it doesn't even matter, particularly because his training at this time under Fugaku, sanctioned by Hiruzen, has led to him making use of the version 1 cloak and mastering it. Version 2 is still way out of reach, but that's okay as it leaves him room to grow. Together, the 3 manage to just outwit Zabuza, causing him to flee. Tazuna watches Zabuza get away and clicks his tongue.
That's gonna be an issue in the future.
He looks to the 3 of them and crosses his arms with a smile.
I must say, the level of skill you kids have is utterly incredible. I never would have guessed that such a large amount of skill could be hidden within such a small package.
Suddenly, Itachi's knees buckle and he hits the ground to the surprise of everyone else. He grips at his chest and wheezes loudly. He coughs and falls to his side. Sasuke runs to him. Itachi! He holds him up. Itachi! Itachi, what's wrong? Itachi tries to form words, but he can't speak. He almost sounds like he's choking on the oxygen he's attempting to breathe, and Sasuke believes that he witnesses blood on Itachi's teeth. Tazuna comes to their side and looks to Itachi.
What happened to him? This doesn't seem right.
Naruto is just standing a little ways away, still in shock, trying to process what just happened. He'd never seen this before. Tazuna picks Itachi up.
We're not far from my house. We're gonna get him there and let him rest.
The group then rush to Tazuna's home where he allows Itachi to rest. Tazuna calls for a doctor. Now, given how Gato had taken control of their little village, poverty had risen. The people could just hardly afford doctors, and doctors didn't have the proper time to study as they had to scramble for some other way to make money to keep themselves and their families afloat. So the best you had were usually people of the same level of knowledge as a low-level nurse. The doctor would come and check up on Itachi to see what was wrong. They wait outside nervously. Tazuna, at this point, despite knowing their skill, is reminded that they're just kids, not too different from Inari. They're skilled, and so they should be. When something happens to your friend like what they just witnessed, fear is the only reaction. But he also gives them encouragement, telling them that it'll all be okay, and reminding them that they performed properly during the emergency, telling them that it was a testament to how truly ingrained into their being their skill was. Eventually, the doctor would come out, and Sasuke is the first to act about it. The doctor wipes his hands.
Does your brother have a history with asthma, chronic bronchitis, tuberculosis?
Sasuke shakes his head. The doctor takes a deep breath and releases it slowly.
Well, I've prescribed some antibiotics.
It seems that the restricted breathing fit has passed, but I suggest plenty of bed rest and nothing too strenuous until he can get a proper diagnosis and treatment by someone with better medical knowledge than I. Sasuke nodded, as did Naruto. After the doctor left, the two of them would enter Itachi's room to see him laying there in the bed, resting. His face gave off the impression that he was miserable, and such an expression was only natural for someone who went through what he had gone through. The two boys sat there by his side the entire time, with Tazuna watching. He spoke to them quietly. "Be careful, boys. If he has tuberculosis, it could be contagious." Sasuke didn't even look back. "I don't care. He's my brother, and I'm not gonna leave him to suffer alone." The day after, Sasuke and Naruto were on the bridge with the builders, having left Itachi behind to rest. Through the night, Itachi had developed a fever that still hadn't gone away, and Sasuke had been up practically all night tending to him. Now, currently, Tsunami had taken it upon herself to tend to Itachi's needs, but Sasuke and Naruto had not slept much, and though they were trained to go quite some time without sleep, the fatigue was catching up with them. That's when both Haku and Zabuza showed up. Naruto and Sasuke would split their adversaries between each other, with Naruto taking Haku and Sasuke taking Zabuza. The four did battle for a while, and though Naruto and Sasuke were strong, neither could gain purchase over the other, and it became a long battle of attrition. That was until Gato showed up with his mob. Sasuke and Naruto looked over, and to their horror, they saw that Gato's men had captured the inhabitants of Tazuna's household, including Itachi. Sasuke raised his hand. Wait. Gato raised a brow and smiled. "Oh, is this shinobi here worth something to you?" Sasuke on his knees sat there. "Please, I beg of you, spare him." Gato's smile shifted into a grin. "And what are you willing to do for this?" Sasuke's eyes were turned down toward the concrete. "Anything. He's my brother." Gato began to laugh. "All right, kill the old man." Sasuke looked up. "What?" "You heard me," Gato said as his grip around Itachi's neck tightened. "Kill Tazuna and I'll let your brother go." Sasuke stood and took out a kunai and walked to Tazuna. He looked at it in his hand. "Take an innocent life and abandon your mission. All to save your brother." Could he really do it? Should he? Sasuke shook his head as he began to tear up. He fell to his knees. I can't do it." Tazuna saw this. There was no sense in sending children out to do a man's job. That was the issue with Konoha sending these kids, or any kids for that matter, out on missions alone. All the same, Tazuna couldn't stand watching Sasuke being forced to choose, and so Tazuna took the kunai from him and ended his own life. Sasuke asked him why he would do such a thing, and with Tazuna's final breath he spoke. "I did it so that Inari and Tsunami are safe." Tazuna then fell over. Sasuke stood. Slowly, the men Gato had brought with him crossed the bridge and began slaughtering the workers, all while Sasuke couldn't take his eyes off Tazuna's body. He only looked away when he turned to Gato. The old Yakuza adjusted his glasses and smiled. "A deal's a deal. The shinobi is yours, if you can save him." He then threw Itachi off of the bridge into the water below. Sasuke ran to the edge. "Itachi!" He saw him hit the water. Sasuke would dive down into it below and swim deeper until he found Itachi and began pulling him back to the surface. Sasuke coughed as his lungs tried to expel the water they had inadvertently taken in. Naruto stood on the bridge's edge and looked down. Sasuke looked up. "Naruto, help me!" Naruto dived in as well and helped pull Sasuke and Itachi up from the water. The trio then rested for a bit in Tazuna's home. Tsunami and Inari had been spared due to the actions of Tazuna, but Tsunami was now quiet. She didn't speak to the boys, and Inari was so full of rage that he cursed them and spat at them. On one occasion, he even tried to attack Sasuke, screaming that heroes don't exist, and that he should have known that Sasuke would be so selfish. The guilt began to eat away at Sasuke as he realized he'd been too weak to stop Tazuna. But what else was he supposed to do? He was about to lose Itachi. For about a day, they rested. Then, when Itachi was well enough to travel, they began to make their way back to Konoha, where Sasuke would give an account for the mission, to which Hiruzen would say was unfortunate and mark it as a failure. He would then begin organizing a mission to send more shinobi to the Land of Waves in an attempt to break Gato's control, which would likely lead to a bloody conflict. One Konoha would eventually win, but not without cost. Returning to their family's household, Itachi would be brought in by Sasuke, and Fugaku and Makoto would both rush to their side, worried for Itachi's sake. Makoto would tell Itachi that she thought it was too early for him to go, to which Fugaku would ask her what this meant. She would tell Fugaku everything about his cough and low-grade fever he had the day of their training session. She had thought it was allergies, but according to what Sasuke and Naruto had said, as well as the doctor who had come by to check him out, it was far worse than that. Makoto would tend to Itachi and stay by his side, helping him fight his fever. Fugaku would send for another doctor to get a second opinion, as even the doctor of the Land of Waves recommended. The doctor would arrive and enter Itachi's room to begin the examination, questioning Itachi on symptoms and giving him a complete physical, including a blood test. Makoto would be pacing the floor in Fugaku's office as he sat in his chair. Naruto and Sasuke were instructed to just go to another room and play video games or something, which they were doing, though they remained very quiet, as if only going through the motions. Fugaku watched his wife. "Wouldn't you like to sit down, Makoto?" he asked. She shook her head. "No, I don't think I can. Not with Itachi like this." Fugaku stood and walked over to her and put his hands on her shoulders. "It's going to be okay. These things happen sometimes, and they always get better. Remember what you told me all those years ago. Look for the silver lining and focus on that." She shook her head. "I can't. There isn't one." Fugaku felt his heart drop. "Why do you say that?" She blinked. "I don't know. I just feel that way." It wasn't much longer before the doctor came into the office. He knocked once on the door jamb before Fugaku invited him in. Fugaku sat down in a chair, as did Makoto. The doctor also took a seat. "How is he, doctor?" Fugaku asked. Makoto stared on with intensity in her eyes, as if somehow what this man said next would dictate whether she lived or died. The doctor sat there for a moment silently, looking as if he wanted to speak, but every time he took a breath, he let it back out with a sigh and tried again. "I've been doing some tests and..." He trailed off. "And what? Just spit it out, damn it!" Fugaku exclaimed as he leaned back in his chair. The doctor, a little startled by this outburst, tried to collect himself before beginning again. "I ran a complete physical and noted some unusual things in your son's physical health. First off, he's quite underweight. Have you noticed?" Fugaku shook his head. "I haven't." The doctor continued. "He's been steadily losing weight for a while, and I believe he may have been trying to hide it. I can see each of his ribs clearly, as well as his spine." Makoto seemed shocked. "We feed him well enough." The doctor nods. "I'm sure you do. I'm not saying you don't, Miss Makoto. This is an abnormality within his body. He said that this has been going on for a while and he didn't want to alarm anyone. He assumed he just wasn't eating enough. And considering the nature of his symptoms, I believe we're going to have to run more extensive tests. I've taken a sample of his blood and I'm going to look into it to see what's wrong. For now, I encourage you to make sure he's resting and let me know if there's any change in his physical condition." Fugaku and Makoto nodded and let him leave. After he was gone, Fugaku walked into Itachi's room where the boy was resting. He knelt down beside him. "Itachi." Itachi opened his eyes. "Yeah?" Fugaku swallowed. "Why didn't you tell us this stuff was going on?" Itachi was silent for a moment, as if he were trying to properly articulate what he was going to say next. "I didn't want you to worry about me. I didn't think it was a big deal." Fugaku shook his head. "The doctor said you're sickly thin. You should have known that something wasn't right, and you should have told us. Why did you go so long without mentioning this?" Itachi looked at his father with a hint of a tear in his eye. "I'm sorry, Papa." Fugaku immediately melted. "I love you, you know this, right? I love you more than anything in the whole world, and I would die for you. I just want you to be healthy." Fugaku stood. "Get some rest." As he was about to step out, he heard a voice speak. "I lied." Fugaku looked back to see Itachi was sitting up in bed. "I lied, father." Fugaku turned around. "About what?" Itachi looked up, tears starting to drip down his cheeks. "I knew something was wrong with me, and I didn't tell you because I was afraid that..." "Afraid of what?" Fugaku asked. Itachi almost lost composure as the sound of his voice proved. "I was afraid you would stop letting me go on missions. Stop letting me train with you." His voice was breaking down more and more as his face was displaying anguish. "Stop letting me serve Konoha." He finally broke all the way down. "And stop letting me play with Sasuke and Naruto." Tears fell down his cheeks as he cried. Fugaku sat down on the bed beside Itachi and held him in his arms. "You're right. I would've. And you know why that is? It's because I love you, and making sure you're healthy means more to me than what kind of shinobi you'll grow up to be." He sat Itachi on his lap. "You know I would have been so happy no matter what dream you had chosen. If you had chosen to do anything else other than be a shinobi, I would have been proud, and I still would be even if you or your brothers decide to change careers at any time. I'm upset because you let yourself continue and get more and more unhealthy without telling me. That's why I'm so upset. And yes, I am going to take you off of missions and training, but I'm not going to tell you that you can't play with your brothers. I just want you to get better, okay? Itachi nodded, but hadn't yet stopped crying. Fugaku would hold his son as he rocked him back and forth. Out of the corner of his eye, Fugaku noticed Sasuke watching from around the corner. Their eyes met and locked on for the span of about 5 seconds before Sasuke turned and walked on. Fugaku stayed with Itachi and kept him company until eventually he fell asleep. Some time would pass, and Fugaku would explain to Makoto what he had said, and it would startle her. To know how far he'd been pushing himself, neglecting his own health just to please his father, that upset her more than words could dictate, and Fugaku shared the same sentiment. Eventually, the test results would come back, and the doctor would return to speak with them about it. Fugaku and Makoto would be sitting there in their chairs. The doctor would also take a seat and begin to speak. I'm sorry to tell you this, but the results of the blood test showed that he has an abnormally high level of CEA in his blood. Fugaku tried to understand. What does this mean exactly? The doctor continued. It's a protein that's normally found during pregnancy and is present in a baby as it grows. Normally, this protein begins to drop off after birth. Such incredible amounts of it after birth, particularly when one is in or close to adulthood, is generally a sign of a tumor. Makoto's eyes got wider and wider as her brow began to furrow more and more. Tumor? The doctor nodded. We believe that Itachi may have lung cancer. Fugaku groaned as he sat forward. How long has he had it? Can he be cured? The doctor took a breath. We don't know. It's hard to say without more tests. You will need to bring him in to see for certain where he is, and from there we can brainstorm treatments. But for now, it's paramount that you don't let him overexert himself. Makoto and Fugaku were silent. The doctor stood. I'll set up an appointment. I'll see you later. He left. Makoto just sat there, silently. Cancer. Itachi has... As the doctor left the room, he noticed Sasuke standing outside of the room, looking up at him with a tearful look in his eyes. Sasuke made his way up the stairs into his room where he shut the door and locked it. He began to cry. He fell to his knees. How could this happen? Why? Why does Itachi have to be sick? He asked himself, wondering where the silver lining to this was. How unfair, how cruel and unfair a fate this was. As he sat there and cried, slowly, Sasuke's tears turned to blood, the appearance of a dark flower appearing in the iris of his eye. Itachi. Fugaku and Makoto sat in the office with the doctor. Itachi was resting on his mother's lap, his head rested against her chest as he seemed to have been wiped out by the tests he took. The room was filled with an air of dread, the humidity of it bolstered by the small size and the increased perspiration of his parents. Itachi felt comfort in this warmth, and in it he found himself straddling the line between alertness and the realm of dreams. Stage 4, the doctor said. Fugaku felt as if he were going to have a heart attack. Stage 4? What the hell are we gonna do about it? What are the treatments? How do we fight this? The doctor clasped his fingers and pressed his brow into them. We can't do anything. It's too far along. The best we could possibly do is slow it down. Fugaku stood and slammed his hands against the table. We can't stand here and do nothing. The doctor looked up. We don't have treatments that can undo this, Fugaku. We can fight it as hard as we want, but we won't win. This is terminal. In the end, we need to think about quality of life. Do you want your son to be in immense pain, even though you know he won't pull out of it? Do you want to ruin what little time he has left with you? Fugaku stood there, tears dripping from his eyes as his fist slammed against the table. I don't want to say there was a chance and I didn't try. The doctor leaned forward. Fugaku, do you trust me? Fugaku looked at him. The doctor spoke. I took an oath to always do what is in the best interest of my patients. What I'm doing now is in hopes of leading to the best outcome. Do you trust me? Fugaku fell to his knees. Please, there has to be something we can do. The doctor stood and placed his hand on Fugaku's shoulder. There is. Take him home and keep him happy. Surround him with love and let him go in peace. Fugaku and Makoto went home with Itachi. He was sleeping by this time in their arms. Fugaku and Makoto had wished that they too were sleeping, because then they could wake up from this nightmare. They sat down in their abode on the couch, just holding on to Itachi as he slept. As Fugaku felt his son resting against his chest, he couldn't help but look back. The day Itachi was born, he had done the same. Oh, how he had grown. But he hadn't finished yet. He hadn't finished growing, and already twilight was on the horizon. Why? Why did it have to be this way? Why did Fugaku have to watch this? As he held his son tightly in his arms, his eyes once more overflowing with tears, he wondered why it couldn't have happened to him instead. "I am older," he said to himself. "I'm an adult. I've fought in the Third Shinobi World War. I've killed people. Why can't this happen to me instead? I'm the one who deserves it, not Itachi." Makoto sat there, tears in her own eyes as she reached out and tried to wipe Fugaku's away. "Makoto, what are we going to do? He's dying and we can't stop it. What do we do?" Makoto shook her head. "I don't know." She had never seen Fugaku like this before. She understood why though. Fugaku was a man who liked to tip everything in his favor. He liked for everything to be under control, particularly under his control. But this was not, and it stung. Not just because he couldn't control it, but because he knew what the outcome was for this thing that he couldn't control. She leaned forward and wrapped her arms around both Fugaku and Itachi, sandwiching the boy in the familial love of his parents. It was just then that Sasuke and Naruto were coming down the stairs. They saw the scene. No words had to be said. Sasuke and Naruto already felt the heaviness, saw the tears, and knew the truth. They made their way down the stairs and to their family. They too hugged on. And as they did, Fugaku managed to somewhat gain control of himself with a deep breath. He looked to his children. "Listen," he said in a calming tone. "Your brother is asleep right now. When he wakes up, we do not speak of any of this around him. We need to be strong, specifically for him, okay? So we don't cry around him. We don't talk about this around him, and we let him have his way on pretty much anything he wants." Each of the boys agreed to this. As time passed, things began to grow a bit more normal. The thought of this situation was ever present in everyone's lives, but they hid it well, going about their daily lives, training and playing about. Though Itachi didn't train, he would spend time playing with Naruto and Sasuke. And when training happened, Itachi would spend time with his mother, what he called the silver lining. This was one of the most heartbreaking aspects, because Itachi wanted to train with Naruto and Sasuke, but he couldn't anymore, which led to Itachi feeling a bit left out. Makoto attempted to help her son through these feelings by spending more time with him. He would smile, of course, but she could see it in his eyes. On one occasion, Fugaku was going about his daily duties in Konoha when he was called to the office by Hiruzen. Taking a seat, the two would begin speaking. Hiruzen was getting down to business. "The Chunin exams are coming very soon. The village will need the police force active to keep the peace. There's no telling who might use this as an opportunity to bring shame and harm upon the village. So we need you and the rest of your clan to remain ever vigilant to help ensure that things run smoothly. The quality of your work is what will determine whether these exams become a bridge to world peace or a bridge to world war." Fugaku gave a slight bow. "Yes, Lord Third." A moment passed as Hiruzen sat there, his face turning to a light, though slightly dim smile. "How is your son?" Hiruzen asked. Fugaku did not raise his head from the bow. He's very brave." Hiruzen nodded solemnly. "If it's any consolation, I've called in my pupil Tsunade. She should be in the village soon. She is the most skilled medical nin I have ever seen, and her work on people can do what many would consider a miracle. If anyone can help Itachi, it will be her." Fugaku looked up at Hiruzen, obviously fighting back tears. "Thank you, Lord Hiruzen." Hiruzen sat forward. "In the meantime, I wish to keep your family busy. They say that idle hands do the devil's work, and so I'm hoping to keep all of you active in the community, if for no other reason than to take your minds off of things. I would like to offer Naruto and Sasuke the chance to enter the exams. As it stands, the exams will require a team of 3, but I'll make an exception for Naruto and Sasuke. I'll even give you, Makoto, and Itachi front row seats to the exhibition matches alongside me in the Hokage's viewing box. What do you say?" Fugaku once more lowered his head. "My lord, this is so much. How can I ever repay you for your kindness?" Hiruzen stood and sat Fugaku up. "Kindness should not need to be repaid. If love came with conditions, would it even be love? If you want me to attach conditions to this, then my only condition is to ensure that Itachi has the time of his life. And when Tsunade comes, make use of her medical prowess to try and heal your child." Fugaku's eyes ran over with tears. "Thank you so much." Hiruzen, coming down to his knees, which seemed to creak as he knelt down, offered Fugaku a hug. Itachi was at home with his mother. They were both in the kitchen. Lunch had already passed and Naruto and Sasuke were back outside training. Itachi, unable to join them, decided to help his mother with some chores. He stood there, helping her wash the dishes. She would wash them and then dip them in water to rinse them off before giving them to Itachi, who would dry them and put them away. This cycle seemed to go on forever, and for that time, Makoto was fine with it. If she could have this moment last for 1,000,000 years, she would wash the dishes until her muscles fell from her bones in her hand. Anything to spend even a moment more with her child. However, as Itachi took a knife from his mother, he slipped and accidentally cut himself. He let out a quick gasp. She turned around and saw him holding his hand. She knelt down and grabbed the towel. Let me see. She looked at the cut. It was rather deep and blood seemed to pour from the wound. She covered it up. Are you okay? Itachi nodded. I will be. Makoto smiled. Come, let's get it cleaned up. She took him into the living room where she sat him down and grabbed a first aid kit. She opened the box and began taking things out of it. Once upon a time, she had done this for his skinned knee. That was the day she knew everything would change, and now she prayed that day might repeat and that today everything would change for the better. Let me see your hand. Itachi unwrapped it. Makoto went to clean it, but to her surprise, she saw that the wound was already partially closed, a touch of steam appearing to exit it. What is this? Itachi looked at it. It must be the power of the Nine Tails. Makoto looked up, confused. As Itachi explained it to her, he thought back to the moment. He'd been playing with Naruto and Sasuke when his body seemed to grow weak suddenly. He grew dizzy and fell, cutting his knee pretty badly. Naruto and Sasuke would rush back to him to see what happened. Upon seeing the blood of his knee, they would try to comfort him. That was when Naruto came up with the idea of sharing some of the power of the Nine Tails. How was it that Naruto knew how to do this? That was unknown. One might chalk it up to the remnants of Minato's chakra within Naruto offering him this blessing, showing him how to cleave the chakra of the tailed beast. The Nine Tails was carved into 3, Naruto offering the Yin third to Sasuke and what was called the Wuji third to Itachi. Of course, it also seemed that Naruto didn't really understand the concept of the Tao, as Wuji was the state of being before Yin and Yang, when both were one. It wasn't the third part, but nonetheless, Itachi accepted it with joy. And because of this, Itachi had felt his strength increasing, as well as his healing factor. And that was what led to this here today. To Itachi's hand healing more quickly than Makoto could treat it. She understood. Naruto was very kind to share it with you, she said. Something so valuable to him, you should find a way to thank him. It was about that time that Fugaku returned home. Casting off the bag around his shoulder, he stepped in. I have some good news. Makoto looked back. Good news. He nodded. I want the entire family here for the announcement. Makoto nodded and went to the back door. Naruto, Sasuke, your father's home. He wants to talk to you. She saw Naruto and Sasuke push away from their clash to look over. Sasuke raised his hand to verify that they had heard her. She returned to the house and waited in the living room with Itachi as Fugaku stood there with a smile on his face. She had not seen him smile like this in a long while. Something truly wonderful must be occurring. Naruto and Sasuke would eventually return to the house and take their seat at Fugaku's request. Fugaku then spoke. I have a few pieces of news that I wanted to share with you. First, Naruto, Sasuke, Lord Third has given his approval for you two to enter the Chunin exams. Naruto and Sasuke almost immediately leapt out of their seats. Really? We're going to get to take the exams? Fugaku nodded with a smile. Indeed. You two should train very hard. He looked over at Itachi, who covered his disappointment that he would be unable to join them with a small smile of happiness that they were getting the chance to ascend to a new rank. Fugaku walked over and knelt down and took Itachi's hand in his own. I have more good news, Itachi. Hiruzen said he's calling Tsunade back to the village. She's perhaps the world's best medical nin, and her feats of healing are nothing short of legendary. She's coming to the village specifically to treat you. Itachi's eyes lit up. Does that mean I might get better? Fugaku smiled. I have hope. Itachi smiled and hugged his father. He pat his son's head. Itachi was so happy tears were streaming down his cheek. If I get better, maybe I can take the Chunin exams next time. Fugaku laughed. Of course. If you get better, I'll take time to personally train you and get you even to Jonin levels of strength before the next Chunin exams. Makoto came in from behind to hug Itachi, with Naruto and Sasuke both joining thereafter. Fugaku then spoke. Lord Fourth also offered to give us a perfect view of the exams when they happen. So even if you can't participate this time, Itachi, you'll get to watch and enjoy the exhibitions. I would love that, Itachi said with a voice full of joy. I love that, and I love you, Dad. And so, as the dates grew nearer, Naruto and Sasuke doubled down on their training, with Fugaku doing his best to coordinate the police force to better protect the village as others from the outside began to come in. Among those showing up in the village was Tsunade. It had been quite some time since she had been in Konoha. She noted that, though it was full of many memories she'd like to forget, it was nice to be back in her home village. But she didn't have much time to rest. She would end up going to the apartment that was provided to her, where she would clean up quickly and get her things unpacked. She would then make her way out and head for the home of Fugaku Uchiha. She would enter the home to find Itachi and Makoto happily waiting for her. To be honest, for a boy as sick as she was told, he seemed to have plenty of energy and was beaming with excitement at her arrival, which was a welcome feeling. "You must be Makoto, and this is Itachi, I assume." Makoto smiled. "Yes, you must be Tsunade. I've heard only great things about you." Tsunade scoffed her way into a laugh. "Then whoever told you about me didn't tell you the full story." She began going through her bag. "Let's get down to brass tacks." She walked over to Itachi. "We'll begin the examination, yes?" Tsunade began to examine Itachi and take the medical reports that had been made throughout his life, as well as the more recent one that showed the illness. At this point, Tsunade knew more about Itachi's medical history and current condition than any single person did, and that was exactly what was going to make or break this whole situation. Tsunade would stand. She would crack her neck a little and let out a relieving sigh, as though she had just done something extremely strenuous, and, perhaps she had. She looked to Makoto and Itachi. "The illness has truly come a long way without anyone knowing about it. Can it be stopped?" Makoto asked, with a hint of hesitation. Tsunade thought about it for a moment. "Honestly, it's gonna be a challenge," but she looked to their faces, full of anticipation. She let off a smile. "I think I might be able to do something." Itachi and Makoto's faces both lit up. Tsunade held out her hand to slow them down. "Now hold on, don't get overly excited. This is gonna be a long, grueling fight. It's not gonna be easy on anyone here, least of all Itachi, and even then there's a chance it might fail." "But there's hope?" Makoto asked. Tsunade nodded. "Yes, there is hope. That's all I need," Itachi said. "A little hope and all the tools necessary to succeed. Leave the willpower to me." Tsunade nodded with a bit of pride. This boy was truly special. She pulled out a bottle from her bag and handed it to Makoto. "See that he takes these twice a day, one at breakfast and one before dinner. Just make sure he takes it with food. This will help slow down the progression while I work on a tailor-made treatment just for him." Makoto took the bottle in her hands and looked at the label. She smiled at Tsunade. "Thank you." Tsunade closed up her bag and made her way to the door. "It's paramount that he gets plenty of rest. Don't let him overwork himself, and make sure he sleeps at least a full 8 hours a night. I'll get back to you soon with his treatments." She left. Makoto hugged Itachi tight and kissed his cheek. "We're gonna fight harder than the Third Shinobi World War on this, Itachi. And once this is behind us, you'll go on to become Hokage just as you dreamed." The rest of the day seemed to fly by. Everyone returned home from training and preparing for the test. They would have a family meal together. Makoto would give Itachi a pill, and they'd sit down to eat. They would discuss what Tsunade had told them. Fugaku knew that the path forward was going to be painful, but there was light at the end of that tunnel. And so long as Itachi came out of this happy and healthy, there was no pain that Fugaku wouldn't bear. After dinner, they would spend time playing games and doing things as a family that they found fun until about 11 p.m. It was then that they would all decide to turn in for the night. Laying him down in his bed, Makoto and Fugaku would kneel next to him and tell him how much they loved him. "Sleep well, little warrior," Fugaku said as his lips pressed to Itachi's forehead. Makoto was next. She kissed his cheek. "Sleep well. You'll need all the strength you can get to kick this thing's butt." Itachi would smile and acknowledge their words, telling them good night. They would then turn out the lights and close the door. They would then move on to Naruto and Sasuke's room. Makoto knelt down by Naruto's bed and stroked his hair. "That was really nice of you, giving Itachi and Sasuke a part of the Nine Tails. I'm so proud of you. Your heart is so large that few can compare." Naruto shook his head. "Itachi's my brother. I would do anything to help him." Makoto almost came to tears. She kissed Naruto's forehead slowly and gently. "What did I ever do to deserve being blessed with such kind and loving children?" On the other side of the room, Fugaku was kneeling next to Sasuke. "You excited about the Chunin exams?" The boy solemnly nodded. "What's wrong?" Sasuke looked up. "I wish Itachi could take the test with us." Fugaku smiled. "Your brother is fighting a different fight, and it's just as important as yours." Sasuke sat there silently. "I don't know if I want to take the Chunin exams." Why not? Fugaku asked as he pushed Sasuke's hair to the side. I want me, Naruto, and Itachi to take this test as a team. I don't want to leave Itachi behind. Fugaku took a deep breath and let it out with a smile. Itachi's looking forward to watching you. Did you know that? He wants to cheer you on. You aren't leaving him behind, you're showing him your strength. And he'll use that strength to fight on his own and defeat this. Then he'll catch up to you all over again. So don't take this test for yourself. Take it for Itachi, okay? Sasuke nodded. I'll do my best. Attaboy. Fugaku would kiss Sasuke's head. After this, he would turn out the lights and close the door behind him as he and Makoto left. The day after, they woke up, had breakfast, and went on to do their daily duties. Fugaku had to return to Police HQ to run the final checks on the test as Sasuke and Naruto made their way to the location of the exam's start. Makoto and Itachi went about their day, going out into the village to experience everything. Itachi was sure to wear his headband bearing the mark of his village as he went, hoping to be a good representative. There were people here from everywhere. Shinobi from Kusagakure, Amegakure, Sunagakure. It was the most alive Itachi had ever seen the village, and it made him happy. But what he didn't see were the forces of darkness moving around behind. Neji Hyuga and his father Hisashi were both in the village. And you're certain that this Naruto Uzumaki and Sasuke Uchiha are the next incarnations of Indra and Ashura? Neji asked. Hisashi nodded, his face still hidden behind a mask. Indeed it is. As an impure reincarnation myself, I can sense the history of the chakra that flows through them. Neji nodded. Fine, then let's grab them. Hisashi held out his hand to stop his son. Neji looked up at his father with curiosity. If we take them now, Hisashi said, then the entire village will know and will be hunted and destroyed. We must wait for the opportune moment, a time during the exams. Then we can take them. Neji sighed and reluctantly agreed to this, and so the two continued to simply watch. Naruto and Sasuke were brought into the exams where they were surrounded by people older than them and of a higher number. Perhaps we won't have to worry about waiting on Itachi, Sasuke said. Yeah, these guys might knock us out in the first round. Sasuke honestly wasn't so sure. The trauma of Itachi's diagnosis had awakened within him the Mangekyou Sharingan. With a little bit of training, Sasuke had discovered many new techniques, among which was the ability to generate black flames, and the second was to alter that fire. Besides that, he found that he could create and manipulate part of a chakra avatar. It was still incomplete, but he could. Eventually, they'd be led to a new room to take a written test. The test was simple for Sasuke, but for Naruto, it required pure luck. The questions were insanely difficult, but the more Sasuke looked at them, the more he believed that Itachi would have no issue at all. They managed to pass through, and so they were taken into the Forest of Death. Here, it was a game of capture the flag that would last 3 days. As soon as Naruto and Sasuke went in, they couldn't have known what would happen next. The first day passed, then the second. Finally, the third day passed, and Naruto and Sasuke had yet to finish. Fugaku began to grow weary. As the test ended, he sent a squad of Konoha police officers into the forest to search for Naruto and Sasuke. After sweeping the whole area, they found nothing. This caused Hiruzen to panic. They had just lost their Jinchuriki. What were they going to do? On the fourth night after Naruto and Sasuke entered the Forest of Death, they still found nothing. It was believed that they had been captured and whisked away by another village. Itachi offered to help his father search for Naruto and Sasuke, reminding him that he possessed the Nine Tails, just as Naruto and Sasuke did, and that he could use it to help them find the two. However, Fugaku refused this, telling Itachi that he couldn't. He was too sick to do anything. He needed to stay home, elsewise he could overexert himself and become more ill. Itachi was adamant, however, that Naruto and Sasuke would not be found quickly enough to save their lives unless he intervened. But Fugaku was insistent on Itachi staying home, telling his son that his word was final. Itachi didn't take this well. He believed that his father, in an effort to protect him, would condemn Sasuke and Naruto to death. And so, as night fell upon the household and it was time for Itachi to sleep, he waited until his door was closed. He then got up, grabbed his shinobi gear, and made it outside of the home. He looked back at the home for a moment, silently apologizing within himself before turning and making his way toward the Forest of Death. There, he attempted to sense the presence of the other pieces of the Nine Tails. He picked up on a trail, but strangely it was leading him away from the forest. He began following it, going through the village into the sewers. There, he sensed the chakra of the Nine Tails at its strongest. He began to follow the trail through the murky, disgusting wastewater until it led him to another manhole cover. Coming through it, he found himself outside of the village. He followed after the energy, walking well into the morning. Back at his house, his parents would go to wake him up for breakfast. He had an appointment with Tsunade that day that they needed him to be ready for. But as they entered his room, they found it empty. They immediately knew what this meant. Fugaku ordered part of the police force to fan out and search for Itachi as well. Itachi continued walking well into the daylight hours, stopping only for a moment to eat something before continuing his journey. He found himself at the mouth of a cave. Naruto and Sasuke were inside. He was sure of it. He activated his Sharingan and entered the cave. There he found a deep pool of water. He sensed the Ninetales' residual energy emanating from within that pool of water. He would dive down into it, but as he did, he found bubbles. Each bubble bore with it a reflection of a memory. Itachi would eventually collide with one. Suddenly, it was as if he were transported home. Huh? This isn't right. Wasn't I just... Wait, where was I? He saw a crowd cheering his name alongside Sasuke and Naruto. I was in the Forest of Death. I'm in the Chunin exams. He smiled. He was enjoying this. It was as if everything in the past had simply fallen away. His illness, his weakness, everything. It was like one bad dream. He was being given a medal by Lord Hiruzen for his good work at becoming a Chunin. Sasuke and Naruto placed their arms around his shoulders. If any of us deserve to be a Chunin, it was you, Sasuke said. We are glad to have helped you, Naruto said with a wide grin. Itachi smiled. I couldn't have done it without you. Suddenly, he felt pain in his chest. He fell to his knees. He couldn't help but cough, and as he did, blood poured from his mouth. Huh? Are you alright, Itachi? Sasuke asked. Yeah, are you alright? Naruto asked. Itachi sat there for a moment. Cancer, he said under his breath. He looked up and around. I remember now. This isn't what happened. This was what I wanted to happen. He looked at Naruto and Sasuke and remembered that this was a fantasy he had when he was told that the Chunin exams were going to be held in the village, and that Sasuke and Naruto could join. He looked at his brothers with tears in his eyes. I'm going to save you. I promise, he said. Naruto and Sasuke looked at each other confusedly. Itachi would hug them tightly. As he did so, he would then hold 2 fingers up. Release! Suddenly, Itachi woke up on the shore of the pool of water. He spewed water from his mouth as he rolled over onto his hands and knees. He sat there for a moment before another coughing fit overtook him. He expelled blood from his mouth. He tried to catch it with his hand. Looking down at the red liquid covering the palm of his hand, he knew he had to hurry. He stood and followed the trail out of the cave. He found himself in an unfamiliar location. An abandoned village, it looked like. This was not like any village he had ever seen on Earth. He continued on, following the trail until it led him to a castle. He saw it and entered. There were no guards, nothing stopping him. He kept to the shadows and continued to follow the trail of the Ninetales. It led him to a particular room where Naruto and Sasuke had been chained up. Itachi walked in. Psst, psst, Naruto, Sasuke, he whispered. Naruto looked up. Itachi? Itachi began to free Naruto from his bonds. What are you doing here? Naruto asked. You're sick. Itachi looked at him. I had to do something. Dad wasn't gonna find you. I knew that only I could do that. He then walked over to Sasuke to free him, only to stop when he noticed that Sasuke's eyes had been covered. What's with that? Naruto looked away. They blinded him. Itachi looked over in surprise. What? Naruto refused to look up, unable to look at the torment of his brother. Sasuke developed the Mangekyo Sharingan at some point, and when they captured us, he began sending black fire everywhere, hoping to kill them. He managed to set one on fire. His body burned away, but he somehow came back to life. They then blinded Sasuke so he couldn't do it anymore. Itachi looked up at Sasuke with eyes full of sorrow. He didn't say a word. He simply undid the chains and pulled him down. Oh, what do we have here? A voice said from behind. Itachi turned back to see the form of Hisashi Hyuga. What have you done to my brother, and why? Itachi demanded. Hisashi stood there. We took your brothers because they were the key to something powerful, something important. Through them, the Tensaon could be awakened, and now we'll use them to bring true peace. Peace, Itachi asked. Hisashi nodded. So long as shinobi exist, peace will remain out of our grasp. Through the power of the Tensaon, we will destroy the warring shinobi villages. We'll eradicate the cancer of war before it can spread. Itachi was appalled by this. The concept of creating peace by destroying those who were the only ones capable of experiencing it. To that, Itachi's eyes switched to Mangekyo. Naruto was surprised. Itachi, when did you... How? Itachi looked over. Quite a while ago. How doesn't matter. All that matters is that I have them. Keep Sasuke safe. I'll deal with this man. Itachi would then rush at Hisashi, striking out at him. Hisashi was surprised that a boy like Itachi had the strength that he did. It was astounding. Itachi would flip over Hisashi and then weave his hand signs, forming the Great Fireball Jutsu. He would launch it at the man. Hisashi would jump over it, just as Itachi had expected. He then cast a Materasu, setting the man ablaze. The flames began to burn Hisashi to ashes. Itachi took a deep breath, attempting to calm down. However, rising from the ashes, Hisashi stood. "It'll take more than that to defeat me," he said. Itachi looked back. "What are you?" Itachi asked. Hisashi answered that simply. "Immortal." Realizing this, Itachi knew that he had no choice but to use that. It was strenuous, but it was their only chance. Itachi would summon his Susanoo to protect him. The Susanoo would cover his body, protecting him from attack, but that's not all it was meant for. The Susanoo pulled the blade of Tatsuka. "Immortal or not, you will not walk away from this battle." He would strike Hisashi with the blade of Tatsuka and would seal him away. Itachi would then fall to his knees, coughing. Naruto would race over to him, holding Sasuke's hand. The two of them would reach out to Itachi. "Are you okay?" Naruto asked. Itachi would spit, blood present in his saliva. "I'll be fine. Let's get out of here." He would stand and begin to race out with Naruto and Sasuke. Together, they would flee into the cave and return to Earth. Finally safe, they'd begin their trek home. "What did they do to you?" Itachi asked Naruto. "They took our chakra." "Why?" Itachi asked. "To awaken some new kind of Byakugan. They wanted to use it to drop the moon on top of Konoha." Together, they walked for quite some time, and as they did, they would notice Itachi's breathing becoming more noticeable and labored. "Are you okay?" Naruto asked. Itachi nodded. Yeah, I think I just have a fever. We need to get back home, soon." Naruto stepped forward and stopped. He tied a rope around his waist and then the other end around Sasuke's. He then stepped in front of Itachi. "Get on," he said. Itachi looked away, embarrassed. "No, I can't have you do that." Naruto looked back. "You came all this way after us. The least I can do is carry you back. Now get on. I'm not asking you again." Itachi reluctantly climbed onto Naruto's back. Together, the three brothers made their way back in Konoha's direction. However, before they got there, they were stopped by Neji. "What did you do to my father?" he demanded, looking down on them, his eyes displaying the regal glow of the Tenseigan. Naruto looked up at him. "What we had to. He's gone. We can't let you do this." Neji grit his teeth. "And I can't afford to let you stop me." Naruto gave a bit of a sigh. "I won't let you stand in our way." Neji's intense eyes narrowed. "Likewise." Naruto rushed at Neji, whose attacks and defenses were on a whole other level. Naruto did, to his credit, have resistance to the gentle fist technique due to his tailed beast, but beyond that, there wasn't much he could do against Neji. Not when Neji was far older and more experienced. In the end, Naruto was knocked back by him. As he laid there, Itachi stood. He stepped in front of Naruto and Sasuke, ready to defend them. Neji laughed. "And what do you hope to do that he couldn't?" Itachi smiled. "Win." And with that, the two of them launched into an intense battle, to which Neji found himself surprised. Itachi was on a whole other level compared to Naruto. He was quicker, more agile, and his perception was only further increased by his Sharingan. Neji actually felt himself being pushed back a bit. But with all things being considered, Neji was still superior to Itachi with taijutsu. The ninjutsu and abilities of his Mangekyo Sharingan, while strong, were not quite enough to stop Neji. Neji ended up knocking Itachi back. Itachi rolled along the ground. He gasped as he came to one knee. Naruto and Sasuke were behind him. Naruto managed to sit up. Itachi looked back. "Naruto, Sasuke, the only way for me to have a chance is if you give me your power, please." Naruto would nod. "All right." He would put his hand on Itachi's back, as would Sasuke. They would begin to flow their chakra into Itachi. Itachi felt it entering his body, flowing together, mixing with his chakra. Suddenly, he felt something awaken. His eyes opened and displayed the Rinnegan in both. He was surprised by this increase in power, but furthermore, he felt the chakra swirling and intensifying, mixing with his tailed beast chakra. Suddenly, Itachi burst into a chakra mode, Truth Seeker orbs hovering behind him. Neji stood there and sneered. He knew that Itachi had just awakened the same power he had. Neji would then enter his Tenseigan chakra mode. Itachi and Neji would then resume their battle. They moved through the air so quickly that they couldn't even be seen, only heard. With each strike, with each movement, they broke the sound barrier. Naruto could only look on in surprise as Itachi and Neji faced off. Itachi would rush at Neji with a strike. Neji would utilize his palm rotation to defend himself. Eventually, Itachi ran out of breath and the jutsu came to an end. Neji would be seen walking through the charred remains of trees. He would fire it at Itachi, who would summon his Susanoo and defend with the Yata mirror. The blast, however, was so powerful that it completely shattered both, causing Itachi to go rolling. Itachi came to a stop and rose to his knees. He was steaming from the attack, and it was obvious that he was at his limit. It was then that Neji formed the Sword of Nonoboko and approached Itachi to finish it off. In another life, in another place, you would be standing where I am now, proclaiming that death brings peace. But unlike you, I will not fall. He would raise his blade to strike Itachi down. He then swings the blade. Itachi quickly rolls forward and forms a spear from a Truth Seeker orb and plunges it into Neji's chest, piercing his heart, pinning him to a tree. Neji is startled. Itachi stands there and coughs into his elbow, his eyes displaying grogginess. "Perhaps you're right," he said. "In that world, I don't doubt that I would be standing where you are. I've had the same thoughts. Would the world not be better off without Shinobi? But at the same time, people are free to choose their path. What will be, and we can't stop it. Even if we ended war one day, it would return again the next. You can't change human nature. You can't destroy who we are without destroying us. Allow me to demonstrate." He turned around and walked away. And as he did, the Truth Seeker orb spear detonated, taking Neji along with it. Itachi continued to walk out of the forest and onto the road where Naruto and Sasuke were waiting. His form would come to an end. "Did you do it?" Sasuke asked. Itachi would raise a thumb, no longer caring if Sasuke could see it. It was all he had the strength to do before his legs went out from under him. "Itachi!" Naruto raced to his side. He turned him over. "We need to get him to Konoha, fast!" He loaded up Itachi on his back and tied the rope around his waist again. Naruto began to lead them back to the village. All the while, he felt the wet warmth of blood against his back. "Please, hold on, Itachi. Please hold on." Fugaku sat in his office, kicking some poor trash can out of shape and then back into shape only to kick it out of shape once more. He was frustrated, unable to find Sasuke or Naruto, and now he had lost Itachi too. He felt like a total failure. He sat at his desk, seething. It was then that a shinobi walked in. "Sir, they've returned." Fugaku sat up. "What?" The shinobi continued. "Your sons. All three have returned, but you need to hurry to the hospital. They're in bad shape." Fugaku stood immediately and made his way out the door and into the streets. He raced through the village, past the townsfolk with such speed that you might think he was the Leaf's yellow flash returned to life. Racing to the hospital, he stepped to the front desk to ask for room numbers before making his way up the stairs. He was met there by his wife, Makoto, the only person who could have made it any quicker than he. "What's happening? Are they all okay?" Makoto looked back. "They're being checked out now. Naruto seems to be fine. Sasuke, he was blinded." Fugaku nearly put his fist through the wall. "And what of Itachi?" Makoto stood there for a moment. "He was unconscious when he was brought back to the village, and he was drooling a bloody froth. Tsunade's in there with him now." Fugaku dropped to his knees, his head against the wall. Makoto walked over to him and wrapped her arms around him. Eventually, Tsunade stepped out. Makoto and Fugaku looked up at her. "Please, please tell me he's okay." She took a deep breath. "He overexerted himself pretty badly. The damage to his lungs, the cancer, it..." She stood there for a moment. "I don't think there's anything I can do for him. I don't think he'll make it through the night." Fugaku broke down into tears along with Makoto. Tsunade looked away from them. She grit her teeth. "I'm sorry," she squeaked under a clearing of her throat as she walked away. Fugaku and Makoto stepped into the room where their son was. He was laying in the bed, seemingly unconscious. He just looked so tired. He had fought so hard, and now he was ready to rest. Fugaku and Makoto took a seat, each on either side of him. They took his hands, hoping to get his attention. Itachi opened his eyes just barely and looked at them. "Mom, Dad," he whispered. They grew close. "We're here." Itachi looked at them both. "I brought them home," he said. Fugaku bit his lip as tears raced down his cheeks. He nodded. "Yes, son, you did. I couldn't be more proud." Makoto just kissed the back of his hand, unsure what more to do than that. It was a mother's instinct. He lay there silently for a moment. "Sasuke, he's blind." Fugaku nodded. "It's not your fault." Itachi looked at Fugaku. "Give him my Sharingan." Fugaku clenched his teeth so tightly that one of his molars split in two. Blood began pooling in his mouth. "Itachi." Itachi lay there, fighting for each breath. "Papa, Mama, I'm tired. Can I sleep?" Fugaku had to be careful not to squeeze Itachi's hand too tightly as he could hardly keep himself composed. Makoto had lost composure. Fugaku nodded. Yes, you've done so well. I'm so proud of you. If you feel the need to rest now, you can rest. We're going to be okay. Because of you, we're going to be okay. Itachi took a breath that almost sounded like a sigh. He closed his eyes. His breathing quickened for a moment, and then it stopped. Makoto and Fugaku cried. A week later, as Fugaku stood there above the grave, no father should ever have to bury their son, he said. Hiruzen placed a hand on his shoulder. That phrase is one I spoke at the end of every funeral during the Second and Third World Wars. He was a fighter. He fought valiantly. He was the embodiment of the will of fire. Fugaku looked down to Hiruzen with tears in his eyes. Does it get easier? Hiruzen had tears in his own eyes. The pain dulls with time, but it will always be a part of you. And from my experience, even though the memories bring me pain, if I had the choice right now to forget, I would choose to remember. He pat Fugaku's shoulder and moved on. Fugaku looked down at Sasuke. Sasuke looked up at his father, his eyes bearing the light of his soul through the windows Itachi had given him. Looking into these eyes, he saw both Sasuke and Itachi looking back. He lifted his son up into his arms and held him there, offering a kiss to his cheek. Fugaku looked down at Naruto and placed a hand on his head before kneeling down to embrace him as well. I love you too. And life moved on. It didn't stop for anyone. The hands of time continued to spin, and the days passed into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. The pain had dulled, leaving memories bittersweet. But every time he looked into the mirror, Sasuke saw Itachi looking back at him, and he could have sworn that he witnessed a smile play upon his lips. As the years passed on, Hanabi would grow into a fine young woman, and she would marry and give birth to children, and those children would eventually grow and give birth to children of their own. The generations passed, and the Hyuga eventually returned to their full number, but things had changed. The elders learned from their mistakes and refused to allow the same to occur again. Even if their Byakugan was stolen, it didn't matter so long as they had family, and due to the bonds of love, the Hyuga became stronger than ever. And that's the end of our story. As I write this, I'm wiping away tears. I've not been affected by anything I've written quite like this, but this was the way of things, I suppose. Itachi's death was something that was important to the canon, and though we loved him, we gotta let him go. But, you know, now that I've made what could be the absolute saddest video pertaining to Itachi known to mankind, it frees me up to write perhaps the happiest video pertaining to Itachi known to mankind. I promise I won't leave you here to suffer with this. I hope to see you there. Until then, peace out.